Chapter 1251. Hair Mistress Battle. These are just a few Immortal Gu. So what? Ing Wuxie spoke in a profound voice. As long as our plan succeeds, all your losses can be compensated. Being able to let go is the mark of a wise person. Moreover, we are not just abandoning them senselessly. Instead, we are leaving them behind to confuse the enemy and get some precious time for ourselves. Bai Ningbing snorted. Why do I feel like you are intentionally weakening my strength? You are thinking too much. The enemy is outside. You can also choose to stay behind and personally control this Gu formation to help us delay the enemy. Ing Wuxie glanced at Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing's eyes flickered with sharp light, before finally nodding. I shall go with your plan then. It was not that she did not want to fight by herself, but facing such a powerful Fang Yuan, she did not have any confidence in winning. Northern Plains, snowy mountain-blessed land. Ninth Peak. Central Continent's group of 5 immortals were plotted against by Hair Mistress. They were all wrapped around like cocoons by her blue hair. What killer move is this? My immortal essence is rapidly being consumed. Yu suddenly shouted. His whole body suddenly burned with bright flames. But the fire was actually not able to burn the blue hair. Instead, large amounts of water vapor emerged from the hair, drenching Yu. My fire is earth furnace fire. Even melting rank 7 Gu material only is a matter of minutes. But it actually cannot burn even a single strand of this hair. Yu was extremely shocked. It is useless. My move is blue hair constriction. The longer the time taken to activate it, the stronger it becomes. Ever since old ancestor Shui who began refining fortune rivaling heaven Immortal Gu, I have been activating this immortal killer move without stopping. Just think of it, and you will know how long a time it has been. Hair Mistress lay down on her bed again, laughing heartily. Moreover, I did not completely lie to you. Snowy mountain-blessed land is indeed already covered in a super Gu formation. My battle strength has reached rank 7 in here, while all of you have been weakened. Surrender obediently and allow yourself to be captured. Maybe you will still have a chance for survival. You are too simple-minded. Right at this time, an illusory shadow flew out of a blue cocoon. The hair cocoon was not damaged at all, but this phantom figure had strangely passed through the cocoon. The figure shortly turned from phantom to solid. It was none other than Spirit Affinity House's rank 7 Gu Immortal, Bu Zhenzi. Hair Mistress's expression sank. So there was a phantom path Gu Immortal. No wonder you can escape my blue hair constriction. While she spoke, a huge amount of blue hair shot out from the ground, hard as needles, supple as snakes, and shot towards Bu Zhenzi. Bu Zhenzi smiled brightly. You are still too inexperienced to be able to hurt me. He again turned into phantom form, this time entering another blue cocoon. The Gu Immortal inside this cocoon was Zhao Lian. Right now, she was activating her immortal killer move to guard against the cutting and strangling of the blue hair. Bu Zhenzi came to her side suddenly, giving Zhao Lian a fright at first. I will count to 3, deactivate your defenses, and follow me. Bu Zhenzi put his hand on her shoulder as he instructed this. Zhao Lian thought, if I stop my defensive killer move, would I not be shredded to pieces by the blue hair? However, she thought again, Bu Zhenzi would absolutely not deceive her, and decided to believe in him. At the next moment, she let go of her defense and stopped activating her defensive method. The blue hair immediately moved towards her, but Zhao Lian had already turned into phantom form. Then, both phantoms rushed out of the blue hair cocoon. Hair Mistress finally paled with fright. Bu Zhenzi cultivated phantom path. It was normal for him to be able to turn into phantom, but it was unusual to be able to turn others into phantom as well, and even being able to affect those he had turned into phantom. Phantom path Gu Immortals were very few in number. Bu Zhenzi was no doubt an exceptional talent among them. It was because of these methods that Spirit Affinity House was confident in him being able to ensure Zhao Lian's safety. After Bu Zhenzi rescued Zhao Lian, he repeated the same thing, rescuing the other 3. The 5 Central Continent Gu Immortals then started to surround and attack Hair Mistress. However, even with 1 against 5, Hair Mistress was not at a disadvantage. Blue hair coiled around her whole body, dancing around like snakes and at times, standing up like a wall, as it dissolved all the offenses of the 5 Gu Immortals. She clearly has only rank 6 cultivation, but actually has rank 7 battle strength. I have also found there are indeed traces of a super Gu formation in snowy mountain-blessed land. Get out of my way, let me attack. Lian moved away from the 4 immortals and activated his immortal killer move. Howl! Wolf howls resounded. 3 giant light blue water wolves appeared from thin air and charged towards Hair Mistress while brandishing their teeth and claws. Hair Mistress's hair wall was broken again and was unable to stop the water wolves' offense. She quickly rose up and broke out of the ceiling into the air. The 5 Central Continent Gu Immortals immediately flew up to give chase. Hair Mistress soon fell into a passive state. Although her battle strength was rather strong, Zhao Lianyun's side had the numerical advantage. Hair Mistress's offense lowered as she started to defend more. Most of her blue hair was destroyed. The remainder had curled up into a ball that firmly protected her. This immortal killer move is truly terrifying. It can absorb and release energy. A portion of our immortal killer moves are absorbed by it and released back against us. Even my snake wave stab cannot pierce through this hairball. Mu Lian was solemn. Bu Zhenzi suddenly transmitted his voice to Mu Lian. Mu Lian's expression shook. Let's try again then. He accumulated energy for a while before suddenly pointing out his right index finger towards the continuously revolving blue hairball. At the next moment, a water snake half a foot long flew out from his fingernail. The small snake was lifelike, completely formed from water, and was deep blue in color. The water snake was extremely fast, but right now, under Mu Lian's control, it intentionally flew slowly. At this moment, Bu Zhenzi suddenly used his immortal killer move, turning the water snake into phantom. The water snake was easily able to pass through the hairball and appeared in front of Hair Mistress. Hair Mistress turned pale from the shock, quickly activating her second defensive killer move. But the water snake turned into solid, breaking open Hair Mistress's defense and piercing straight into her heart. Hair Mistress gave a sharp screech as her soul escaped out of her body. The hairball detonated. A huge number of short hairs shot out everywhere like sharp arrows. Central Continent's 5 immortals could only concentrate on defending themselves and let Hair Mistress' soul escape. We won. Hair Mistress is dead. Only her soul is left now. Shizheng Yi was extremely excited. Good teamwork. Bu Zhenzi and Mu Lian looked at each other and smiled. These two rank 7 Gu immortals had made the biggest contributions in defeating Hair Mistress. First, Bu Zhenzi rescued them from the cocoons. Then Mu Lian was the main attacker. Yu Yizi, Zhao Lianyun, and Shizheng Yi were only supporting figures. The battle ended. The 9th peak turned silent. What should they do next? The 5 immortals discussed and soon came to a consensus. They would first retreat and wait for the other forces from Central Continent to arrive. With just the 5 of them, how could they go against the whole of Snowy Mountain? Forget about other Gu immortals, just old ancestor Shui, who alone was an opponent they could not beat. However, the 5 immortals found they were unable to leave this place. Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was a public blessed land. The whole blessed land was pieced together. Its defense could not compare to a normal blessed land. But there was a super Gu formation arranged here. Even Bu Zhenzi's phantom transformation method was of no use. Damn it. We don't have a formation path Gu immortal among us. If we had a formation path great expert, maybe we could decipher the profundities of this Gu formation. Mu Lian wrung his hands in disappointment. There had been multiple formation path Gu immortals specially mixed in among the Central Continent Gu immortals sent. Unfortunately, because of the unexpected collapse of the spaceless tunnel, not even one formation path Gu immortal was among this group of 5. The 5 Central Continent immortals helplessly found that even though they defeated Hair Mistress, her soul escaped, while they were trapped in the 9th snowy peak, unable to escape from this super Gu formation. What should we do? They looked at each other, feeling great pressure. How could they not feel pressure? This was the enemy's base. The rank 8 Gu immortal old ancestor Shui, who could crush them with just his fingers. Did you all find something strange? We have already been here in Snowy Mountain Blessed Land for a while now, but no one has actually come. Yu Yizi suddenly spoke. The other 4 immortals had the same feeling. It is indeed strange. We have invaded Snowy Mountain Blessed Land and battled Hair Mistress. The commotion was huge, but besides Hair Mistress, no one else has appeared. Our fight with Hair Mistress was not a short one, but no other Gu immortals came to reinforce her. Old ancestor Shui who did not appear, it could be because of a rank 8's pride. But the other Gu immortals should have allied and besieged us. There is no way they are holding back now. Mu Lian, Bu Zhenzi, and Yu Yizi pondered over this, and felt it was odd. Right at this time, inside Zhao Lianyun's immortal aperture, Love Gu suddenly activated. A powerful immortal Gu aura rose from Zhao Lianyun's body. Such a majestic aura caused the other 4 immortals' expression to change. What a powerful aura. Is it a rank 9 immortal Gu? I remember this aura appeared in the spaceless tunnel as well. So it was you who protected us. Mu Lian, Yu Yizi, and Shizheng Yi stared at Zhao Lianyun, dumbfounded. Zhao Lianyun, however, did not have control over her body. Her eyes had rolled back, showing her whites. Her legs were a foot above the ground. Her head was slightly raised, and she was emitting chuckling sounds. Don't disturb her. This is Love Gu's power. Bu Zhenzi quickly spoke. Love Gu, Spirit Affinity House's signature Immortal Gu, was actually brought here by Zhao Lianyun. The other 3 immortals were extremely shocked. Bu Zhanzi smiled bitterly as he explained to them. After a while, Zhao Lian woke up. I know all the secrets of this Gu formation now. The four immortals were joyous. This was because of love Gu. Mu Linglan's eyes were wide open. Zhao Lian nodded. Quickly explain it to us. Bu Zhanzi urged. This formation is called Fate-Reversing Sacrificial Refinement Formation. It was set up by Sun Ming Lu, using over 10 immortal Gu. The crucial point is it irrigates the water of Reverse Flow River. Thus it has extremely astonishing power. Zhao Lian explained in a heavy voice. Love Immortal Gu had activated of its own accord, using up large amounts of immortal essence in Zhao Lian's immortal aperture. It had all sorts of effects, and this time, it had let Zhao Lian directly obtain the origins and history of the fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation. Reverse Flow River? That legendary Reverse Flow River. Yuez's eyes open wide. Right? It is the Reverse Flow River recorded in The Legends of Renzu. Zhao Lian nodded. The Legends of Renzu stated, Dang Hun Mountain, Luo Po Valley and Reverse Flow River were the three obstacles inside the door of life and death. Back then, to save his eldest son, verdant great son, Renzu had traveled to Obsession Death Domain but had failed. Renzu could only pass through the three obstacles to revive once again. In the end, Renzu had passed Dang Hun Mountain and Luo Po Valley, but had failed in Reverse Flow River. Reverse Flow River is a secluded domain of heaven and earth. Who could have thought it was an old ancestor Shui whose hands? Bu Zhanzi sighed. Mu Linglan spoke. Supposedly, in the past, thieving heaven demon Venerable had relied on ghostly concealment to enter the door of life and death, and moved Dang Hun Mountain and Luo Po Valley out, but was unable to take Reverse Flow River. I never expected Reverse Flow River to be taken by someone as well. Mu Linglan was a supreme elder of Spirit Butterfly Valley. This ancient sect was most skilled in information gathering, so Mu Linglan knew many secrets. This group of immortals soon accepted this fact. Since Dang Hun Mountain and Luo Po Valley could be taken away, it was not that strange for Reverse Flow River to appear as well. The main thing now is how to break this fate, reversing sacrificial refinement formation. Bu Zhanzi emphasized. But Zhao Lian shook her head. It is almost impossible to break this formation. Even a rank 8 Gu immortal will be trapped and not be able to extricate themselves. Although there are no rank 8 immortal Gu used in this Super Gu formation, this Super Gu formation perfectly utilizes Reverse Flow River, which allows it to display endless might. Zhao Lian explained slowly while the other four immortals listened speechlessly, no longer having the intention to break the formation. This Super Gu formation has completely remodeled Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, using the 15 snowy peaks as the formation cores to form a solid defense. If a Gu immortal charges into the formation, they would be forcibly sent to different snowy peaks depending on their cultivation. If it was a rank 7 Gu immortal, they would be sent to the snowy peaks with rank 7 Gu immortals to fight. If it was a rank 8 Gu immortal, they would be sent to old ancestor Shuehu. Hair Mistress words had some truth and some lies, and were not completely nonsense. The fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation could indeed amplify the strength of the Gu immortal in the formation cores. It could let rank 6 Gu immortals have rank 7 might, and while it could not let rank 7 Gu immortals have rank 8 strength, there would still be a tremendous boost. Moreover, this fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation also imitated Regret Pool, having some mysterious abilities of Time Path. The truly wicked thing was any Gu immortals that died within the formation would be considered as sacrificing their life to this formation, helping Lady Wan Shou, who was in the center of the formation, refine Ma Hongyun. No wonder when we killed Hair Mistress, her body and immortal aperture turned into ashes and disappeared. Although her soul escaped, her soul must have already dispersed completely due to this formation. Who could have thought Sun Ming Lu could actually construct such a level of Super Gu formation? Such a powerful formation, even the 10 great ancient sects might not be able to match it. Sun Ming Lu is Northern Plains' publicly recognized number 1 formation path grandmaster. According to rumors, he has an unyielding nature and highly values ties of friendship. He did not associate himself with the demonic path. Earlier, old ancestor Shuehu had put down his pride and invited him repeatedly, but Sun Ming Lu did not yield to such an expert. In the end, he was touched by old ancestor Shuehu's love for Lady Wan Shou, and helped Lady Wan Shou construct a refinement path Gu formation. But from the looks of it now, creating such a wicked refinement path Gu formation, this Sun Ming Lu is not a good person. The Central Continent Gu immortals discussed. That means if we go out of this snowy peak, we will be forcefully separated and have to fend for ourselves. Bu Zhanzi asked. Zhao Lian nodded. It should be the case. We appeared here because of Love Immortal Gu's strength. Love Gu was a rank 9 Immortal Gu. Its might surpassed the whole Super Gu formation, so it could make the 5 Gu Immortals appear at the 9th snowy peak together. However, right now, Love Gu did not activate. This group of 5 would be separated by the Gu formation once they stepped out of the range of this snowy peak. Bu Zhenzi frowned deeply. This was extremely bad news. He was given the task to escort Zhao Lian to protect Zhao Lian as well as Love Gu. But now, this Super Gu formation would separate them, and there was nothing he could do. How about this, Fairy Lian? Enter my immortal aperture. I don't believe this Super Gu formation can influence my immortal aperture. Bu Zhenzi hesitated before making up his mind. The immortal aperture of a Gu Immortal was their greatest secret, and normally they would not let others enter. However, Bu Zhenzi knew the significance of this matter and decided to make a sacrifice, letting Zhao Lian in. They could only do this because Zhao Lian did not have a true immortal aperture. Hers was a phantom aperture. Heavenly Court's phantom aperture had advantages as well as disadvantages. A disadvantage was that it could only store immortal essence, Gu worms, and will, but could not be managed and developed like normal immortal apertures. It also had to be replenished at set intervals of time and could not last forever. An advantage was that it could store immortal Gu of any rank, just like Zhao Lian currently could store Love Gu, and not have to worry about this rank 9 immortal Gu bursting the immortal aperture. However, after attempting it, Central Continent's Gu Immortals found that they could not even open the entrance to their immortal apertures. Clearly, Sun Ming Lu had considered this issue when he constructed this Super Gu formation. This flaw was not in the Gu formation. The Gu Immortals fell into an awkward situation. They had gotten rid of Hair Mistress, but they themselves were trapped here. But there was good news. They did not need to worry about any reinforcements or the rank 8 Old Ancestor Shui who making a move against them. Because in this Super Gu formation, each snowy peak lord guarded one peak and could not leave it. Any rank 8 Gu Immortals whom invaded Snowy Mountain Blessed Land could not fight rank 6 or rank 7 Snowy Peak Lords, and could only fight Old Ancestor Shui. This rule restricted Old Ancestor Shui as well. Old Ancestor Shui could not make things difficult for rank 6 and rank 7 invaders. The reason for this rule came from Reverse Flow River. Humans aspired to move up the social ladder, while water flowed downwards due to gravity. These were rules of the world. With rank 8 as the high point, and rank 7 and rank 6 as the low, the higher-ranked Gu Immortals could only look for those of similar level or fight with stronger Gu Immortals. In the whole Gu formation, the first snowy peak was the highest point. The invaders must move on to other peaks and could not leave. This was the might of Reverse Flow River. The legends of Rinzhu recorded that even Rinzhu was not able to successfully emerge from the river. But this Reverse Flow River was, after all, only a secluded domain of heaven and earth. Sun Ming Lu used the plentiful Dao marks in this secluded domain to create the fate-reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation. And as the main parts of the formation, Old Ancestor Shui and the Snowy Peak Lords were also unable to go against this rule. If it was not Reverse Flow River, and was one or more other immortal Gu, the Gu Immortals could control the formation by themselves and create an environment favorable to themselves, instead of being in such a rigid situation like now. But regardless, even though there was this flaw, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was a solid fortress, easy to defend but hard to attack. With this Gu formation helping him, it was no wonder that Old Ancestor Shui felt extremely confident and did not hide the commotion of refining fortune rivaling Heaven Gu. Even if he wanted to hide it, he might not necessarily be able to. The crucial thing was that he was not afraid of Gu Immortals attacking. Instead, he was even waiting for them, because the Gu Immortals who died in the Gu formation, whether it be enemies or his own side, they would turn into fuel which would help him refine fortune rivaling Heaven Gu. Since that is the case, we might as well stay here and wait for the response from our reinforcements. Bu Zhenzi suggested. This suggestion was approved by the other Central Continent Gu Immortals. They were now familiar with the details of this Gu formation, but it was not of much use. Zhao Lian frowned, but she did not argue. After all, Mahong Yun was at the first peak. That was the center of the Gu formation, used to refine Gu. Even if Zhao Lian and the group charged through the many snowy peaks and reached the first peak, they would have to face the rank 8 Gu Immortal Old Ancestor Shui. Black Heaven, Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace. We have discovered a small group. South Desolation Immortal breathed out deeply. Where? Yao Huang asked. They actually ran right inside Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Strange, South Desolation Immortal was uncertain. Although he knew Central Continent Gu Immortals had entered the Spaceless Tunnel, he was not aware that an unexpected mishap had occurred in the Spaceless Tunnel. He had thought he could find the majority of Central Continent's forces, but he only discovered a small group. However, this discovery included Zhao Lian, an important person. Love Immortal Gu. The reason South Desolation Immortal woke up was due to this. Snowy mountain blessed land. Yao Huang frowned. Not all the central continent Gu Immortals have appeared. South Desolation Immortal shook his head. Maybe this is their plan of luring enemies, but whether it be rank 8 Gu Immortals or Immortal Gu houses, there are none of them. Yao Huang's frown became deeper. Just like when Fang Yuan confronted Ing Wuxia, he did not take out the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, but it had instead caused Ing Wuxia to be even more apprehensive. The situation of Yao Huang and South Desolation Immortal was largely similar. If the central continent Gu Immortals had all appeared, they would be able to use all their strength to deal with them. However, only 5 people appeared, which instead caused South Desolation Immortal and Yao Huang to not understand what the central continent Gu Immortals were planning. Was this some kind of sinister plot? Are they brewing some special plan? South Desolation Immortal thought about it before deciding. Let this group of central continent Gu Immortals fight with Snowy Mountain Blessed Land first. The important thing is still the larger portion of the central continent group. Until this larger portion appears, we will just watch the events from the side. Okay. Yao Huang nodded, but was guessing inwardly. Lord South Desolation is aware about the situation inside Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. This is not Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace's ability. Does our side have an insider in Snowy Mountain Blessed Land? Eastern Sea. The sword dragon kept on breathing out sword light. Rays of white dragon breath struck the Gu formation, causing the Gu formation to truly sway. Something is not right. Ing Wuxia and the others are not fools. Their immortal essence expenditure while activating the Super Gu formation is far greater than mine. But they are actually maintaining the stalemate without retreating and letting me attack. Do they have some other plan? Fang Yuan was attacking furiously. Although he was not able to break the formation, he firmly held the initiative. Thoughts were surging in his mind and had not stopped even for a second. They should know I have the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. Are they not afraid of me using the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle to penetrate space and enter the formation? Or is this Gu formation a trap to deal with my upper extreme Heavenly Eagle? Or could it be that Sixth Hair has already learned from Langyaland Spirit that my upper extreme Heavenly Eagle is only an egg, thus they are not afraid? Wait! Fang Yuan suddenly stopped attacking and dived inside the sea. While under the sea, he waited for a reaction from Ing Wuxia's group while activating an immortal killer move. Chi Luck Sensation. They are indeed all inside the Gu formation. Fang Yuan relaxed. It seems I was thinking too much. Fang Yuan continued to attack the Gu formation, but he gradually discovered the Gu formation was only passively defending and there were no signs of Ing Wuxia, Bai Ningbing, or the rest. Fang Yuan suddenly had a thought and stopped attacking again. Right now, he was holding the initiative, and he could choose freely whether to attack or not. On the other hand, the enemy was defending and in a very passive situation, not knowing when Fang Yuan would attack, and they had to maintain the Gu formation all the time, which consumed their immortal essence. Fang Yuan stopped his offenses, and besides maintaining the sword dragon transformation, he did not need to use up any immortal essence. Thus his expenditure was even lesser. The silent confrontation lasted for an hour. Fang Yuan gradually realized the fishy situation. The Gu formation was like a deep pool, and no commotion was visible inside. The enemy was actually firmly deciding on maintaining this stalemate with Fang Yuan. Ing Wuxia seems to have some other motive that requires the safe environment created by the Gu formation. No matter what, I cannot let him continue smoothly. I should quickly take action and destroy the formation. It seems I can't continue to hide this trump card. I need to use it early. Ing Wuxia's plan had come into effect, and Fang Yuan's Chi Luck Sensation was misled. But Fang Yuan still had sharp judgment regarding the situation. He firmly acted without hiding any trump cards. If it was earlier, Dragon Breath would be his strongest weapon, but it was different now. At the next moment, a dragon roar resounded over an enormous surrounding distance. Ancient battle formation, omnidirectional travel. Ing Wuxia's vision suddenly changed, and when his vision was stable, he was already at the regional wall. This was Eastern Sea's blue water regional wall. It was deep blue, and was like a giant screen that connected heaven and earth, expansive and boundless. The 4 Gu Immortals, Tai Bai Yunsheng, had entered He Lu Land's immortal aperture. Standing in front of the vast and mighty regional wall were as small as ants. Once they entered, the ancient battle formation could not be used, and they could only move by themselves. Because using Gu worms or immortal killer moves in the regional wall would shake their immortal apertures, the ancient battle formation would cause this even more, and the backlash would be extremely big. Just as they were looking at the regional wall, Ing Wuxia's expression changed. Bai Ningbing also subconsciously looked back, her eyes letting out sharp light as she stared at the direction they came from. The Gu formation has been broken. Bai Ningbing spoke in a heavy voice. So quickly, He Lulan was also moved. She thought of when she was trapped and compared it to how quickly Fang Yuan had broken the formation. Even if she was inside and he was outside, it clearly showed his terrifying battle strength. Did he use the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle? He Lulan quickly thought of a possibility. No, Bai Ningbing shook her head. Fang Yuan had broken the Gu formation, but did not discover anybody and was not able to obtain any Gu worms. Once the Gu formation was broken, the Gu worms would all self-detonate. How could Bai Ningbing leave behind resources for the enemy? Although the losses were huge, the scene when Fang Yuan attacked had been shown to them. In a battle between Gu immortals, information was a crucial and very important factor. Bai Ningbing, Wuxie, and the group naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity to gather information. Fang Yuan used a completely new killer move. It is probably a recent creation of his. Wuxie spoke. This killer move is terrifyingly powerful. Bai Ningbing's expression was heavy. Unless we have a method which targets it, we won't be able to last a few breaths of time, even if we combine our strengths. What? He Lulan took a sharp breath. Even the silent and expressionless Shirnu was visibly terrified. Wuxie knew the situation was far from good. He had arranged the formation and planned to delay for time. Although his plan succeeded, he had not expected it to delay him for just such a short period of time. They would have to spend some time in passing the regional wall. The crucial thing was that the nature of the sovereign immortal body made it so that the sovereign immortal body could travel through regional walls freely without any restriction. Wuxie naturally already knew about this. The Super Gu formation was forcefully broken. Fang Yuan has discovered we are not there. He will definitely use Qi Luck sensation again and search for us. If we enter the regional wall, even if I consider the best case scenario, according to Fang Yuan's previous speed, he will certainly be able to catch up to us. We would then have to fight with him inside the regional wall. So, should I not enter this regional wall? Wuxie began to let out cold sweat. His heart felt like it was pressed under an enormous weight. Wuxie judged the situation. He clearly knew his side was already on the brink of life and death, even though they were not under attack right now. If they did not handle the following situation properly, they would be in danger of dying. And whether they could get out of this danger or not would depend on his plan. The heavy pressure weighed down on Wuxie's shoulders. This did not concern only his survival, it also concerned the Gu immortals beside him. Alright, Wuxie did not care about the safety of the Gu immortals beside him. He did not even fear his own death. But if he died, who would save the demon venerable's main body? Shadow Sect was in ruins currently. He was the only hope left. How could this be? How could Fang Yuan's battle strength rise to such a level in such a short time? He cannot even use Wisdom Gu. How did he make deductions? Could it be that he gained some powerful wisdom path methods? Deducing immortal killer moves could not be done in a matter of days. Fang Yuan's trump card was too abrupt, catching Wuxie off guard. I have already used up the method to confuse the enemy. If we enter the regional wall, we will definitely have to fight Fang Yuan. Our side is at a great disadvantage. Wuxie was very clear on this. Using immortal killer moves in the regional wall would cause backlash, but Fang Yuan did not have such a restriction. The 5 regional walls were the perfect places for him to fight. Even rank 8 Gu immortals might be in a bad situation, because when rank 8s entered the regional walls, they would face much more restriction than rank 6s or rank 7s. Naturally, rank 8 Gu immortals moved through Black Heaven or White Heaven and would not stupidly travel to and fro through the regional walls. If Wuxie persisted on entering the regional wall, undoubtedly, he would be taking a huge risk. Fang Yuan had shown his trump card. Even without counting the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, just this trump card alone made Wuxie feel he could not go against Fang Yuan. No, there is still Bai Ningbing. Wuxie suddenly had a thought, secretly glancing at Bai Ningbing. He immediately felt the alliance was an extremely good decision. At the same time, he also felt some emotions. Who could have thought he would actually have to rely on Bai Ningbing's strength at this moment? This was truly, what goes around comes around. The trajectory of fate had countless changes. He, the Grand Wuxie, would actually have to rely on Bai Ningbing, who had been arranged as a pawn before. But how much strength does Bai Ningbing have? It has not been long since she inherited Bai Xiang Grotto Heaven. Wuxie did not have much confidence as he thought on it. He then thought, but if don't enter the regional wall now, we can only wander around in Eastern Sea. Omnidirectional travel is also not a method that can be used repeatedly and requires some time before it can be used again. If so, we will sooner or later be found by Fang Yuan. More importantly, this is Eastern Sea. All the Gu immortals on my side are of other regions. Wuxie's physical body was a Western Desert immortal zombie. Bai Ningbing was a Southern Border Gu immortal. Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lulan were from Northern Plains, and Shirnu was from Central Continent. There was not one Eastern Sea Gu immortal. Foreign region Gu immortals would be marginalized in other regions and even be hunted. Although this was not too common in Eastern Sea, one should not forget that Fang Yuan was an Eastern Sea Gu immortal. Sovereign immortal body. It could completely blend into any region and become a Gu immortal of that region. When the time comes in which both sides battle, and Eastern Sea Gu immortals appear, and Fang Yuan had the upper hand, it goes without saying that the Eastern Sea Gu immortals would help Fang Yuan. Few people would provide help when one desperately needed it, but there were many who would add fuel to the fire. So if we stay in Eastern Sea, we might not only be facing Fang Yuan, but other Eastern Sea Gu immortals as well. Ing Wuxie smiled bitterly. After experiencing many setbacks, he had matured immeasurably. Thinking through all elements comprehensively, it was incomparable to the past. Moreover, Fang Yuan still has the upper extreme heavenly eagle. We must go to northern plains. Snowy mountain-blessed land is our only hope. We can use the rank 8 Gu immortal to kill him. After considering everything, Ing Wuxie finally made a firm resolution and flew straight into the regional wall. Several hours later, a sword dragon flew over from far away. Trying to enter northern plains? This sword dragon was Fang Yuan's transformation. Everything was like Ing Wuxie expected. After he broke the Gu formation, he did not discover any trace of Ing Wuxie and the rest. How would Fang Yuan not understand that the other side had made a ploy to escape? Fortunately, he had not hesitated to expose his trump card and forcibly destroy the Gu formation. Otherwise, he would still be in the dark. It seems that although Qi Luck sensation can detect the target, it can also be misled. Then this target I am sensing, will it also be false? If it was false, Fang Yuan could do nothing about it. After all, this was his only clue. But if it was real, I can get rid of you all in the regional wall. All of you are actually traveling in the regional wall in front of me. You are courting death. Waiting was often long and difficult to endure. He was unable to sit still, pacing back and forth in the large hall. Uez was sitting cross-legged on the ground with his eyes closed. He spoke with dissatisfaction. Can't you rest properly? Don't move back and forth. Zhang yelled. I have already rested enough, Sai. How long do we have to wait? Until the other group arrives. Bu Zhenzi spoke. If they don't come, do we continue waiting forever? Zhao Lian frowned. She was also somewhat impatient. When fighting with Hair Mistress, the 5 immortals were all wholeheartedly focused and did not feel anything. Now that they were cooped up in here, every second became unbearable. Zhao Lian was feeling even worse, like a fire was burning her heart. Bu Zhenzi frowned and was about to speak. But at this moment, Zhao Lian spoke again. You must have some thoughts. All of you have seen and even personally gone through the final moment in the spaceless tunnel. Do you think that perhaps the other Gu immortals have died there? Impossible. Zhang was the first to refute it, as he glared at Zhao Lian with anger. His father, Gu, was among those Gu immortals. Zhao Lian's words were like predicting his father's death. Zhao Lian ignored Zhang's attitude, continuing. You are all aware that we came here because of Love Gu's power. But the other Gu immortals did not get such help. Even the immortal Gu houses were on the verge of destruction at that time, let alone Gu immortals. If there are no reinforcements, how long do we wait for? The other Gu immortals had slight changes in their expressions. They actually had such worries, but it was just that they did not take the initiative to speak up. Now, Zhao Lian had brought up this topic. Bu Zhenzi thought, and spoke in a deep voice. Your speculation is not impossible. But even if there are no reinforcements, Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects will send a second group of Gu immortals. Zhao Lian continued. Can the second group of reinforcements reach here? You have all experienced the difficulties and dangers we faced on our way. Can spaceless tunnels still be used a second time? Even if it can be used, can we be at ease using it again? Bu Zhenzi firmly stared at Zhao Lian's eyes and spoke solemnly. You need to believe in our sect, Zhao Lian. You are Spirit Affinity House's fairy. The sect is your biggest backer. If you don't believe in even the sect, who can you trust? Zhao Lian sharply sensed Bu Zhenzi's displeasure, but she disregarded it and continued. Even if the sect sends reinforcements and they reach here, what about the time? When will they arrive here? What price will they have to pay? Will there be mishaps again? This is Northern Plains, not Central Continent. Bu Zhenzi was silent. He was unable to retort to Zhao Lian's words. Zhao Lian let out a breath of air. In short, I don't want to wait any longer. You have to wait even if you don't want to. Bu Zhenzi frowned in anger. He stared at Zhao Lian. Both did not retreat and were fixated on their own stance. Zhao Lian's eyes were soon filled with mist. She moved her sight and looked the other way. If, during this time, Hong Yun is killed, what would we do? Can you make a guarantee? In truth, Zhao Lian was feeling more and more afraid as she waited. What she was afraid of was not her own safety. Instead, under the situation where the reinforcements were far away, waiting could not solve the problem. If during this time, Fang Yuan was harmed by old ancestor Shui Hu and successfully used as a Gu material to refine fortune rivaling heaven Immortal Gu, this would be Zhao Lian lifetime regret. In the future, when she recalled it, she would be filled with extreme regret. Regret that she had once been so close to Fang Yuan, charging into snowy mountain-blessed land, and fate gave her a perfect opportunity, but she did not take it. The blurry view of the first peak could be seen from the 9th peak. It was such a short distance, but she just kept on waiting here, losing the final chance. Zhao Lian did not want to see such a thing happening. That result would make her feel sadness and pain that was worse than death. The other 3 immortals did not find it convenient to meddle in the quarrel between Zhao Lian and Bu Zhenzi. After all, it was Spirit Affinity House's internal matter. Bu Zhenzi retorted. Even if you don't want to wait, can you save Fang Yuan? Even if you are able to defeat other Snowy Peak lords, don't forget that you will have to face old ancestor Shui Hu in the end, because Fang Yuan is kept at the first peak. I know. Zhao Lian clenched her fists, her voice becoming sharper. But you said as well that before old ancestor Shui Hu, we will have to deal with the other 10 or so Snowy Peak lords. We can get rid of them first. In any case, rank 8 Gu immortals cannot act against us in this Gu formation. With this, once our reinforcements arrive, we can directly attack the first peak, saving time and energy. Bu Zhenzi was furious, his expression turning dark. Then I will speak frankly. This Super Gu formation amplifies the enemy's power while weakening us. If we leave this place, we will be forcefully separated by the formation and transported to other snowy peaks. Will each of you be able to fight them alone? In the previous battle, Lian and I led the main attack. What help can you 3 rank 6s bring? Bu Zhenzi spoke bluntly, but the 3 rank 6 Gu immortals were not able to retort because what he said was a fact. Zhao Lian lowered her head in silence for a while, before she raised her head and said, "Then I am going to use Love Gu again." Bu Zhenzi scoffed. "Who do you think you are? Will Love Gu listen to you and allow you to control it?" Back then, even Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was not able to refine Love Gu. That is because he did not receive the acknowledgement of Love Gu. Zhao Lian retorted. "So what you are saying is that all the other fairies of Spirit Affinity House were useless? Not even one of them was able to control Love Gu." Bu Zhenzi sneered. "How would I know without trying?" Zhao Lian was persistent. Bu Zhenzi laughed, and was just about to speak when Zhao Lian had already taken action. She called out in her heart, "Love Gu, oh Love Gu, please display your might. Take the 5 of us to another snowy peak." Love Gu did not even budge, as if it was dead. Zhao Lian was unwilling to give up. She continued to pray and beg in her heart. Bu Zhenzi noticed Zhao Lian's stillness, and was about to speak, but right at this moment, Love Gu's aura rose from Zhao Lian's body, and, at the same time, bright radiance covered Zhao Lian. The other 4 immortals were extremely shocked. All of their eyes were wide open as they stared fixedly at this sight. Lian could not help but say, It seems like the time when we left Spaceless Tunnel and appeared at Snowy Mountain-blessed land. It was this aura, and also the light." "Continue, don't stop." Shi Zheng urged. At the next moment, the light moving around Zhao Lian seemed to act on its own, as it spread towards the other 4 Gu immortals. "Like this, we can charge our way towards the other snowy peaks. Maybe it can directly take us out of Snowy Mountain-blessed land." Shi Zheng was hopeful. Bu Zhenzi's mouth was wide open, unable to say a word at this moment. The shock he felt was much more intense than the others. Love Gu cannot be controlled. This is absolutely true from history. Even Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was left without options. But why? Why is Love Gu so obedient in Zhao Lian's hands? Could it be that Zhao Lian is the strongest fairy in the whole history of Spirit Affinity House? No, it is more likely because of her status. She is an otherworldly demon. Could it be that otherworldly demons and Love Gu complement each other? Others cannot control Love Gu, but an otherworldly demon is an exception. Countless thoughts welled up in Bu Zhenzi's mind, like surging waves in the sea. While he was thinking, the space behind him suddenly ruptured and turned into a fist-sized black hole. The black hole let out an unimaginable suction force, forcibly dragging in Bu Zhenzi. A person as strong as Bu Zhenzi, a rank 7 Gu immortal, was unable to do anything and was directly dragged in, disappearing from the spot. At the same time, the same thing happened to other Gu immortals. In the blink of an eye, this large hall was empty and silent. "We have left the 9th snowy peak." Bu Zhenzi held feelings of shock, as he sized up his surroundings the moment his feet landed on solid ground. This was similarly inside a large hall. But this hall was different from the previous one. The previous hall was decorated and beautiful, and seemingly emitted feminine aura, while this hall was majestic and grand, with a masculine air emanating from it. Which snowy peak is this? Bu Zhenzi had this thought. But shortly afterwards, his expression suddenly changed as he shouted, "Damn it!" He found that he was the only one in the whole hall. The other 4 Gu immortals were nowhere to be seen. He sobered himself up. Looks like I was overthinking it. Zhao Lian might be an otherworldly demon, but how can she control Love Gu? Love Gu is still unreliable and has countless abilities. Who knows when it will act up? I was sent here. What about the others? Where are they? It would be best if they were together. Zhao Lian would be slightly more safe then. But if Zhao Lian is alone, Bu Zhenzi did not dare to continue thinking. Right at this time, an inky black shadow crept near him from the ground and silently attacked him. Bu Zhenzi's instinct set off warning signs. He quickly jumped back and dodged. But the shadow was like a viper, extremely fast, and within a breath of time, it had pounced towards Bu Zhenzi's feet. Turn phantom. At the crucial moment, Bu Zhenzi used his specialty as a phantom path Gu Immortal, turning into phantom form. The shadow helplessly passed through him, reaching behind Bu Zhenzi. Clap, clap, clap. A series of claps could be heard. It is indeed phantom path. A Gu Immortal showed himself. This person was tall and well-built, with residues of a beard on his face. His eyes had no white color, being completely black. The most eye-catching thing was he had a skin-like black cloak draping behind him. Bu Zhenzi's pupils shrunk slightly as he recognized this person. Since the Central Continent Gu Immortals had come to save Fang Yuan, how could they not have information on snowy mountain-blessed land? So it is Shadow King. Bu Zhenzi lightly spoke, pointing out the other Gu Immortal's identity. At the same time, he also realized he was now at the 7th peak of snowy mountain-blessed land. Previously, this 7th peak's owner had been Shuesongzi. However, after Shuesongzi died, a demonic path Gu Immortal joined of his own accord, and it was this person. In fact, snowy mountain-blessed land was a place which Northern Plains demonic path Gu Immortals were attracted towards, especially those demons who were wanted by Huangjin tribes, needing to find a reliable backer like old ancestor Shuehu. Perhaps there were also some Gu Immortals, wanting to prolong their lives, who joined snowy mountain-blessed land because of Lady Wan Shou. Naturally, because old ancestor Shuehu was refining fortune rivaling Heaven Gu, it caused the morale of the members of snowy mountain-blessed land to drop. Shadow King looked at Bu Zhenzi and laughed. You guys from Central Continent truly came running into death. It isn't certain who dies yet. Bu Zhenzi sneered. Is that so? Shadow King suddenly turned into a pitch-black shadow, pouncing towards Bu Zhenzi. Rumble. At the next instance, muffled explosions resounded from the 7th snowy peak. The large hall shook. Large amounts of snow that had accumulated on the mountain rolled down, forming a small avalanche. Different from what Bu Zhenzi had expected, Zhao Lian was not alone, but also was not with all the other immortals. 12th peak. Both sides had already started fighting. Oh, 2 little ants. Humph. See how I step on you and send you to death. The 12th snowy peak lord called out, and stepped fiercely with his right leg. The 12th snowy peak lord had transformed into a giant with the head of a bull and body of a human. His 2 legs had also turned into thick and firm bull legs. Bam! The bull leg stomped, creating a deep pit. The peak lord had powerful might. The 2 Central Continent Gu Immortals quickly retreated. One was Zhao Lian, and the other was Shi Zhengyi. Zhao Lian was slightly pale. The enemy was a giant while she had limited battle experience. This no doubt created strong mental pressure on her. Shi Zhengyi had rolled away on the ground, barely dodging the bull leg. He was clenching his teeth. Damn it! He turned around and stood up from the ground. Take this. Leleleleleel. Shi Zhengyi opened his mouth, flicking his tongue like a fast mechanical spring. With every flick, a crimson sword light shot out from the tip of his tongue at an extremely fast rate. Zhao Lian was speechless for a moment. Normal people could only curl up their tongue. Some might not even be able to do that. It was the first time Zhao Lian had seen someone's tongue actually contracting and darting forward like a mechanical spring. The crimson sword light was extremely sharp. The 12th snowy peak lord had transformed into a giant which had thick skin and a sturdy physique, but the crimson sword light opened up holes all over his body. So painful. The 12th peak lord cried out in pain and raised his arms to protect his head. For a moment, he could only defend and could not attack. All his momentum from before was suppressed. So powerful. Zhao Lian praised. Naturally, this is my vital immortal Gu, sword tongue Gu. Shi Zhengyi flicked his tongue, sending out crimson sword light, while also replying to Zhao Lian. The strange thing was that his voice was clear even. Then, are you a sword path Gu Immortal? Zhao Lian asked. No. I cultivate information path. Shi Zhengyi replied, speaking while still fighting, so you are so strong. Zhao Lian had a new level of respect towards Shi Zhengyi, this person who had thick eyebrows, large eyes, and was somewhat lacking in brains. Hee hee. I have sworn to defeat all the evils and demons in the world. Shi Zheng Yi looked quite pleased and smug. Don't be so happy. The 12th peak lord roared. Boom. An overwhelming aura suddenly erupted from his giant body. The majestic aura shot everywhere, creating a huge air wave. Not good. It is an immortal killer move. Defend. Shi Zheng Yi and Zhao Lian defended with all their might, but it was of no use. The air wave was extremely powerful. The two were like a pair of small toys, easily sent flying. With the 12th peak lord at the center, the floor tiles of the hall started flying all around, turning the whole scene into chaos. Thump thump, Zhao Lian and Shi Zheng Yi crashed into the walls, throwing out mouthfuls of blood. Their whole bodies were suffering from intense pain. Their internal organs were bleeding and their bones were fractured. With one attack, the 12th peak lord had completely turned around the slight disadvantage and now had the upper hand. This is a chi path killer move. How could it be so powerful? Zhao Lian and Shi Zheng Yi endured the pain and struggled to stand up. The two were sent flying and were quite far from each other right now. How was it? Did you like my, Zhao Dinyo's, immortal killer move, Rising Heaven Bull Chi? You are young and also powerful. Unfortunately, my battle strength is amplified in this formation, and it has risen to rank 7 level. How can you possibly compete with me? Ha ha. Zhao Dinyo laughed loudly. His laughter filled the hall like a huge wave. Watch as I stomp you to death. Suddenly, Zhao Dinyo stopped laughing, gazing malevolently at Shi Zheng Yi. He bent his waist and knees and suddenly jumped towards Shi Zheng Yi like a small hill. Rumble. A loud crashing sound echoed as Zhao Dinyo pressed Shi Zheng Yi to the ground. Shi Zheng Yi. Zhao Lian cried out in shock. This was a horrifying sight, being crushed by the heavy Zhao Dinyo. Would Shi Zheng Yi not be turned into meat paste? But the next moment, Zhao Dinyo's back protruded up. Shi Zheng Yi stood up from below, lifting Zhao Dinyo up with his hands, and with a yell, he actually pushed Zhao Dinyo away. This was like a small rabbit pushing away a lion. This unimaginable scene caused Zhao Lian to open her eyes wide. What? My transformation has the weight of a desolate beast bull. You actually pushed me away? Even Zhao Dinyo found it unbelievable. Shi Zheng Yi was coughing up blood. After pushing away Zhao Dinyo, he knelt down on the ground, extremely tired. This is the power of justice. Shi Zheng Yi spoke with difficulty. Don't speak. You are coughing up too much blood. Zhao Lian called out. Bullshit justice. Zhao Dinyo pulled himself together and charged towards Shi Zheng Yi again. He was extremely huge, but right now, his speed was like the wind, not fitting with his body size at all. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Dinyo was right in front of Shi Zheng Yi. Ah, look at the power of my justice. Shi Zheng Yi shouted, and actually collided head-on. Bam! A muffled sound echoed. Zhao Lian felt pain in her body just from hearing the sound. Shi Zheng Yi was like a small ball that was thrown far away, coughing up large amounts of blood. Then, like a broken sack, he fell to the ground, his blood dyeing the path red. I will kill you. Zhao Dinyo was just about to rush forward and give a fatal blow to Shi Zheng Yi, but he had just stepped forward when he found his whole body was tied by a bright silver chain. At the other end of the chain was Zhao Lian. She had already been preparing to activate her immortal killer move. Unfortunately, real battle was different from practice, especially this intense atmosphere which caused Zhao Lian to fail twice in activating her killer move. But it was fortunate that Shi Zheng Yi had stalled for time, and Zhao Lian finally succeeded on her third attempt. Immortal killer move, life-locking silver chain. Cough cough. Thank you. This killer move is really beautiful. Obtaining precious time for a breather, Shi Zheng Yi crawled up from the ground, coughing up blood in between his words. Don't speak. You are still coughing blood. Zhao Lian was worried for him. Hee, you don't understand. I cultivate information path. By continuing to speak, I can heal my injuries. The louder I shout, the more powerful my attack becomes. Shi Zheng Yi spoke of the reason. Little girl, you are annoying. Zhao Dinyo roared and exerted strength from both of his arms, trying to break the chains on him. But no matter how much strength he used, he was unable to break these chains. Since it's like this. Zhao Dinyo gave a malevolent smile, activating the killer move Rising Heaven Bull Chi. Boom. An intense explosion shook the hall. The surging air wave erupted once again, and this time, it sent the ceiling of the hall flying. Clang clang. Crisp sounds echoed as the silver chain broke into countless pieces. Before these chain fragments touched the ground, they turned into specks of silver light and disappeared completely. Zhao Dinyo used his main killer move to destroy the life-locking silver chain and was free now. On the contrary, Zhao Lian and Shi Zheng Yi were struck by the air wave again. Both coughed out blood as they fell to the ground, unable to stand up. Damn it. Shi Zheng Yi wanted to climb up, but his whole body was on the verge of breaking apart. As for Zhao Lian, she had already fallen into a stupor. Her injuries were worse than Shi Zhengyi's. Because life-locking silver chain was forcefully broken, Zhao Lian had suffered backlash. Adding on Zhao Dinyo's immortal killer move, her injuries had worsened. She had rank 9 Love Immortal Gu, but from the start of the battle, she had not seen Love Immortal Gu being activated. Love Immortal Gu could not be controlled. Even if it showed its strength, it might not necessarily be the correct solution to the problem. Darkness. The stupefied Zhao Lian felt she was floating amidst boundless darkness. This is the feeling of death. So this is death. I must be the biggest failure of a transmigrator in history. I actually died at the hands of an irrelevant side character. Let me just go down like this after I die. I won't have to feel so exhausted and anguished anymore. As she was thinking of this, Zhao Lian suddenly heard a sound coming from the darkness. This sound was calling out her name. Zhao Lian. Zhao Lian. Who is calling for me? I hear my name. Why do I feel that this voice is so familiar? Ah, I remember. Isn't this my voice before I lost it? Zhao Lian suddenly recalled a scene of the past. It was during the time of the imperial court contest. Zhao Lian's father had died, and she was treated as a political chip for an arranged marriage. However, she went against this fate by relying on Ma Hongyun. In just a short while, she had turned from a wealthy young miss to an orphan. One day, Ma Hongyun brought her to a valley. Look, I found a good place for you. Ma Hongyun looked pleased. Zhao Lian gazed around, but when she discovered this was just a common small valley, her mouth uncontrollably twitched. What is special about this? Isn't it just a normal valley? There is not even nice scenery. What are you saying? Ma Hongyun's eyes opened wide. Valleys are very rare in northern plains. Here, let me teach you. Shout at the valley with your name, and the valley will reply to you. Like this. Ma Hongyun took a deep breath, then yelled to the valley, Zhao. Lian, Yun. An echo soon came from the valley, Zhao. Lian, Yun. Zhao Lian helplessly rolled her eyes. Foolish people are the happiest. What is strange about echoes? I truly haven't seen anyone as dense as you. Ha ha. Ma Hongyun rubbed his hair. Others have said I am an idiot. I am truly an idiot. How could I be as smart as Lady Xiao Yun? But, when I felt sad in my childhood, when I was teased by others and no one played with me, I used to run to the valley near my home and shout at the valley. I call my name once, and the valley will reply back to me once. When I call again, the valley will reply again. It played with me, never abandoning or ignoring me, unless my voice was not loud and clear enough. I saw you were not feeling happy recently. There is probably no one to play with you, right? I have to be beside the young clan leader and cannot accompany you all the time. So when you are unhappy, come to this valley and play with it. Zhao Lian did not speak. She looked at Ma Hongyun, who had an earnest expression. A feeling of pity rose in her heart. This Ma Hongyun is so silly, but he is not bad at heart. He must have lived a very sad life since a young age. Even now, when he works under young clan leader, he is scolded frequently. But I have never seen him cry in sorrow. He is always smiling the whole day. Forget it. Let me play with you then. Thinking of this, Zhao Lian took a deep breath and called at the valley with her name. Ma Hongyun was so happy he almost danced when he saw Zhao Lian following his words. That's wrong. You should shout louder. Be louder. Zhao Lian shouted once again. Ma Hongyun shook his head. You are still not loud enough. The valley can hear you only if you are loud. It is not responding to you now, because it is not able to listen to you. Zhao Lian took in a deep breath and shouted with her loudest voice. Zhao Lian. The valley replied. Zhao Lian. Ma Hongyun laughed heartily. Zhao Lian also felt very refreshed. All her sadness seemed to have decreased, and her mood also brightened. Zhao Lian. Zhao Lian. Zhao Lian. In the darkness, the voice shouted constantly. Zhao Lian, what are you doing? Don't be lost. Zhao Lian, you are not alone. Heaven and earth is with you. As long as you shout loudly, heaven and earth will hear you. Zhao Lian, wake up. There is someone who is still waiting for you to rescue him. That person once stood beside you, accompanied you to watch the stars, accompanied you to call out to the valley. Go help him. Go help him. He must be feeling lonely now, or maybe even afraid. Shout loudly. Send out your voice. Let him know you are coming. Let him know he has to persevere. Let him know he has hope. Yes, I will save him. How can I fall here? Zhao Lian suddenly opened her eyes. She had woken up from her stupor. The moment she woke up, she found her whole body was burning with a pale blue light. This blue light was let out by Love Immortal Gu. Zhao Lian's injuries rapidly recovered, and her condition was soaring. The blue light also shone towards the surroundings. Zhao Dinyo retreated step by step, his face filled with horror. Ah, what is this light? It is heavier than a mountain. This aura, what immortal goo is this? Shi Zhengyi was similarly bathed in the light. He suddenly stood up, feeling inexhaustible energy within him. His injuries had already disappeared, and his condition had reached an unprecedented peak. Thank you, Zhao Lian. Leave this to me now. All you evildoers, I will strike you down. Take my fist of justice. Zhang Yi shouted loudly. The louder he shouted, the more powerful his immortal killer move became. A giant fist of light rose up from his body and struck towards Zhao Denyo. Boom. Like the roar of thunder, Zhao Denyo's defensive methods were broken. A bloody hole appeared in his wide chest from which one could see the wall behind him. Zhao Denyo's eyes gradually lost their luster before he fell down. Bam! His body collapsed on the ground, no longer moving. Several breaths of time later, his body, soul, and immortal aperture turned into pure energy that was absorbed by the fate, reversing sacrificial refinement formation. Haha, justice prevailed. Zhang Yi raised his fist and yelled. Zhao Lian smiled from the side. Northern Plains, Licorice Regional Wall. Dragon roars resounded throughout the surroundings. Wuxia, where do you think you are going? It was Fang Yuan in sword dragon form, who had finally caught up to Wuxia and the group, under Qi Luck Sensation's guidance. Wuxia and the group immediately turned around and faced Fang Yuan, their expressions extremely solemn. Wuxia had said Fang Yuan would catch up to them, so the 5 immortals were already mentally prepared for it and not panicked. Right now, they were waiting for the start of this vicious battle. The sword dragon roared, opening its mouth wide, revealing fangs that were sharp like spears and very ferocious. Its eyes were ruthless and cold, emitting bone-chilling killing intent. Without saying any nonsense, Fang Yuan directly charged forward. To kill. If you want to go against my lord, you must go through me first. The loyal Shirnu took a step forward, standing in front of the group, and raised his right hand. A tall and thick rock wall immediately rose up and formed an obstacle. Boom, boom, boom. At the next moment, the rock wall was pierced through repeatedly. Fang Yuan had used his dragon breath. The extremely sharp rays of dragon breath shot forward and gathered into a rain of sword light that pierced through the rock wall, moving towards the 5 immortals. Hei Lulan gave a cry, breathing out small fire birds from her mouth. These small birds could act on their own. They moved towards Fang Yuan's dragon breath. The fire birds collided into the dragon breath, turning into balls of flames that dissipated in the air. Angry bird. Fang Yuan was slightly surprised. This was clearly a fire path method. He had not expected Hei Lulan to use it. The external appearance of these firebirds made Fang Yuan think of Blazing Heaven Demoness. Back then during the battle in Eastern Sea, Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng, along with Shark Demon, Su Bai Man as well as the one-finger flow shark, were unable to beat Blazing Heaven Demoness. Blazing Heaven Demoness' immortal killer move, Angry Bird, had left an extremely deep impression on Fang Yuan. But the firebirds Hei Lulan used were different from the true Angry Bird. After Hei Lulan's Strength Path Immortal Gu were sent to Fang Yuan, she suffered from a lack of Strength Path Immortal Gu to support her battle strength. In Eastern Sea, she then chose to cultivate Fire Path, which was not complemented by the Strength Path Dao marks in her body. She possessed a Fire Path inheritance. When Blazing Heaven Demoness met Hei Lulan, she secretly handed her Fire Path inheritance to Hei Lulan. Blazing Heaven Demoness felt extreme guilt towards Hei Lulan and thought of every way to compensate her. Hei Lulan received the Fire Path inheritance and had not cared about it originally, feeling she would not use it in her whole life. But who could expect the way events unfolded? Under strange coincidences, she chose to focus on Fire Path. Naturally, she did not have even a trace of Fire Path Dao marks in her, but she possessed all the immortal Gu of Blazing Heaven Demoness. This matter would have to be traced back to before the Battle of Etian Mountain. To refine Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu, Spectral Soul had no choice but to sacrifice the whole of Zombie Alliance, using the countless immortal zombies as immortal materials to further the progress of refinement. Zombie Alliance was underneath Shadow Sect from its establishment and was controlled by Shadow Sect. It was just that many immortal zombies did not know of this fact despite joining Zombie Alliance. Zombie Alliance had gone all out in establishing super Gu formations to protect immortal zombie corpses. But in truth, this was a perfect excuse and a way to keep them in captivity. Using this chance, Shadow Sect assassinated all the immortal zombies. It did not matter if the dead apertures of the immortal zombies existed or not, but the immortal Gu in them were all safely stored. Northern Plains Zombie Alliance's immortal Gu were all still hidden in Dark Flow Giant City. Wuxia and Hei Lulan were far away in Eastern Sea, but there was still Sixth Hair in Northern Plains. Dark Flow Giant City was hidden in the depths of Earth Trench. Sixth Hair quietly sneaked in and used his methods to take away all the immortal Gu of Blazing Heaven Demoness, sending them to Wuxia. After Wuxia refined them, he gave them to Hei Lulan. Hei Lulan already had Blazing Heaven Demoness true inheritance, and with the immortal Gu as well, She could almost replicate all the methods of Blazing Heaven Demonis. Fang Yuan did not know of this before, but now that he saw these firebirds, he immediately had a pensive look. The sword-light dragon breath continued to be breathed out. Tai Bai Yunsheng quickly acted and added the protection of cloud rings around the other Gu immortals. Tai Bai Yunsheng mainly cultivated time path, but man as before and landscape as before were traded to Fang Yuan, so he chose to cultivate cloud path. He already had a foundation in cloud path, and with Shadow Sect not lacking on cloud path true inheritances, the defensive method he used right now was quite good. However, after Tai Bai Yunsheng placed a cloud ring around his allies, his expression turned pale. When Gu immortals use their immortal killer moves inside the regional walls, their immortal killer moves would tremor. Using the immortal killer move 5 times caused Tai Bai Yunsheng's immortal aperture to tremor 5 times, inflicting huge losses. Interesting. Fang Yuan smiled sinisterly. His dragon body moved in a zigzag fashion and lightly flew to the sky. Ying Wuxie and the rest looked somber. In this regional wall, every movement of theirs was performed with difficulty, having to constantly resist the formless repulsion and attraction forces. On the contrary, Fang Yuan could move easily and freely. Fang Yuan flew high above, immediately gaining control of the situation. He looked down from above and moved around, breathing out dragon breath constantly. Sword light fell down towards the heads of the 5 immortals like rain. Defend, don't split up, we can't fight him alone. Ying Wuxie shouted loudly, reminding everyone. Seeing the sword light falling towards them, Ying Wuxie suddenly roared, letting out an incomparably sharp screech. Immortal killer move, Soul Howl. Soul Howl's power completely covered the sky, but did not affect the surrounding Gu immortals in the slightest, showing Ying Wuxie's outstanding control. Fang Yuan's offenses were immediately suppressed. The sword-light dragon breath clearly stopped for a moment, before quickly recovering. Since I am going against Shadow Sect, how could I not have prepared against soul path attacks? Fang Yuan sneered inwardly. He was already mentally prepared. However, he did not have a method to protect his soul against soul path immortal Gu, so he was hit by the attack and affected. But his soul's foundation was extremely robust. He was completely able to endure the attack of Soul Howl. It would not matter even if his soul was injured because he had Guts Gu. Damn it! Ying Wuxie cursed while blocking the sword-light dragon breath. He knew Fang Yuan had Guts Gu. Guts Gu was only immortal Gu, but it came from Dang Hun Mountain and was beyond ordinary. A secluded domain of heaven and earth like Dang Hun Mountain had an enormous amount of Dao marks. The total surpassed even rank 9 immortal Gu. However, secluded domains of heaven and earth had scattered Dao marks, though they could be of the same type and closely linked together. While rank 9 immortal Gu were fragments of the great Dao, they could be controlled by a Gu immortal to bring out mysterious powers. Rank 9 immortal Gu and secluded domains of heaven and earth could not truly be compared and evaluated. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Sword light fell down like rain. The 5 immortals were stifled. There were traces of sword cuts everywhere on the ground. The 5 immortals naturally did not like being suppressed like this. The best way to deal with such a focused attack was to separate and dodge. But if they did that, Fang Yuan would have the chance to attack them separately. But the 5 immortals would not take being beaten down passively. Shirnu had finally finished his preparations as he activated an immortal killer move. Rumble. Muffled sounds echoed continuously. Earth shook. A large hand made completely from soil and rocks rose up from the ground. The large hand spread open and slowly hovered above the 5 immortals' heads, protecting Ying Wuxie and the others under its palm. The thick back of the hand took on the sharp dragon breath. Despite the large earth path hand being badly mauled and showing signs of being destroyed, He Lulan had finished preparing her killer move using this chance. She stretched out her right arm, her 5 fingers, together with no gaps between them, as she thrust it at the sky. Boom! A burning crimson ray of light erupted from between her fingers, and with breakneck speed, it pierced through the whole large hand and rushed towards Fang Yuan. This immortal killer move was astonishingly fast, and it was concealed by the large earth path hand. If Fang Yuan was even the slightest bit inattentive, he would definitely be struck. However, this ray of fire did not hit Fang Yuan and was easily avoided by him lightly moving his dragon body. It actually did not hit. He Lulan's heart sank. 3 breaths future vision. He Lulan did not know that Fang Yuan had such a time path investigative killer move. Strange. He Lulan is a strength path Gu immortal and is using fire path methods, but she is actually not impeded by the conflict of Dao marks. It should be from Shadow Sect's methods. After all, Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu was designed by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. He Lulan's efforts were in vain, and instead gave away some of her details. Soon, the large earth path hand collapsed, and the sword-light dragon breath continued to rain down. However, The five immortals were no longer as hurried before. Each used their immortal killer moves to defend against the sword light rain. Then how about this move? Let me see how you deal with it. Fang Yuan firmly held the initiative, easily using another immortal killer move. Time path, Year Beast summoning. Roar. A tiger-shaped year beast answered the summoning and appeared in the regional wall, helping Fang Yuan battle. Fang Yuan threw large amounts of mortal Year Gu, raising the morale of the tiger year beast as it charged towards Wuxia and the group. Nu felt bitter. The sword light dragon breath was already difficult to cope with. Now there was an ancient year beast worsening the situation. This year beast could similarly move freely in the regional wall. The reason was similar to the cloud beasts. The cloud beasts were life forms of white heaven and were not native to the 5 regions. Thus they were not restricted by the regional walls. While the year beasts which lived in the river of time were similar. Allow me. Wuxia stepped forward and used an extremely similar method. Soul Path, Soul Beast Summoning. In the past, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had created Soul Path, thus Shadow Sect was most proficient in Soul Path. Hey Fan could think of summoning year beasts. How could Shadow Sect not have similar methods? Wuxia's method was extraordinary, summoning 3 ancient soul beasts at once. My soul beasts are not influenced by the regional wall, because they come from the door of life and death. Wuxia's complacency did not last long, because he saw that Fang Yuan had already rushed forward. The sword dragon snaked around, flying extremely fast. It grabbed forward with its dragon claws, directly destroying a soul beast's head. Its tail whipped, severing the thigh of another soul beast. It breathed out. Dragon breath pierced through the 3rd ancient soul beast. Fang Yuan's sword dragon transformation had outstanding battle strength. The main thing was that Fang Yuan also had Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable's immortal killer move on him, Ghostly Concealment. This made any soul beast unable to sense his existence. Thus, with Fang Yuan's battle strength surpassing the ancient soul beasts, and the soul beasts unable to sense him, Fang Yuan had huge superiority when fighting the soul beasts. These soul beasts could not even react before they were severely injured by Fang Yuan. Fortunately, soul beasts did not have a clear weak point on them, otherwise they would have been completely destroyed by Fang Yuan. But even so, the soul beasts had clearly thinned, becoming increasingly transparent. Wuxia's expression was unsightly, but he simply watched as Fang Yuan destroyed the 3 ancient soul beasts without making a move. Wuxia inwardly thought, it doesn't matter, even if you kill these 3 ancient soul beasts, so what? I can use the killer move again and summon another 3 ancient soul beasts. What is found everywhere in the door of life and death? Souls and soul beasts. But at this time, Fang Yuan suddenly gave up on attacking the ancient soul beasts and activated Sword Escape. Sword Escape, Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan's speed suddenly erupted, leaving behind an afterimage in his original spot. Fast, fast, fast. Tai Bai Yunsheng could not react at all and was struck by Fang Yuan's claws. The cloud ring protecting him directly collapsed. His stomach was torn open and his large intestine spilled out. He did not die? Fang Yuan was surprised. He had wanted to use Dragon Breath. After all, the Dragon Breath was the most powerful weapon of his sword dragon transformation. But at the crucial moment, a layer of ice had sealed his mouth out of nowhere. Fang Yuan could not open his mouth, thus he chose to use his claws. But his speed was too fast and rushed. Fang Yuan could not use his full strength. As a result, most of the strength of his claws was offset by Tai Bai Yunsheng's cloud ring, and Tai Bai Yunsheng thus was barely able to survive. It is by Ning Bing. Fang Yuan exerted strength, forcibly opening his dragon mouth, breaking the ice on it. Fang Yuan looked back. His speed was too fast, and right now, he was already a few li away from the 5 immortals. Bai Ning Bing was guarding in front of the 4 immortals. Her icy blue eyes emitted cold light as she stared at Fang Yuan with no fear. Quick, quick! He Lulan grabbed Tai Bai Yunsheng's leg and dragged him to the rear. Then, she sat down and used healing methods, but unfortunately, Tai Bai Yunsheng's injuries were severe and for the moment showed no signs of healing. Once a Gu immortal was injured, it was difficult to heal, because of the conflict between Dao marks. Once Fang Yuan's ancient sword dragon transformation injured someone, it would leave behind large amounts of sword path Dao marks. This was very hard to endure for Tai Bai Yunsheng's fragile human body. Oh, if I had man as before, it would not be so troublesome. Saying this, Tai Bai Yunsheng fainted, his life hanging by a thread. This was after He Lulan used all her healing methods. Damned Fang Yuan, his true target was Tai Bai Yunsheng. Wuxia's expression was ashen. He could see Fang Yuan's thought process. Fang Yuan was entangled against the soul beasts on the surface, but ever since the battle began, he had been searching for an opportunity. He had probably marked Tai Bai Yunsheng as his target since the beginning. After all, Tai Bai Yunsheng was the weakest among the 5 immortals. Always pick out the weakest enemy first. Tai Bai Yunsheng cannot be counted on now. Ying Wuxie's expression was heavy. How long had it been since they battled? There was already a casualty on his side. How should they deal with such a strong Fang Yuan? At this moment, Fang Yuan was surprised, feeling something wrong. He stretched out his dragon body, but astonishingly discovered that his dragon scales were covered by a layer of thin ice. Who knows when it formed? Bai Ningbing's gaze is strange. Fang Yuan immediately reacted. If we want to force back Fang Yuan, we need to first restrict his speed. Bai Ningbing's eyes flickered with cold light. She had clear judgment of the whole situation. Chapter 1258. Fang Yuan vs. 5, 1/2. Despite becoming an immortal just recently, Bai Ningbing had some advantages over normal Gu immortals. First of all, she possessed one of the 10 extreme physiques, Northern Dark Ice Soul physique, which was the best for cultivating ice and snow path. Similarly to He Lu Lan's great strength true martial physique, her Dao mark surpassed most rank 6 Gu immortals in the same condition. Secondly, she had become the owner of Bai Xiang Grotto Heaven. She obtained Bai Xiang's true inheritance, and had all the Gu worms left behind by Bai Xiang, among which were rank 7 immortal Gu as well. However, there were no rank 8 immortal Gu. Bai Xiang's status in history was slightly inferior to He Fan, but the joint forces of the 5 Xiangs surpassed He Fan by a lot. Bai Ningbing's flaw was that she was not familiar with the immortal Gu and the immortal killer moves. She often failed when activating them, which caused danger of backlash. Nurture, use, and refinement. Using Gu was one of the 3 important aspects of Gu master cultivation. To get familiar with her gains, Bai Ningbing had to spend a long period of time in practicing them. As such, she was a long way away from being able to use them freely in real battle. But, at this time, Bai Ningbing's flaw was effectively concealed. Because she had Ying Wuxie, He Lu Lan, Tai Bai Yunsheng, and Shenu beside her. Because of their protection, Bai Ningbing had the time to use her immortal killer move unhurriedly. Fang Yuan's information regarding Bai Ningbing was lacking. On one hand, he thought Bai Ningbing was like Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lu Lan, whose battle strength rose after receiving benefits from Shadow Sect. On the other hand, Fang Yuan had used Qi Luck Sensation many times before and had sensed Bai Ningbing, but he could not know matters concerned with Bai Xiang Grotto Heaven and so on. Fang Yuan had thus greatly underestimated Bai Ningbing's true battle strength. If he knew of the truth, he might not have chosen Tai Bai Yunsheng as the first target and marked Bai Ningbing instead. But Fang Yuan had always lacked information path methods, so how could he know about Bai Xiang Grotto Heaven? Fang Yuan had been reborn, but he was not all-knowing. Bai Ningbing's gaze could actually freeze any targets in her sight, slowing down their mobility. This was Bai Xiang's method. After Fang Yuan realized the strangeness, he immediately took measures, flying back and concealing his traces. Visibility was very poor in the Licorice Regional Wall. After Fang Yuan flew back, he immediately disappeared from Bai Ningbing's sight. Bai Ningbing clenched her teeth. Fang Yuan was an old fox, seeing through the limits of her move in just a short while. Even with such a trump card, he doesn't force himself to take risks. Unfortunately, we have especially formulated a battle tactic for this. Bai Ningbing felt regret. The move Fang Yuan used to break the Super Gu formation in Eastern Sea was so powerful that it gave chills to Ying Wuxie, Bai Ningbing, and the rest. On the way, they had discussed about defensive measures against this method of Fang Yuan. However, Fang Yuan did not use that move the whole time, making the prior preparations of Ying Wuxie and the rest useless. Unfortunately, I have only just obtained Bai Xiang's true inheritance. This killer move has its limits, but other killer moves can be used together with it to make up for this limit. Bai Ningbing had barely been able to activate this killer move. If she tried to activate another immortal killer move on top of this, she was almost certain to fail. Bai Ningbing was not Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan could do many tasks at once and use multiple immortal killer moves at the same time, but Bai Ningbing had very low attainment in this aspect. Fang Yuan had retreated and hidden himself, but he still held the initiative and upper hand. Under this situation, Bai Ningbing could not take the risk. Once she failed, their arrangement would be in disorder, creating a weakness which Fang Yuan could exploit. Bai Ningbing understood Fang Yuan very well. He absolutely would not give up such an exposed weakness. Even Bai Ningbing was in deep admiration of Fang Yuan's ability to grasp opportunities in a fight. Fang Yuan's scales have been frozen by my gaze. Once he recovers, with his speed, it will be difficult for me to lock onto him with my sight. Bai Ningbing pondered. Fang Yuan's burst of speed in ancient sword dragon form was astonishing by itself, adding on sword escape and his sword path Dao marks. Even the rank 7 expert Yi Lui Kun Xing had died at his hands. Bai Ningbing knew she had been able to use her freezing sight earlier, because Fang Yuan was unprepared. Now that Fang Yuan was on guard, When he used that astonishing speed again, this immortal killer move's effectiveness would decrease drastically. It seems I can only change my tactics. Bai Ningbing immediately decided. She had no choice but to change. Previously, when Fang Yuan showed his speed, he had almost killed Tai Bai Yunsheng. If Bai Ningbing did not change her tactics and continued to use freezing sight, the one to die might be her. The situation was perilous. Bai Ningbing retreated behind Nu while saying to Wuxia, "Protect me. I am going to use that move." Bai Ningbing and Wuxia had formed a new alliance, and with a formidable enemy in front of them, both sides had informed each other of some of their trump cards. Thus, Wuxia understood without needing Bai Ningbing to explain. He nodded solemnly. "Okay, use that move. Let us take care of your safety," he immediately commanded Nu. "Even if you have to sacrifice yourself, you need to protect Bai Ningbing." Nu was loyal to Wuxia. He immediately nodded at this command with no hesitation. "Relax, he has been hit by my freezing sight. According to the flaw you mentioned of the sovereign immortal body, if he does not have a specific method to counter it, he will need about a dozen breaths of time to recover completely." Bai Ningbing spoke with confidence. Wuxia nodded. "That's good, then." He did not doubt Bai Ningbing. Bai Xiang's methods had their own originality. It was not easy to specifically target an immortal killer move. Often, one had to fight numerous times, getting familiar with the immortal killer move, and go through a long period of deduction to create a method that countered the immortal killer move. There was a low probability of Fang Yuan having a method to counter it. But right at this time, in the sights of the 5 immortals, a white ray of light flashed by. "Careful, it is the dragon breath. Defend, protect Bai Ningbing and Tai Bai Yunsheng." Rays of sword light dragon breath attacked, recreating the previous sword light rain. For a moment, Wuxia and the group had their hands tied dealing with them. Bai Ningbing was using all her concentration in activating her immortal killer move, while Tai Bai Yunsheng was unconscious from the severe injuries. As such, for the remaining 3 other immortals, the pressure on them had amplified suddenly, and they did not even have enough strength to strike back. Fang Yuan circled around Wuxia and the rest from afar, breathing out dragon breath. Rays of sword light dragon breath shot from all directions towards Wuxia and the others. His sword dragon body was still covered in thin ice. Bai Ningbing's freezing sight was quite effective. Naturally, the main reason was Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body. Despite transforming into an ancient sword dragon, his Dao marks still did not have repulsion to different Dao marks. This created a disadvantage. Like when Bai Ningbing's freezing sight affected Fang Yuan, it would not be weakened by Fang Yuan's Dao marks, and could strike with all its might. Fortunately, the ancient sword dragon had a tough body and strong vitality. Otherwise, a human body might have been directly frozen to death. Fang Yuan was breathing dragon breath, suppressing Wuxia and the rest, while quickly recovering. He was influenced by the freezing sight, but healing was also rather easy. Because his Dao marks did not have repulsion, even using mortal methods repeatedly could display effect. It was not like Tai Bai Yunsheng, whom, after being injured, could not be healed easily. Fang Yuan continuously breathed out dragon breath, probing and suppressing Wuxia and the others. He quickly discovered Bai Ningbing was being heavily protected by Wuxia and the others. Unless he made his way in through brute force, he had no other routes to get to Bai Ningbing. Activating an immortal killer move, Fang Yuan thought heavily. Since she was being so greatly protected by Wuxia and the others, Bai Ningbing was definitely preparing an extraordinary immortal killer move. Thus, as soon as he recovered, he directly dived in. He was not restricted in the Licorice Regional Wall and could move freely. When he burst with his speed, even Fang Yuan himself was not able to have complete control. It was simply like a white ray of light. Wuxia and the rest did not even have time to call out when Fang Yuan penetrated through their defensive lineup and charged in. Bai Ningbing broke out in cold sweat, almost failing her killer move's activation. Hei Lulan was heavily injured. Her left arm was completely gone, and even her left torso was injured. The injuries were so frightening that one could see her ribs. Blood spurted out like a fountain and soon accumulated into a pool below Hei Lulan. The injury was covered with Dao marks, causing the blood to flow unceasingly. If this continued, Hei Lulan would be the first person to die. Under this critical situation, Hei Lulan immediately chose to transform into an immortal zombie. Immortal zombies could bear this level of injury. The warm and bright red blood immediately turned into cold and gloomy green blood. Blood was still flowing outside, but the speed had reduced by countless times. Hei Lulan knelt on one leg, taking huge gasps of breath, but her lips were curled up. She was actually laughing. On the other hand, Fang Yuan got a peculiar feeling. I was actually hit. Not bad from Hei Lulan. The dragon claw he used to rip apart Lulan's left arm still had traces of flesh and blood. Right now, this flesh and blood slowly turned into a blood-colored fire, which followed Fang Yuan's dragon claw to his scales. Immortal killer move, flesh blood fire. This fire used flesh and blood as the fuel. As long as there was flesh and blood, the fire wouldn't stop. Without any methods to counter it, it simply would not be extinguished. Moreover, the stronger the flesh and blood were, the brighter and more powerful the fire would become. Fang Yuan's ancient sword dragon transformation had instead become the perfect target for flesh blood fire. However, Fang Yuan reacted extremely quickly. He immediately dispelled his transformation killer move and returned to his human form. He activated a time path healing Immortal Gu, man as before. Chapter 1259. Fang Yuan vs. 5, February 2nd. Over 20 beads of red date immortal essence were expended. The next moment, the blood-colored fire completely disappeared and Fang Yuan went back to his previous state. Sigh. Man as before is effective only on human bodies. When I transform to other living beings, I cannot directly use man as before. This is quite inconvenient. Moreover, man as before has quite a big restriction in terms of time. Fortunately, I have my investigative killer move, 3 breaths future vision. Fang Yuan inwardly sighed as he activated another immortal killer move. Convergence of enslavement and strength path, myriad self. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Tens of thousands of Fang Yuans converged to create a vast human tide that charged towards Xie and the rest. How can this be? He actually recovered so quickly? He has already gotten rid of blood flesh fire. Lulan was extremely surprised. Fang Yuan's counterattack was too quick, and it still carried strong momentum, making Lulan's heart sink to rock bottom. Lulan knew Fang Yuan had man as before, but man as before had rather stringent requirements regarding time. Even Fang Yuan would only survive by a hair's breadth. After he was struck, he would have to first discover his state, then dispel his transformation killer move. During this time, he might hesitate before he finally used man as before. Activating this Immortal Gu, furthermore, required some time. Under such a situation, Lulan thought if it was herself instead of Fang Yuan, it would also be very difficult to get rid of this blood flesh fire. Fang Yuan was not clear of Lulan and by Ningbing's methods. Likewise, Lulan similarly did not know that Fang Yuan had 3 breaths future vision. This investigative killer move could let Fang Yuan see anything wrong that would happen to him 3 breaths earlier. Because of this, Fang Yuan had much more time to react and take action accordingly. In short, Lulan was heavily injured but only managed to slightly affect Fang Yuan. Red Date Immortal Essence was consumed, but Fang Yuan was rich and his financial condition was rather good. Thus, he did not care about this small expenditure. Immortal killer move, Soul Howl. Xie howled. Countless phantoms of Fang Yuan around him burst at once. Immortal killer move, Spike Forest. Nu stamped his right leg. Countless spikes rose up from the ground, piercing through thousands of Fang Yuan's phantoms. Then, Nu called out. The earth spike shot to the air, instantly clearing large amounts of phantoms in the air. This move hit a second stage within, and was extremely effective, almost completely destroying all of Fang Yuan's phantoms. Earth Path Rank 7 Gu Immortal Nu. He was the cornerstone in this battle. Without his protection and contribution, how could Xie and the rest last until this moment? Your turn next. Fang Yuan transformed back into a sword dragon, laughing sinisterly inwardly. Roar. At this moment, the tiger year beast beside him roared and suddenly retreated. This ancient year beast had been summoned by Fang Yuan. Although it had been fighting all along, Xie and the rest were on guard against it. Thus it was not able to assist a lot and instead suffered many injuries. The tiger year beast was not loyal to Fang Yuan. This could not compare to Xie's soul beast summoning. Once the year beast suffered severe injuries, it immediately retreated, penetrating space and returning to the river of time. But it did not matter. Immortal killer move, year beast summoning. Fang Yuan activated this killer move again. This time, he summoned a sheep-shaped ancient year beast. Although year beast summoning could only summon one year beast each time, there were many year beasts in the river of time. If one left, he just had to summon another. The sheep ancient year beast stampeded towards Xie and the others. Nu gave a deep roar. His body suddenly bulged, turning into a giant that was as big as the year beast. He stood stably and countered it, using his profound fighting techniques to throw the year beast to the ground. Boom. The sheep ancient year beast fell to the ground, causing the ground to tremor for a while. The year beast quickly stood up and furiously charged towards Nu with its horns. Nu sidestepped smoothly while grabbing the curved sheep horns at the same time. The two giant beings tangled together at a deadlock for the time being. On Fang Yuan's end, the amount of dragon breath he used was reducing. He was starting to feel a burning pain in his throat, as if his throat was about to emit smoke. Dragon breath was the ancient sword dragon's strongest weapon. Even a true ancient sword dragon would not be able to continue using dragon breath more than 20 to 30 times. However, Fang Yuan had already used his dragon breath over 100 times, reaching the limits of his physical body. If he continued breathing out, his throat would be damaged, and the sword-light dragon breath's power would reduce by a huge extent. The battle had lasted up until now. The tiger year beast had retreated from severe injuries, and now Fang Yuan was showing some signs of fatigue. Although he had become a rank 7 Gu Immortal, with red date immortal essence, his battle strength rising sharply and reaching the upper level among rank 7s. The enemies he faced were also not minor characters. He Lulan was a formidable person with the great strength true martial physique. She had annexed a strength path blessed land in Jade Pot Mountain, her Dao marks increasing by a lot. At the same time, she also had blazing heaven demoness true inheritance along with her immortal Gu. Bai Ningbing had the northern dark ice soul physique and had changed into the mysterious dragon man, grasping Bai Xiang grotto heaven and obtaining Bai Xiang's true inheritance. There was no need to say anything about Ing Wuxia. He was one of the main split souls of Spectral Soul. He once had the 11th extreme physique. He was the final hope of Shadow Sect, with astonishing attainment in Soul Path, and although his attainment in other paths was unclear, they should not be low. At least, it was the case for Luck Path. Shirnu was a rockman. This race innately had rich Earth Path Dao marks, and with Shirnu cultivating Earth Path mainly, it could be they complemented one another well. The most useless was Tai Bai Yun Sheng, but even so, this old guy was becoming sharper as he grew older. He mainly cultivated Time Path, but perfectly dual cultivated Cloud Path as well, and with the Immortal Gu on him, his Cloud Ring's defensive ability was quite remarkable. Although the majority of these 5 was rank 6, they were similar to Fang Yuan when he was rank 6, with battle strength that reached rank 7 level. And right now, these elites with outstanding disposition had allied and were working together, adding on the constant support of Shadow Sect's remaining resources and methods emerging one after another. They were stronger than alone Yi Lui Kun Xing and were even more difficult to handle. When Gu Immortals battled, they could not rush things. Because there were many types of Immortal Gu, immortal killer moves were endless in number. Some were extremely mystical, some were powerful and unconstrained, some were tyrannical, and some were sinister and strange. Fang Yuan was fighting alone against 5, and was firmly holding an advantage, while Ing Wuxia and the others were exhausted by just dealing with his attacks, and were unable to turn the situation around. Damn it, he has not used that move even now. Ing Wuxia thought as green immortal zombie blood flowed down from his nose. Ing Wuxia wiped the blood using the back of his hand, but the green blood flowed down again. Damn it, I have been using immortal killer moves repeatedly, and have been bearing so much backlash that even this immortal zombie body is showing signs of reaching its limits. Even I am like this, others must be in even worse circumstances. Ing Wuxia gazed at his allies, and saw they were all pale, and their states were worsening. Fang Yuan was unrestricted here, but they were not. They not only had to steady themselves constantly, resisting the repulsion and attraction force in the regional wall, they also had to fight Fang Yuan at the same time, using many immortal killer moves which caused heavy losses to their immortal apertures. My side has Shadow Sect's remaining resources. It is normal for our battle strength to rise rapidly. But Fang Yuan's battle strength also rose so quickly. This speed is too astonishing. Even us 5 allied together are not his match. The more Ing Wuxia thought, the more apprehensive he felt towards Fang Yuan. And in the depths of this apprehension was a trace of fear. Right, it was fear. Ing Wuxia was beginning to feel afraid. He could not help but admit Fang Yuan was strong. He was even more afraid of Fang Yuan's growth speed. Bai Xiang, activate. Bai Ningbing, who had been preparing the killer move all along, suddenly gave a cry. A soaring aura rose up from her body. Ing Wuxia was immediately filled with joy as he looked at Bai Ningbing. You finally succeeded. Bai Ningbing's appearance had a great change right now. In the blink of an eye, she had transformed into a 5-meter giant. She had 3 heads, 6 arms, and bare feet. Her body was covered in ice armor, and frost aura flowed around her, like a long ribbon was revolving around her. She stood on 2 frost clouds that emitted light hints of blue. Immortal killer move, Bai Xiang. Fang Yuan, come fight me. Bai Ningbing gave a shout, and suddenly sped up like a white light passing through the air. She had changed her defensive stance, taking the initiative to attack. Let our old and new enmity be resolved today. Fang Yuan's dragon eyes narrowed, and without dodging, he charged head-on. A silver light and a white light passed by each other. The inertia from their speed was too powerful, whether it be by Ningbing or Fang Yuan. They each flew far away. A light injury. Fang Yuan slightly looked down and saw a long but shallow sword mark on his body. The dragon scales along the sword mark were all cut. Some even broke through the dragon's skin, letting out some blood. By contrast, Bai Ningbing was much more miserable. There was a hole in her chest, 3 of her arms were destroyed, and almost half of her body was gone. But she did not bleed. Cold air flowed on massively, restoring her back to normal in a blink of an eye. Bai Xiang. This immortal killer move is rumored to be undying. Even if there is only a nail-sized fragment remaining, the user can immediately revive and recover back to normal. Because after the Bai Xiang transformation, the body is no longer a flesh and blood body. Instead, it becomes a certain mystical life form. Ying Wuxia was inwardly excited. Sure enough, as the battle went on, Bai Ningbing's performance was like Ying Wuxia estimated. She was not Fang Yuan's match, but relying on the Bai Xiang transformation's special characteristics, she could immediately recover back to normal. Most of Fang Yuan's attention was absorbed in fighting with Bai Ningbing. As the battle continued, even Fang Yuan felt exhausted. After all, his was a flesh and blood body, while Bai Ningbing was still energetic and lively. Just as Fang Yuan intended to give up on Bai Ningbing and targeting Wuxia and the rest. It is time. Ying Wuxia suddenly cried out. Auras of countless Gu worms rose from his body. He looked at Fang Yuan and spoke. Lead soul into dream. Chapter 1260. Lead soul into dream. Fang Yuan got a shock when he heard Ying Wuxia say lead soul into dream. Lead soul into dream was a rare and powerful dream path, immortal killer move. In the Battle of Etion Mountain, Ying Wuxia's lead soul into dream had made even heaven overseeing Tower Lord fall asleep, trapped within a dream realm. Fang Yuan was also struck by this move in the Battle of Etion Mountain. If not for heavens while working secretly, he would have surely died. In this current time period, Dream Path Immortal Gu were extremely rare, let alone Dream Path killer moves. One skill to dominate all, facing lead soul into dream. Gu immortals were basically defenseless. Fang Yuan was not an exception. He had Unravel Dream, but he also had the sovereign immortal body. Facing lead soul into dream. Even if he spent only an instant in the dream realm, it was very likely there could be various changes during that instant, and he might even die. Fang Yuan immediately soared up, retreating without hesitation. While retreating, he had doubts in his mind. Back then, Ying Wuxia's lead soul into dream was very powerful because of many immortal Gu as well as the amplification from the 11th extreme physique. Right now, could Ying Wuxia have those immortal Gu to form lead soul into dream? Fang Yuan did not know the exact details, but he was aware that Ying Wuxia's strength path immortal zombie body absolutely lowered the power of this move by several levels. Fang Yuan quickly got a long distance away from Ying Wuxia and the rest, but still did not see himself falling into a dream realm. Was Ying Wuxia only trying to trick me? Fang Yuan just had this thought when the scenery in front of him changed. Southern border, in his first life. Qingmao Mountain was already destroyed from Bai Ningbing's self-detonation. Fang Yuan threw himself in with a merchant caravan, earning primeval stones while continuing his cultivation. The merchant caravan had reached a certain valley when suddenly, 2 groups of bandits rushed from in front and behind. Kill. Protect the goods. The caravan was in a great uproar. In an instant, yells resounded throughout the valley. One side was the demonic path bandits, while the other was the caravan escorting the goods. The young Fang Yuan was mixed in the merchant caravan, clenching his teeth, panicking at the sudden ambush. This is a dream realm. I am trapped in a dream realm. The confusion from just entering the dream realm disappeared quickly, and Fang Yuan immediately prepared to activate Unravel Dream. However, right at this time, he inexplicably exited the dream realm and returned to reality, his ancient dragon body still in the regional wall. What's going on? Fang Yuan just had this question when his vision changed once again. He found he had once again entered a dream realm. This dream was a continuation of the previous dream. In the valley, the righteous and demonic sides were fighting a bitter battle. Strange, there should not be any bandit hideouts here. The young master of the merchant caravan was looking down from his carriage in the center, puzzled. The steward beside him was maintaining defense while replying. Right? This trade route is an old route. Who knows where these mountain bandits came from? The young master snorted. The strongest demonic path Gu masters among them are only rank 2. Our defense is rock solid. We don't need to fear them. Young master is right. We will make sure these bandits remain here forever. The steward gave a malicious smile. Right at this time, a rumbling noise came from above them. The young master, the steward, and others quickly looked above. The sight immediately caused a great fright. Countless boulders were rolling down from above the valley. The caravan was right at the base of a cliff, and these giant boulders were falling down right towards them. The power was not inferior to a rank 2 Gu master's attack. Countless figures could be seen above the cliff. They were all mortals, but with meticulous planning and correct battle tactics. These mortals showcased the battle strength of rank 2 Gu masters. Quick, retreat. The young master's face was pale. It is too late, the steward called out miserably. The boulders smashed onto the caravan's Gu masters. In an instant, the merchant caravan suffered many casualties, and the demonic pathside's morale was greatly raised. Damn it! Fang Yuan shook his head fiercely, escaping from the dream realm again. This is indeed leads soul into dream, but it is incomplete. It can send me into a dream realm now and again, but it can't keep me trapped in there. However, this is enough to pose a huge threat to me. Fang Yuan's heart sank. Ing Wuxia and the rest were vigilantly looking at their surroundings, but even after guarding for a while, they did not see Fang Yuan. There were also no attacks coming towards them. He retreated? He Lulan spoke, somewhat disbelievingly. Bai Ningbing gazed at Ing Wuxia. Ing Wuxia heaved a long sigh. Sigh, such a pity. After the battle of Etian Mountain, Ing Wuxia had secretly reconstructed lead soul into dream. During the time in Eastern Sea, Ing Wuxia gave Immortal Gu to He Lulan and others. He naturally had even more gains. But even until now, he was only barely able to assemble lead soul into dream. Ing Wuxia had intended to use lead soul into dream when Fang Yuan activated that trump card. However, Fang Yuan did not use that trump card at all. Fang Yuan would need a long time to activate that trump card, which would give Ing Wuxia a very good opportunity to make a move. If Fang Yuan was struck by lead soul into dream at that time, he would be trapped in a dream realm. Even if it was only for an instant, it would still lead to failure in activating the Immortal Killer move. The stronger an Immortal Killer move was, the greater the injury the Gu Immortal would have to bear after they fail in activating it. There was no doubt that if Fang Yuan was trapped in the dream realm when he activated that killer move, he would fail and suffer a severe backlash. Ing Wuxia explained it in detail by Ning Bing. He Lulan and the rest also felt regret. However, in the situation earlier, Ing Wuxia had no choice but to use lead soul into dream prematurely. If he still did not use it, Fang Yuan's successful attack would result in a qualitative change, causing the battle situation to shift greatly, which would finally result in their deaths. Ing Wuxia had a very sharp and accurate judgment of the situation. Looks like Fang Yuan won't be able to attack for the moment. We should leave quickly. Lead soul into dream is not complete. Its effect will continue to decrease with time. Ing Wuxia gave the command. The 5 immortals set off immediately. However, they had not walked far when Fang Yuan once again recovered and attacked. The dream realm's interference was becoming smaller and smaller. Fang Yuan was not willing to let Ing Wuxia and the others slip away from right under his nose, so he immediately began his chase. Tai Bai Yunsheng was still unconscious. The 4 immortals were harried by Fang Yuan. It was already difficult to move in the regional wall, but with Fang Yuan's interference, it became even more difficult for them to move forward. Careful! Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan could not react in time and only heard a muffled sound as stone debris hit him on the head. Uncle Big Beard, you saved me, thank you. Fang Yuan saw Uncle Big Beard nearby and immediately reacted. Just now, he was almost hit by a falling boulder, but Uncle Big Beard had acted in time, destroying the giant boulder before it could reach Fang Yuan. Kid, don't be so hungry for battle. Protect yourself properly, Uncle Big Beard said with a concerned tone. Right at this moment, from the center of the caravan came the caravan's steward's sharp scream. Men, come quickly and protect young Master. Out of nowhere, 2 rank 3 demonic path Gu masters had already charged into the center and were surrounding the owner of the merchant caravan, that young master who had once humiliated Fang Yuan. The young master was in a dangerous situation. Even the righteous path Gu masters were afraid. Wait here, I will go help. Uncle Big Beard spoke this before quickly rushing to the center. The dream realm appeared again and again. Fang Yuan was having a tough time. The dream realm greatly influenced him, and he was only able to display 20 to 30% of his battle strength. But looking at the battle situation, it was much more unfavorable to Ing Wuxia and the rest. They were clearly able to sense that the dream realm's influence to Fang Yuan was becoming smaller, and they were still unable to leave the regional wall. All of you go ahead. I will hold him back. At the crucial moment, Shernu stood up. Immortal Killer move, land boundary. His whole body emitted frightening cracking sounds, as cracks started appearing everywhere on his body. At the same time, with him at the center, an enormous surrounding area of space underwent a mysterious change, being cut off from the space further out. Fang Yuan wanted to retreat, but at the critical moment, the dream realm started, making him miss the chance to escape the range of the killer move. Fang Yuan sent out Dragon Breath, but the sword-light Dragon Breath disappeared like smoke before even flying 5 to 6 steps of distance. Fang Yuan charged with his dragon body, but was actually unable to leave. Chapter 1261. Blood Path, Demonic Immortal. You are looking for death. His dragon eyes stared at Shenu. Shenu raised his head to look at Fang Yuan, shouting, Master, leave quickly. Leave. Shenu, I will remember your loyalty. Wuxia took a deep glance at Shenu before leaving. He took the other two immortals and quickly retreated. Because Shenu risked his life to hold back Fang Yuan, Wuxia and the others were able to smoothly leave the Licorice Regional Wall and enter Northern Plains. The moment they stepped on the grass of Northern Plains, Wuxia took out Tai by Yun Sheng from his immortal aperture. The latter had already woken up, but his injuries were extremely severe. His life was still in danger. Combining the four immortals' power, they immediately activated the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel and disappeared from the spot. Inside the dream realm, the battle had already concluded. The attacking demonic path bandits were all dead. The merchant caravan did not have it easy as well, as they suffered many casualties and injuries. Corpses were littered everywhere in the valley and blood filled the area. Uncle Bigbeard, pull yourself together. Wake up. The young Fang Yuan was beside Gu Master Bigbeard, looking at the terrifying injury with shock and panic. Someone save him. Fang Yuan shouted, his voice somewhat hoarse. But nobody came. Fang Yuan quickly ran to the young master. Lord, Uncle Bigbeard was injured while saving you. He is going to die. Please save him. He cannot be saved. The injury itself is not a big problem. The main thing is that he has been struck by a poison Gu. We have no way of saving him. The young master shook his head and gave a rueful smile. No, you have a way. Weren't you also hit by the same poison Gu? Fang Yuan persisted. The young master's expression sank. You want me to use a precious Gu worm for a mere outsider? Do you know this kind of healing Gu worm can only be used for a limited number of times? But Uncle Bigbeard was injured to save you. Fang Yuan argued. Even if he did not save me, I have father's secret guards who would have ensured my safety. The young master sneered, waving his hand at Fang Yuan. Get lost now. How could my healing Gu worm be used on ants like you guys? Fang Yuan gritted his teeth and stared at the young master with clenched fists, not moving from his spot. Are you looking to die? The young master was getting furious. Fang Yuan. At this time, Gu Master Bigbeard woke up and softly called out. Fang Yuan shook, quickly turning around and running to Bigbeard's side. Uncle Bigbeard, you are awake. Fang Yuan was surprised and happy. Don't oppose young master. You will be the one to suffer. Don't keep on begging. How could such a precious healing Gu be used on people like us? Bigbeard smiled mockingly. But uncle, your injuries. Fang Yuan was very upset, choking as he sobbed. Plop. Shenu powerlessly dropped to the ground. He looked at the sword dragon hovering in front of him and laughed. I succeeded. Master was able to escape, huh? Shadow Sect won't be defeated. Long live spectral soul. Ugh. Fang Yuan grabbed him with his claws and forcefully crushed him to pieces. Loosening his dragon claws, rock fragments and debris were scattered over the ground with no signs of Shenu's original appearance. You're merely dying. What was the point of yelling? Fang Yuan sneered, picking up the most crucial piece from among the rock fragments. He then flew out of the Licorice Regional Wall and returned once again to Northern Plains. He threw the crucial piece of rock to the ground. Immediately, the immortal aperture inside began to absorb Northern Plains heaven and earth chi and formed a blessed land outside. Fang Yuan did not wait, instead activating Chi Luck Sensation to check the locations of Wuxia and the others. Fang Yuan immediately discovered that Wuxia and the rest were already extremely far away from him. They used that ancient battle formation? But so what? You will all die at my hands, sooner or later. But this location, it seems to be in that earth trench under Zombie Alliance. Fang Yuan returned to his human form, slightly frowning. Of course, he was familiar with the location of Zombie Alliance's earth trench. Dark Flow Giant City was still hidden there. Unfortunately, no one had found it yet. It was not strange for Wuxia and the rest to enter it. Southern Border Zombie Alliance has already been destroyed. Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance's headquarters were besieged, but Northern Plains Zombie Alliance is still hidden in the earth trench. Looks like Wuxia and the rest will once again go through a period of growth. This was an expected situation. Dark Flow Giant City's cultivation resources included all sorts of Immortal Gu from Northern Plains immortal zombies. However, Shenu was already dead, and they were injured. If they fought again, even if it was in Northern Plains and not the regional wall, Fang Yuan would still have the upper hand. Shenu's blessed land had formed. Fang Yuan entered it, but was unable to subdue the land spirit. His attainment in Earth Path was only at master level and not grandmaster. Thus he could not annex this rank 7 blessed land, and could only leave it for the moment. Inside the dream, there was a kind of medicinal herb said to be able to relieve Gu Master Bigbeard's poison. The young Fang Yuan chose to sneak out of the caravan and climb the cliff to pick the medicinal herbs growing there. The cold mountain wind blew at him, causing his body to shiver greatly. The cliff was steep, and a careless step could lead to a brutal death. I will definitely get the medicinal herb and treat Uncle Big Beard. He saved my life. How could I not repay this debt of kindness? Persevere, Fang Yuan. Don't be afraid. Huff huff. Fang Yuan was breathing roughly as he stretched out his arm, and after several attempts, he finally picked out a medicinal herb. At daybreak, with a basket full of herbs and ragged clothes, he returned to the camp. All right, this dream realm is finally over. Fang Yuan woke up from the dream realm. He finally got rid of the dream realm's interference. This dream realm was not completely without benefits. The dream path materials inside surpassed Fang Yuan's imagination. In the final scene, the basket of herbs Fang Yuan carried were actually all dream path Gu materials. If I dreamed by myself, there is no way I would have had such huge harvests. Could it be that Ing Wuxie's lead soul into dream is not only an offensive ability, but is actually a killer move to get dream path Gu materials? Fang Yuan pondered over this as he flew. Without the dream realm's interference, he once again began to chase after Ing Wuxie. Even if Ing Wuxie ran to the ends of the world, Fang Yuan would give chase to nip this great problem in the bud. Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Fairy Lian Yun, don't use love Immortal Gu again. You have already paid the price and are now unable to speak. If you continue using it repeatedly like this, I really don't know what kind of price you will have to pay next. Shi Zheng tried to persuade. Zhao Lian Yun shook her head, her gaze firm and determined. In the dangerous battle with Zhao Denyo, love Immortal Gu had displayed its might. But that time, love Immortal Gu did not take immortal essence as the price. Instead, it seized away a certain thing from Zhao Lianyun. This thing was Zhao Lianyun's voice. After the battle, Zhao Lianyun was unable to let out any sounds. She was not even able to make crude grunts and noises that mute people could make. Han Yun is still waiting for me. I cannot just wait here and watch from the sidelines. So what if I can't speak? I can still converse with all of you through Gu worms. It is not a big problem. Zhao Lianyun transmitted her voice to Shi Zheng. Sure. Zheng sighed, unable to say anything, and could only let Zhao Lianyun act on her will. This time, however, no matter how Zhao Lianyun called out, love Immortal Gu showed no signs of budging. Helpless, Zhao Lianyun could only walk out of the 12th Snowy Peaks range, along with Shi Zheng. Once they walked out of this range, Zhao Lianyun was sent to another snowy peak, separated from Shi Zheng. Different from before, there were sounds of an intense battle on this snowy peak. Who is fighting here? It should be either Yu Yizi, Buzhenzi, or Mu Ling Lan, right? Zhao Lianyun was surprised and happy, as she quickly rushed towards the peak. She soon reached the hall at the peak. The stench of blood assaulted her nose. Inside the Crimson Hall, a gorgeous young Gu Immortal was fighting a bitter battle with a snowy mountain Gu Immortal. It was Refinement Path, Gu Immortal Yu Yizi. Yu Yizi. Hold on. I am coming to support you. Zhao Lianyun transmitted her voice. Yu Yizi was both surprised and happy, quickly replying. Be careful. This is a genuine Blood Path demonic immortal. What? Blood Path? Zhao Lianyun got a huge fright. She looked at the enemy with dread and wariness. Blood Path, Gu Immortal. Because of Blood Sea ancestor and other historical reasons, as well as Blood Path's characteristics, any person who cultivated Blood Path would be judged as a demonic path member in the 5 regions. In the battle between the alliance of Chu sect and Baizu tribe against the allied Huang Jin tribes, Chu Du's side could have brought in a strong reinforcement. Unfortunately, this person cultivated Blood Path. Chu Du had immediately refused with not the slightest bit of hesitation. It was because Chu Du wanted to establish a righteous path force. If he collaborated with a Blood Path member, his side would be judged as demonic path, and all his painstaking effort would go down the drain. However, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land did not have such concerns. Because Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was a gathering point of Northern Plains demonic path Gu Immortals. It was not a tribe or a sect. Whether it be a tribe or a sect, both had the characteristics of nurturing its members, and both had mortal members as well. However, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was an entity formed and linked purely through benefits. Zhao Lianyun arrived at the 10th Snowy Peak after leaving the 12th Snowy Peak. The demonic path Gu Immortal guarding this place was called Zhao Pu. He was wearing hemp clothes and cloth shoes. He was bald, had an ordinary appearance, and was of a middling stature. He was standing at the center of the hall, while Yu Yizi was retreating back again and again, until he reached the edge of the hall. His whole body was bathed in blood. His injuries were frightening. When Zhao Lianyun saw this companion, she was almost unable to recognize him. Yu Yizi was a pretty and delicate-looking man, but right now, it was like he had fallen in a boundless sea of blood and was pulled out by someone. His other abilities are normal, but he has one Blood Path Immortal Killer move that is extremely powerful. When activating it, All of his blood splashes out before turning into a stream of blood. Once the stream of blood touches your skin, you will start bleeding, and as time passes, the bleeding will continue to worsen. You need to be careful. When Yu saw Zhao Lian in the middle of the fight, he quickly warned her. I understand. Take a rest first. I will deal with him. Zhao Lian stepped forward. Good. Another person is here looking for death. Zhao Pu stood at the same spot without moving, his hands folded across his chest. He let out a sinister smile, revealing his dense and sharp teeth. A demonic and bloodthirsty aura pounced forward. Immortal killer move, life-locking silver chain. Zhao Lian had been preparing this move since earlier. Under the consumption of immortal essence, auras of large numbers of goo worms rose from her body, and a silver light covered her. Clang clang. A series of chains clashing against each other could be heard coming from within the silver light. Shortly afterwards, 6 long chains shot out from the silver light. The 6 chains were bright silver and extremely nimble as they moved around Zhao Lian, forming a strong defense. Zhao Lian had gone through intensive training, and after the life and death battle with Zhao Dinyo, she seemed to have been reborn. Her every move was decisive and did not have an inexperienced air like before. The 10th Snowy Peak Lord, Zhao Pu, noticed Zhao Lian activating her killer move, but actually did not stop her and simply watched her. Zhao Lian saw this and immediately activated another immortal killer move. Meteor Rain. Immortal essence was expended once again, as a patch of deep blue formed above Zhao Lian, above the dome of the hall. Swish, swish, swish. Countless meteors were falling from the sky, raining down like an army of arrows. It was a majestic sight. These meteors were extremely thin and small, like countless hidden weapons, but their power was majestic as they fell down like a storm that could not be avoided. If Zhao Pu kept on staying still, he would be turned into meat, paced by these tiny meteors. He indeed did not dare to be so prideful. Suddenly a large bloody cloud floated above his head. It was like a huge umbrella that firmly protected Zhao Pu. The falling meteors were blocked by the bloody cloud, but the bloody cloud's volume was shrinking at a visible speed. Zhao Pu gritted his teeth and stamped his foot as his body shot towards Zhao Lian like a red ray of light. Zhao Lian's mind shook, subconsciously taking a step back. The silver chains moving around her reacted faster than her. One of the chains shot out towards Zhao Pu like a charging dragon. Zhao Pu quickly dodged and chose another direction to attack. But at almost the same time, another silver chain shot towards him. Zhao Pu had no choice but to retreat and choose another direction again. This repeated a few times. Zhao Pu shockingly realized these silver chains could attack on their own. These chains could be said to have both attack and defensive properties. Not to mention how agile these silver chains were. They could even coordinate with each other. Little girl, your defensive killer move is pretty good. Zhao Pu could not see any results. He did not continue trying and retreated some distance, using his methods to replenish the thinning bloody cloud. This was natural. Zhao Lian had many immortal killer moves. These methods were chosen specifically for Zhao Lian by Spirit Affinity House and Heavenly Court. They were especially suitable for a beginner like Zhao Lian. Not only were the killer moves easy to control, the injuries from backlash in the case of failure were also not severe. The main thing was that these killer moves were extremely refined. The meteors continued to fall down in torrents. Zhao Pu was constantly replenishing the bloody cloud above him. Yu was in a corner, healing himself. Zhao Lian did not answer. She silently continued to prepare for a third immortal killer move. It was just that these 2 killer moves, Meteor Rain and Life-Locking Silver Chain, were the ones she had practiced the most. This third move was slightly more complex than these 2 moves. During the normal training, Zhao Lian only had to spend some effort to activate it. But in a real battle, she found she had to use a lot more effort. Although, right now, with the protection of Life-Locking Silver Chain, the environment was similar to the training field, her mental state was not the same. Her few attempts had already ended up in failure. Another immortal killer move? Don't you know immortal killer moves cannot be used easily? The more you use them, the more chances where you will expose a weakness. Let me teach you how to fight. Zhao Pu smiled sinisterly and pounced forward. But this time, when he had reached halfway, he opened his mouth wide. Boom. An enormous explosion occurred. Zhao Lian felt the blood throughout her body, shaking violently. A little less than half of the goo worms that had soared up in Zhao Lian's phantom aperture fell down again because of the disturbance. Among them, many mortal goo were destroyed. Zhao Pu was a blood path demonic immortal, but also had sound path methods which caught Zhao Lian unprepared. Even Yu, who had been healing himself, was affected. Like this, Zhao Pu continued to attack Zhao Lian from all sides, while Life-Locking Silver Chain ensured her safety. Zhao Lian did not succeed in activating her third immortal killer move due to all sorts of interference from Zhao Pu. She was filled with a sense of powerlessness, thinking, This guy is indeed like what you EEZ described him as. He has a number of methods which are all ordinary and cannot break my life-locking silver chain. But he is extremely troublesome. He has all kinds of methods emerging one after another, causing me to repeatedly fail in activating the killer move. This won't do. I need to continue to persevere. Zhao Lian firmed her resolution and continued to attempt activating her immortal killer move. Maybe due to being obstructed too many times and failing many times, it instead tempered her will and strengthened her conviction. Finally, her eyes suddenly let out a piercing sharp light. Zhao Lian then stretched out her right arm and spat at her right palm, spitting out a chain of fire. The fire stopped at her palm. At first it was only a fireball hovering over her right palm. But with Zhao Lian continuing to spit out fire, the fire in her hand began to inflate. It was quite strange. This fire was not inflating as a whole, but it was its left and right side that were enlarging. Soon, a staff of fire formed in Zhao Lian's hand. The staff grew until it was the side of an adult's arm. The burning flames on the staff began to shrink. Several breaths later, the raging fire was completely gone, as it condensed into a staff that seemed to be cast from crimson bronze. Zhao Lian closed her mouth before suddenly opening it, letting out a shrill scream. Strike. Following her voice, a golden ray of light immediately shot out from her mouth and struck the fire staff. The fire staff completely absorbed this golden light. The golden light quickly moved around in the fire staff before finally stopping at the head of the staff, gradually turning into a sharp spear. Right now, the fire staff had changed into a short crimson golden spear. Immortal Killer Move Golden Sun Spear had finally activated successfully. It is time for you to die. Zhao Lian let out a breath of air. She was filled with confidence. Her right hand slowly raised the Golden Sun Spear and pointed at Zhao Pu, her willpower soaring high. Zhao Pu was solemn as he fixed his gaze at the Golden Sun Spear in Zhao Lian's hand, praising it. Impressive spear, both its temperature and radiance are well restrained. Once it bursts out, it will definitely be terrifyingly powerful. But he suddenly changed the subject, revealing a smile as if his scheme had succeeded. He said to Zhao Lian, "Don't you feel anything strange right now?" What? Only then did Zhao Lian sense something warm was flowing down the sides of her lips. She lightly wiped with her left hand. It was blood. Who knew when she had started to bleed? This is... Zhao Lian's pupils immediately shrunk to pin size, and her body started shaking. This is my killer move, blood drain. Hee. Zhao Pu laughed loudly. This can't be. You clearly... Zhao Lian had only spoken a few words, when blood started to flow out of her mouth, dyeing her white teeth red. Haha. You want to say that I did not show any signs of activating an immortal killer move? Actually, I had already activated it. I only changed the method. Zhao Pu laughed. Could it be the rumored technique, split move? Ueez cried out in shock, his eyes wide open. Zhao Pu glanced at him. Kid, you are quite knowledgeable. Gu masters nurtured, used, and refined Gu. No matter which aspect, they were all very profound and deep. Refining Gu involved all sorts of refinement methods. Using Gu naturally was also the same. Among immortal killer moves, there were many extraordinary methods and techniques. For instance, the consecutive moves of Blazing Heaven Demonis. She could use 2 or more fire path immortal killer moves one after the other, achieving a stronger effect in the end. Another example was Fang Yuan's variant moves. Myriad Self, formed from the convergence of enslavement and strength path, could produce large numbers of strength path phantoms to battle. But Fang Yuan was able to create a variant move, Myriad Self First Style, Strength Path Giant Hand. This variant move used Myriad Self as the foundation, but was able to produce an offensive effect that Myriad Self could not achieve by itself. And the method Zhao Pu was using right now was a split move. If he directly activated Blood Drain, it would definitely be sensed by the highly vigilant Zhao Lian, and she would either disturb him or evade. However, Zhao Pu split this immortal killer move into multiple parts, and used them as he fought. After he unleashed all of these split moves, he achieved the effect of Blood Drain. The advantage of this method was clear. There was no indication of the move being used, which made it impossible to guard against. Damn it. So he had been hiding and pretending. He attacked multiple times, but did not break my life-locking Silver Chain's defense. It was actually because he was secretly plotting. Right now, Zhao Lian found that she was not only bleeding from her mouth, blood was starting to flow continuously from her nose and ears as well. Her eyes were also filled with some traces of blood, causing her vision to become blurry. Zhao Lian's heart thumped loudly as she recalled Ueez's appearance. I was still hit by that move. If it continues like this, would not I end up the same way as Ueez? He is truly crafty. In her agitation, Zhao Lian threw the Golden Sun Spear towards Zhao Pu. But Zhao Pu was already prepared. He was extremely vigilant against Zhao Lian's fire. Spear. Zhao Lianyun's shoulder had just started to move, when he had already begun to move. The Golden Sun Spear did not have the ability to lock onto the target, but it was extremely fast, brushing past Zhao Pu. Zhao Pu got a great fright. The Golden Sun Spear pierced through the hall, shooting towards outside the hall before it exploded. A boundless heat wave swept over all directions. The dazzling golden light, and the flames instantly formed a small sun-like sphere. But soon, this small sun disappeared completely. Such power, if it truly struck me. Zhao Pu's body was soaked in cold sweat. Fortunately, they have already been struck by my move. Oh, Yu inwardly sighed, and walked towards Zhao Lianyun, prepared to fight alongside her. Zhao Lianyun was downcast, her morale falling sharply. She had very little real battle experience. Her state of mind was easily influenced. This immortal killer move, Golden Sun Spear, was a valuable advantage, but now it was wasted by her. Your injuries. Zhao Lianyun worriedly looked at Yu. Yu's injuries showed no signs of getting better. Zhao Pu laughed. Did you think I was intentionally letting you off when I let you rest and heal? As long as you are hit by my move, unless I personally cancel the effect, normal methods won't be of any use. You have already tried. Do you see any effects? But I am quite benevolent. I will allow you both to surrender, as long as you kneel and beg for mercy. Giving me your Immortal Gu, I will take you as my slaves and spare your lives. Stop dreaming. Zhao Lianyun gritted her teeth, refusing Zhao Pu's invitation. Zhao Pu ignored her and laughed. The battle is decided. Are you still unaware of your situation? A wise person submits to circumstances. You are still young. It is over if you die, but you will still have hope as long as you live. Yu sneered. I am indeed unable to heal my injuries and can only let the blood continue to flow. But I have made some gains. I have already deduced that as long as we kill you, the injuries on our body will heal by themselves. Huh. Zhao Pu's expression slightly changed. He sized up Yu once again. Kid, I have changed my opinion about you. Yu was a genius Refinement Path Gu Immortal, having extremely deep attainment level in Refinement Path. Even rank 7 Gu Immortals often discussed Gu refinement matters with him, and even asked him for guidance. Yu was not only proficient in Gu refinement, he also was skilled in deducing Gu recipes. Refinement Path and Wisdom Path were close to each other and could coordinate with each other. Yu was able to deduce the truth from his injuries along with Zhao Pu's various behaviors. We must kill him before all our blood is drained. If he doesn't die, we will die. Yu transmitted his voice to Zhao Lianyun. They were already forced into a dead end. They had no options other than to fearlessly charge ahead and kill the enemy to have the right to survive. Charge! Zhao Lianyun called out, and charged forward without hesitation. Conceited brats, I will let you taste my true strength. Zhao Pu laughed loudly, and valiantly charged forward, fighting as 1 against 2. Both sides went at each other, neither yielding a step. Life-locking silver chains shuttled back and forth. Zhao Pu had a bloody cloud above him and 1 below his feet. He avoided 3 chains and immediately spat blood towards the 3 chains coming from behind. The blood dyed the silver chains, immediately turning them into a pool of blood. 8 refinement gates. 3rd gate. Hand gate. Open. Yu took the chance to palm strike towards Zhao Pu's back from afar. Immediately, 2 exquisite palm silhouettes struck Zhao Pu's back with incredible speed. Zhao Pu gave a muffled groan. Blood suddenly splashed out from his back and covered his injuries. A slightly surprised expression flashed past his face as he thought, strange, why is this kid's attack much stronger now? Yu might be a Refinement Path Gu Immortal, but his battle strength was also extraordinary. As long as he was given some time, he could target his opponent's weaknesses properly, especially his Immortal Killer move, 8 refinement gates. It could change according to the situation and unleash some properties that were specially effective against the enemy. Yu and Zhao Lianyun knew they had no way to retreat, and instantly burst out with remarkable battle strength. If humans stake their all, their danger would naturally increase explosively. In contrast, the Blood Path demonic immortal Zhao Pu was not willing to fight to the death. He just needed to delay some time, and he could obtain victory. As such, for a moment, Zhao Pu was instead suppressed by Zhao Lianyun and Yu. However, Zhao Pu's battle experience was much greater than these 2 immortals of Central Continent. He was extremely slippery, moving around all the time. Zhao Lianyun and Yu did everything they could, but could not catch him at all. As time passed, the situation inclined towards Zhao Pu. Yu was the first to weaken in his attacks. He had been struck much earlier than Zhao Lianyun and had suffered much greater injuries. Now, because of the high blood loss, he fell unconscious. Your friend might have died from blood loss. You are next. You also don't have much time. Why aren't you attacking more frequently? Zhao Pu laughed. Zhao Lian was in low spirits. She knew Zhao Pu was intentionally provoking her to disturb her mind, but she was unable to calm her mind and became more and more agitated. Blood had started flowing out of her eyes. Her sight was completely blurry and red. More terrifyingly, blood was not only pouring out of her 7 orifices, but also from the countless pores on her body. Damn it, damn it. An intense dizziness constantly attacked Zhao Lian. Her whole body was starting to shake and waver. Finally, Zhao Pu sent a long-ranged attack, which sent Zhao Lian flying. She fell to the ground and rolled 3 times before stopping. Damn it. Zhao Lian pushed the ground with her hands and tried to stand up, but she had lost too much blood and had no strength left in her. She could not even prop her body up anymore. It's over. Zhao Pu folded his arms across his chest as he walked slowly towards Zhao Lian and looked down at her. Blood. It was flowing out continuously from Zhao Lian's body. Soon, a pool of blood had formed around her. Zhao Lian had become a blood-soaked person in this pool. Blood was flowing down from her eyes along with her tears. Is it over? This is where I fall. Blood. I am not in the least bit afraid this time, Fang Yuan. Zhao Lian recalled a scene of the past. That was during the fighting for imperial court. Zhao Lian had lost the protection of her father and was unwillingly turned into a political chip to be married to Wei tribe's young master, and had no choice but to rely on Ma Hongyun. During one battle, Zhao Lian was unfortunately shot in the thigh by a falling arrow. Blood flowed. I am going to die. Ah, so painful. I am going to die. Zhao Lian was lying inside a carriage, screaming and crying. Don't make a fuss, Lady Xiao Yun. You are not going to die. This is only a little injury. Ma Hongyun proficiently dressed her injury while consoling her. Blood, so much blood. Don't you know I get dizzy at the sight of blood? I have never suffered such a heavy injury. Zhao Lian groaned. You, how could you be so squeamish? Injuries are normal for people of Northern Plains. Many times, the scars are a source of glory and symbol of our feats. Zhao Lian rolled her eyes. Do you know how to comfort people? Sigh. How could I be so unlucky, huh? Ma Hongyun laughed loudly, carelessly using a bit more strength. Zhao Lian cried out in pain. Be softer. Also, what are you laughing at? I have suffered such a serious injury, and you seem to be very happy. Ma Hongyun quickly waved his hand, but was still laughing. I'm not gloating. It is just that I feel Lady Xiao Yun is truly cute. You normally act like an elder and fill people with awe. But only now do I truly feel you are a little sister younger than me. You are getting truly arrogant. Zhao Lian was just about to erupt, when suddenly, Ma Hongyun touched her forehead. Zhao Lian was dazed. For some reason, she got a feeling of warmth. Ma Hongyun ignored her. There is no fever. This is good. Lady Xiao Yun, you cannot be so squeamish. Suffering some injuries and letting out some blood is nothing. If you scream so loudly again, people will ridicule you. Her recollection ended here. Ridicule. You should not be able to ridicule me now, right? You brat. I really used up all my blood to save you. It is truly strange. I actually willingly sent myself to death for someone. So, even if I die, I am willing to do this. Such thoughts emerged in Zhao Lian's mind. Die. Zhao Pu gave a loud shout and pierced forward with his hand like a sharp knife. A fatal blow. If this battle struck true, it would pierce through Zhao Lian's head like tofu. But right at this time, an intense radiance burst out from Zhao Lian's body. The radiance was so glaring that Zhao Pu had no choice but to close his eyes and step back. Why is there such a strong light? Impossible. This aura, so powerful. Zhao Pu let out a miserable cry. His whole body did not budge in the light. Soon, he was like the melting snow under a hot sun, completely destroyed. At the crucial moment, Immortal Gu showed its might once again, directly killing Zhao Pu. Northern Plains, in the depths of Earth Trench. Wuxia, where will you hide now? Fang Yuan's sword dragon form roared in the Earth Trench. His voice, filled with killing intent, resounded everywhere. Relying on Qi luck sensation, Fang Yuan had moved at extreme speed and finally reached here. From within the darkness, a giant city slowly rose up. Wuxia was standing on top of the giant city. I have been waiting for quite some time. Wuxia spoke, his gaze tranquil and his tone indifferent. Shirnu is dead. You want to fight me with just you 4 in this Immortal Gu house? Fang Yuan sneered. Dark Flow Giant City was huge and looked majestic, but it was only a Immortal Gu house, not an Immortal Gu house. It was not easy to form an Immortal Gu house. Shadow Sect possessed many Immortal Gu, but they also could not casually upgrade Dark Flow Giant City to an Immortal Gu house. If they had an Immortal Gu house, Fang Yuan would feel a lot of apprehension, because the power of an Immortal Gu house increased with the amount of Immortal Essence expended. Fang Yuan had once used Giant Sun's Immortal Essence to control Graceful Chaotic Dual Stage and shined in the battle of Etian Mountain. But Dark Flow Giant City was only a mortal Gu house, and it was absolutely not enough to put fear in Fang Yuan. Then what if you add me? A second figure appeared on top of Dark Flow Giant City. This person was only a rank 6 Gu Immortal, but he was an old acquaintance of Fang Yuan. It was the spy Shadow sect had inserted in Lian's sect, Refinement Path, Gu Immortal 6th Hair. Fang Yuan's gaze became slightly dark. Fang Yuan did not think much of 6th Hair's strength. But 6th Hair and Fang Yuan were members of Lian's sect. Both of them had an Information Path alliance agreement. This made it extremely inconvenient for Fang Yuan to go against 6th Hair. With just slight carelessness, he would suffer the backlash of the Information Path alliance agreement and be injured. However, Fang Yuan had mentally prepared for 6th Hair's appearance. Die! Fang Yuan swung his dragon tail, directly charging forward. Dark Flow Giant City quickly moved back, and at the same time, a battlefield killer move rose up and large numbers of Yiksha octopuses closed in. Your status has already made Fang Yuan hesitate. We just need to delay some time, and we can use omnidirectional travel again. Ing Wuxia patted 6th Hair's shoulder. Lord, you should go take a rest. Let me handle this. 6th Hair said to Ing Wuxia. Ing Wuxia nodded and entered Dark Flow Giant City. It was a slaughterhouse. Despite there being large numbers of Yiksha octopuses, they were not a match for Fang Yuan. The ancient sword dragon raised a bloody storm, rampaging around the battlefield. Dark Flow Giant City was within his sight, but Fang Yuan did not dare to carelessly use dragon breath. It would be bad if he killed 6th Hair by mistake. It would be himself who would suffer instead. He might even be counterattacked by Ing Wuxia and the rest due to that, and lose his life here. Ing Wuxia and the others were in a bad situation, but Fang Yuan was not blindly optimistic. He knew he had the upper hand, but was not yet able to turn it into crushing dominance, especially when there was Bai Ning Bing, who could turn into the Baixiang state, and Ing Wuxia, who had lead soul into dream. Even though the former only had rank 6 cultivation and the latter's lead soul into dream was incomplete. Information Path, when can I be free from its restrictions? Fang Yuan was vexed. Information Path was a pain that had repeatedly troubled him. Fang Yuan had also tried hard, but lacking fortuitous encounters, he had not been able to solve this issue. 6th Hair presided over the battle. His strategy was not to win, but to not make any mistakes. After Fang Yuan killed the wave of Yiksha octopuses, wall-climbing demon apes started to appear. These apes similarly were beasts of Earth Trench, not inferior to Yiksha octopus. After this wave of wall-climbing demon apes was eliminated, Fang Yuan was attacked by a large group of red flame snakes. These beast groups were probably all controlled by Northern Plains Zombie Alliance Division. For example, Yiksha octopuses probably belonged to the rank 7 Immortal Zombie Dragon Commander Yicha. The Zombie Alliance divisions in other regions were all besieged. Only on Northern Plains Zombie Alliances and did they rely on Earth Trench to remain until now. Not only these desolate beasts. Looking at He Lulan's performance earlier, there probably are Immortal Gu as well. If so, I will have to reevaluate the battle strength of Ing Wuxia and the others. However, it is not possible to grasp Immortal killer moves in a short period of time. With just Immortal Gu, when there is conflict between Dao marks, Fang Yuan analyzed the situation while fighting. At this time, a large group of horse desolate beasts galloped towards Fang Yuan. These horses were extremely strange. They had a pair of sheep horns on their heads. Their whole bodies looked like they were burnt charcoal. They were letting out dense smoke from their noses, and their tails and limbs were burning with a dull red fire. Huh. Dream Path Desolate Beast Nightmare Demonic Colt. Fang Yuan was stunned, before recognizing it shortly afterwards. So it seems, Nightmare Demonic Colts had already appeared during this time period. Moreover, in such high numbers. Fang Yuan was greatly joyous. Nightmare Demonic Colts were a Dream Path Desolate Beast. This desolate beast was extremely common during his first life of 500 years. But now at this time, it was extremely rare. Fang Yuan thought this horse had yet to appear. Times changed, humans were changing, and the world was also changing. Many Gu materials were extinct, leading to the decline of Strength Path, Chi Path, and other paths. Similarly, many new Gu materials were constantly formed. Dream Path. This path had just begun to flourish near the end of Fang Yuan's first life. At present, the Gu Immortals were all researching it. Although they made some gains, they were extremely small and almost could not be considered anything. Only after a few hundred years would many Dream Path Gu materials start to appear. Nightmare Demonic Colts were one of them. Fang Yuan had thus believed Nightmare Demonic Colts did not exist at this time. But this group of Nightmare Demonic Colts made him realize his estimation was completely wrong. Good thing I was wrong. I must get these Nightmare Demonic Colts. Fang Yuan was extremely happy. What did Dream Path Desolate Beasts signify? Large amounts of dream path Gu materials. Why was Fang Yuan painstakingly going deep into his own dreams? It was to gather dream path materials. If he had these nightmare, demonic colts, Fang Yuan could cut the meat of these desolate horses and refine large numbers of dream path mortal Gu, and even dream path immortal Gu. When he was exploring the giant dream realm in southern border, why could he not use unravel dream as much as he liked? Why did he have to plan carefully every time he used it? Simply put, wasn't it because he did not have enough dream path mortal Gu? The efficiency of refining dream path mortal Gu alone was truly too low. These nightmare demonic colts are all mine. Fang Yuan started to capture these nightmare demonic colts. His ancient sword dragon form was extremely fast, maneuvering around these nightmare demonic colts with no obstruction. Fang Yuan was trying to knock these nightmare demonic colt unconscious, and then raise them in the sovereign immortal aperture. However, Shadow Sect had clearly prepared for it, and had made some arrangements on these nightmare demonic colts. Fang Yuan tried hard, but finally discovered he could not capture these nightmare demonic colt alive. At most, he could kill them and obtain their corpses. But even so, Fang Yuan had a huge harvest. After killing these nightmare demonic colts, Fang Yuan then slaughtered the next few waves of desolate beast groups, among which were ancient desolate beasts as well. Fang Yuan's battle strength was already at the upper layers of rank 7. Whether it be the desolate beast groups or the battlefield killer move, they were not a threat to Fang Yuan. Dark Flow Giant City did not have an endless supply of desolate beast groups. After a while, Fang Yuan had killed all the beast groups, and he spent some time in breaking the battlefield killer move, wrecking Dark Flow Giant City. However, a lot of his time had still been wasted. Xie and the others had already left. Sixth Hair had remained behind, like Shirnu, to hold back Fang Yuan. Sixth Hair's cultivation could not compare to Shirnu's, but he had a huge advantage. He looked at Fang Yuan with no fear. Do you dare to kill me? What use is there in killing you? Wait till I kill Xie and let you fall into despair and suffering. Fang Yuan gave a sinister smile as his dragon body ascended and flew out of Earth Trench. The ashen-faced Sixth Hair was left behind, along with the ruined Dark Flow City. Northern Plains was extremely huge. Even though they had omnidirectional travel, Snowy Mountain-blessed land was at the extreme northwest. Omnidirectional travel could not be used continuously, while Xie was hurrying towards Snowy Mountain-blessed land. Fang Yuan caught up to them once again. Let's see who will help you this time. The ancient sword dragon rushed over. Led Soul into Dream. Xie activated his immortal killer move. Fang Yuan was hit again. However, this dream realm was unexpectedly deep. He had to use Unravel Dream to break the dream realm and return to reality. What is going on? Fang Yuan immediately sensed something fishy. This was somewhat beyond what he had expected, causing him to suffer a minor loss. Xie laughed. I sacrificed all those nightmare demonic colts earlier. Do you think these dream path immortal materials can be taken so easily? I will give you advice. Don't chase us. If you continue chasing, even if you have the upper extreme heavenly eagle, you will lose your life. Crafty guy. Fang Yuan snorted. Regardless of what intention Xie had, whether it was provocation or probing, Fang Yuan decided to give up chasing for now. The dream realm was constantly pestering him. He had to get through the entirety of the dream realm. Only then could he be completely free of worries. Undoubtedly, Lead Soul into Dream was truly troublesome. Even though Fang Yuan had Unravel Dream, he could not resolve it in one attempt, and had to pass through all the stages of the dream realm. Inside the dream, southern border, dawn. The wet dew and the dense cloud-like mountain fog produced a depressing feeling. The merchant caravan did not continue moving. Moving in this dense fog on the mountain was very likely to create problems. The young Fang Yuan was sitting beside a simple bed. Gu Master Big Beard was lying on the bed, and was already on the verge of dying. Fang Yuan, thank you for the medicinal herbs. Gu Master Big Beard spoke with an extremely weak voice. Fang Yuan was feeling extremely stifled as he sobbed. Uncle Big Beard, you will get better. Gu Master Big Beard shook his head. How could I not be clear of my injuries? Don't cry, child. Crying is of no use to us. I was once young like you, and had big dreams. Unfortunately, my aptitude was too bad, and I finally sank into this current state. This world is too big, while we are too small. When I was a child, I wanted to be a grand hero, like those legendary figures of the righteous path. When I was a youngster, I wanted to be a clan leader. When I was an adult, I was satisfied with becoming a clan elder. When I was a middle-aged man, I was exiled from the clan. I felt that I could live by myself just as well. I was satisfied with just raising my Gu worms and myself. Do you know what I want now? Fang Yuan wept softly. What? I just want to quietly lie down inside a quiet room and slowly recall the past, until death comes to take me. Gu Master Big Beard had a self-mocking expression. Then should I leave? Fang Yuan did not know what to do. Leave. Let me be here alone. I don't want others to see my dying appearance. Gu Master Big Beard said. Fang Yuan slowly stood up and hesitantly walked to the door. At this time, Gu Master Big Beard spoke once again. You must have read The Legends of Rinzu. There is a chapter which tells the story of the Miniman walking out of ordinary abyss. We are all Minimen, and we all want to walk out of ordinary abyss. Oh, you must continue on, Fang Yuan. Continue living, continue persevering. It is a pity that all my Gu were destroyed in the battle. This is my advice to you, my only gift. To us minor characters, crying is of no use. No one will hear us even if we shout. We can only persevere by ourselves. Persevere until you accomplish great feats, become extraordinary. Either that, or embrace death. Chapter 1266. I love him. Did we win? Zhao Lian had to use quite some effort to climb out of the blood pool. Her injuries were severe, and she was blacking out. Fortunately, Zhao Pu was already dead, and the blood drain immortal killer move on Zhao Lian and Yu also dissipated. If it did not dissipate, Zhao Lian and Yu would undoubtedly follow Zhao Pu to death. Huff, huff. On the other side, Yu was breathing roughly, standing up while leaning on the wall. When he saw Zhao Lian, this young Gu immortal was dazed and turned pale. Lian, Fairy Lian, your face? No, your body. Yu's eyes were wide open, and he stuttered, not knowing how to express himself. Zhao Lian felt strange, transmitting her voice. What's wrong with me? She lowered her head to look at herself. The first thing she saw were her hands. A pair of old and skinny hands. Zhao Lian's heart gave a jolt as she found she had unknowingly become an elderly woman. Her back was bent, wrinkles covered her body. Her sight was blurry and her hair had turned white. What's happening? Zhao Lian was shocked. She grabbed her hair, easily pulling out strands of white hair. Her strong hair roots had degraded and become loose. Yu spoke with a heavy voice. It is probably Love Gu. Love Gu consumed your lifespan to burst out with the terrifying power that could directly kill Zhao Pu. Is that so? Zhao Lian was dazed and at a loss. Anyone who turned from the prime of their youth to an old and frail person the next moment would definitely receive a huge shock in their mind. Yes. Yu nodded and consoled. But you don't have to worry. You can restore your youth by using Lifespan Gu. Normal Gu immortals might not be able to gather Lifespan Gu, but you are different. You are the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House. The sect will definitely provide you Lifespan Gu. Zhao Lian did not reply. She was feeling complicated emotions. Shock, disappointment, disbelief, dazedness. She was an otherworldly demon, but even before transmigrating, she had not experienced becoming this old. After a while of silence, Zhao Lian finally recovered from the shock. I will continue going forward. Old age doesn't matter. Hong Yun is still waiting for me. Zhao Lian gazed at the distant first snowy peak through the window, her gaze becoming resolute once more. You cannot continue. Yu was shocked, quickly walking over to Zhao Lian and holding her arm. Love Immortal Gu is powerful, but it is not stable. Maybe it will take your lifespan the next time as well. If so, you will definitely die. Yu persuaded. So what if I die? The old Zhao Lian looked at the young Yu with a slight smile. Her smile was not even a little beautiful, but Yu was dazed. Then, Zhao Lian softly drew back her arm. She clearly did not use much strength, but Yu felt a formless strength attacking his heart, letting him voluntarily release his hand. He then quietly stood on the spot, looking at Zhao Lian's hunched back, looking at her walking towards the outside of the hall with heavy and aged steps. This scene was ordinary and nothing strange, but Yu felt an intense tremor in his heart. He even subconsciously held his breath, as Zhao Lian's weak receding figure imprinted deeply in him at this moment. What kind of spirit is this? For her love, she is willing to make sacrifices, unafraid of death and destruction. Zhao Lian, I would have definitely died in Zhao Pu's hands without you. All right, let me follow you. At worst, this life will be paid to you. Yu was not old. He was still hot-blooded, and after firming up his mind, he quickly followed Zhao Lian. There was not much immortal essence left in her phantom aperture. Zhao Lian was also worried that recklessly summoning Love Immortal Gu would spend what little remained of her lifespan. As such, she chose to walk down the peak. Under the effect of the fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation, Zhao Lian and Yu separated, and she alone went to another snowy peak. There was still a large hall at the peak, and the atmosphere was quiet. There was a battle here. Zhao Lian slowly walked to the hall, finding the inside of the hall in ruins. Signs of an intense battle were everywhere. Fairy Lian. A voice suddenly transmitted to Zhao Lian's ears. Zhao Lian was slightly dazed, before shortly recognizing the voice as that Water Path Gu Immortal, Mu Linglan's voice. This is the 8th peak of snowy mountain-blessed land. I fought with the owner of this peak, Xiao Fei Fei, and now, we are both wounded. We are both hiding right now, healing our injuries as quickly as possible. You need to be careful, don't be hit by her ability. She has an immortal killer move which can cause the target to continuously lose their memories. Just as he finished speaking, a ray of strange light flew and struck Zhao Lianyun's forehead. No, Mu Linglan quickly called out. Every time you lose your memory, the related memory will float in your mind. Use Immortal Gu to defend yourself. Don't use any immortal killer moves. That would be even more dangerous. If you forget an immortal killer move by any chance, you will suffer the backlash from the immortal killer move. Persevere. Wait until I heal my injuries and recover some strength to fight. Zhao Lianyun quickly agreed. She hid in a corner and used Immortal Gu to protect herself, then waited for the killer move to activate. Damn it! Zhao Lianyun gradually felt unease. She knew her situation. She had just recently become a Gu Immortal. Most of her battles came from during her training time. It would be an extremely huge blow to her if the memories of this period were erased. Memories began to surface in her mind. Northern Plains. Ma tribe was defeated and surrendered to He tribe. I didn't think we could still live, Lady Xiao Yun. Ma Hongyun held Zhao Lianyun's hands and spun round and round on the spot. Ha ha! Let me down, you big fool! Zhao Lianyun shouted. Imperial Court, blessed land. You, kid, are truly lucky. You actually became Chang tribe's son-in-law, ha! Zhao Lianyun patted Ma Hongyun's shoulder. Ma Hongyun chuckled while scratching his hair. Lady Xiao Yun, don't worry. You have helped me so much. I will treat you well. Zhao Lianyun gave a sound of acknowledgement and nodded. Then I will rely on you. Inside, however, she felt strange. Why do I have some feelings of loss and bitterness? Inside 88 True Yang building. To think that you are an otherworldly demon. You are actually lurking by Ma Hongyun's side. You have such guts. You are really daring. Unfortunately, you met me. Giant suns will exuded strong, killing intent. Zhao Lianyun felt like she had fallen in an ice cave, shouting in her mind. Damn it, there is still such an obstacle? Transmigrators are otherworldly demons? This world is too big of a trap. Oh no, my death is certain this time. I am actually going to die here. But the next moment, Ma Hongyun stood in front of Zhao Lianyun. He spread open his arms, protecting Zhao Lianyun behind him. Boy, you want to protect an otherworldly demon? Giant Suns will sharpened his tone, his expression becoming ice cold. What otherworldly demon? I don't know any otherworldly demon. I only know she is Lady Xiao Yun. Without her help, I would likely have been killed already. Ma Hongyun tried his best to defend Zhao Lianyun. Zhao Lianyun's pupil shrunk as she looked at Ma Hongyun in a daze. Even against Giant Sun's will, this fellow will still stand up for me? Why? I am clearly an otherworldly demon, and not a person of this world. You idiot, you are going to die. By protecting me, you are offending Giant Sun's will. That is your ancestor, you idiot. He Lulan's gaze towards Zhao Lianyun started showing killing intent. No, Lady Xiao Yun is innocent. You must not harm her. Ma Hongyun was extremely determined. He wholeheartedly wanted to protect Zhao Lianyun. However, Giant Sun Special Will did not care about Ma Hongyun, directly making a move against Zhao Lianyun. No. Ma Hongyun saw the situation going south. He called out in a moment of desperation, extending both his arms and hugging Zhao Lianyun within his bosom. During this moment, time seemed to have become endlessly slow. Zhao Lianyun was curled up in Ma Hongyun's chest, her heart beginning to beat wildly. An unprecedented feeling of safety and warmth filled her heart. Following that came a kind of panic. This panic was not towards her life hanging by a thread. Instead, it was a strange feeling that came from the depths of her heart. Zhao Lianyun found at this moment that she had hopelessly fallen in love with the stupid Ma Hongyun. In this world, there could be guys who would watch the stars with her, accompany her to shout at the valley, heal her, and give her flowers. But who would sacrifice their life for her? In this world, otherworldly demons were despised by even Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, who would be so stupid to protect her. Ma Hongyun. Ma Hongyun. The memories surfaced one by one in Zhao Lianyun's mind. Then, they started to disappear one by one. No, stop it. Tears filled Zhao Lianyun's face as she called out with incomparable sorrow. Xiao Fei Fei's voice transmitted. When you are struck by my immortal killer move, you will lose your most precious memories. Do you feel pain? It doesn't matter. The more you forget, the more relaxed you will be. Maybe you will even smile. The memories disappeared. A smile suddenly appeared on Zhao Lianyun's face. Don't smile. This is Xiao Fei Fei's famous sinister killer move. It will kill people while they smile. The longer you smile, the more easily you will lose your life. Mu Linglan quickly transmitted his voice to warn her. However, Zhao Lian seemed to have turned silly, as her smile became increasingly wider. Damn it. Lian knew he had to take action. He unleashed his killer move after a long period of preparation, creating an incredible effect. You actually... Xiao Fei had exposed her location while attacking Zhao Lian and was struck by the fatal move while unprepared, losing her life miserably. Fairy Lian, you need to persevere. Lian quickly rushed over and helped Zhao Lian. Zhao Lian still had a smile on her face, but she was no longer in a daze. 2 streams of translucent tears dripped down her face from her eyes. Her eyes were blurry from age and her hair had turned white. She could only use goo worms to transmit her voice. What should I do? I have forgotten almost everything about him, even his appearance. I only remember his name. I only remember that I love him. Chapter 1267. Central Continent's Reinforcements, Northern Plains, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, First Snowy Peak. Once more, Lady Wanshou approached Ma Hongyun step by step, holding a ball of lightning in her hand. Go ahead. Ma Hongyun nonchalantly rolled his eyes. Lady Wanshou snorted, throwing the ball to Ma Hongyun's chest. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Lightning sparkled all over Ma Hongyun's body. Ma Hongyun was clenching his teeth, actually maintaining his consciousness amidst the lightning assault. When the lightning assault ended, Ma Hongyun did not faint, but was sweating all over, with a flushed face. I failed again. Lady Wanshou could not believe it. What is going on? Something is not right. She had already failed who knows how many times in trying to lightning refine Ma Hongyun. Even though the success rate of rank 8 Immortal Gu was extremely low, there was no reason for being stuck at this one juncture from the start. Lady Wanshou felt like vomiting blood, especially when she saw that Ma Hongyun had already advanced to rank 5 peak stage. Moreover, because of the repeated lightning refinement failures, many lightning path Dao marks were engraved on his body. If Ma Hongyun cultivated lightning path, these Dao marks would no doubt give him tremendous help. Aren't you tired of always doing this? How about changing to another method? Even I am bored. Ma Hongyun knew his death was certain, so he no longer cared at this point, making fun of Lady Wanshou. Lady Wanshou's eyes shot out cold light that shone on Ma Hongyun. An incomparable pain immediately attacked his body and mind. He no longer had the content expression, as he raised his head and cried out miserably, his whole body twitching nonstop. Lady Wanshou silently listened to Ma Hongyun's screams, but the cold light from her eyes did not stop flickering. Ma Hongyun yelled himself hoarse. Finally, his eyes rolled back, and he fainted. Lady Wanshou gave a cold snort. The cold light from her eyes gradually dissipated and revealed her thoughtful expression. Zhao Lian is already close to dying. The number of times Love Immortal Gu can show its might has become limited. It seems Lady Wanshou has also noticed something. Far away in Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace, South Desolation Immortal was well aware of the situation in Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Right now, he was also somewhat impatient. Central Continent's Gu Immortals had still not appeared. What on earth were they planning? Capturing Love Immortal Gu was preparation Ancestor Giant Son made in the past. We, his descendants, shall complete this perfectly. Black Extremity, prepare to move. South Desolation Immortal sent his command to Longevity Heaven through information path methods. In Longevity Heaven, the 8 extremities were still controlling Calamity Luck Altar and besieging 5 Elements Grandmaster. As they heard the command, 2 rank 7 Gu Immortals immediately separated from the formation, Black Extremity and Flood Extremity. We shall go now, Black Extremity said to the others. Come back quickly. Heaven Extremity did not dare to split too much of his attention. Without 2 rank 7 Gu Immortals, they were even more helpless against 5 Elements Grandmaster, and could only maintain the current situation while they waited for Black Extremity and Flood Extremity to return. Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace. Everything is going according to plan. If this continues, Love Immortal Gu and Ma Hongyun will return to Longevity Heaven. Central Continent Gu Immortals, if you still don't make a move, it will be too late. South Desolation Immortal thought to himself. Rumble. A loud sound was heard. The entirety of Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace shook violently and was actually forced to reveal itself. Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace. So all of it was your doing. Destroy this Heavenly Palace. Take revenge for our companions. 2 Immortal Gu houses were floating in front of Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace. One was giving off sounds of hundreds of canaries singing together, extremely agile. It was Canary Pavilion. The other was surrounded by strong winds and stood lofty and tall. It was wind-sweeping building. The 2 Immortal Gu houses had imposing air, but cracks could be seen on both of them. Clearly, Central Continent's Gu Immortals had to pay a huge price to get out from the spaceless tunnel. Oomph! All of you finally appeared. South Desolation Immortal gave a cold snort as he quickly controlled Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace to defend themselves. The two Immortal Gu houses from Central Continent Pincer attacked Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace from in front and behind. Although there was Giant Sun Immortal Zombie inside Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace, he showed no intention of making a move. He had been sitting here for countless years, only retaining enough strength to make one attack. It was to repay a debt to someone. Right now, even though Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace was being attacked, he was still sitting cross-legged at the center of the palace, aloof and indifferent. Soon, sweat started forming on South Desolation Immortal's forehead. Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace was strong, but it had one big weakness. It had to stay at this place and could not be moved. The moment it moved, even if it was just a hair's breadth of distance, it would destroy its 300,000 years of effort. Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace had spent 300,000 years before it was able to influence Black Heaven and White Heaven above Northern Plains. The moment it moved, this effort will be wasted, and it would no longer be able to influence Black and White Heaven. Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace was like a huge defensive umbrella that firmly protected Northern Plains. This was the arrangement Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had left behind for his descendants. How could South Desolation Immortal destroy Ancestor Giant Sun's motives just because he was being attacked? He could only choose to face the attacks head-on. Central Continent side had come prepared as they erupted in explosive offenses, actually gaining the upper hand against Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace. Yao Huang, come help me in controlling this Immortal Gu house and fight off the enemies. South Desolation Immortal spoke. Yao Huang quickly agreed and moved to help. With a second rank 8 Gu Immortal controlling the Immortal Gu house, there was an immediate effect. The battle situation stabilized. South Desolation Immortal's expression was filled with doubts. Strange, why did these Central Continent Gu Immortals' attacks suddenly fall off? Also, they seemed to have met with an accident in the spaceless tunnel. I remember there were clearly 3 Immortal Gu houses. Where is that strongest one? Edgelink Camp? Was it destroyed in the spaceless tunnel? But at the next moment, South Desolation Immortal's eyes opened wide as he received the latest information. Edgelink Camp has appeared above Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Longevity Heaven had already infiltrated Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Thus, South Desolation Immortal was extremely clear of the situation in Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Boom. A huge explosion resounded, and a continuous and intense tremor spread. The 12 snowy peaks of Snowy Mountain Blessed Land were all shaking violently. Immortal Gu House Edgelink Camp's power was extremely high. After all, this Immortal Gu house had 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals. One was Wei Ling Yang, the other was Bai Chen Tian. Myriad Tidal Dragon was controlling Wind Sweeping Building while also using Canary Pavilion, restricting Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace. Edgelink Camp had great might. Even if it was in Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, it was contending with the power of the fate-reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation, firmly floating in the air like a nail. We are saved. Reinforcements have come. Why is there only Edgelink Camp? What about the other 2? The 5 Central Continent Gu Immortals who were at different snowy peaks simultaneously raised their heads and looked at Edgelink Camp, their spirits greatly lifted. Edgelink Camp also discovered these 5 Gu Immortals, especially Zhao Lian who had loved Immortal Gu. Wei Ling Yang and Bai Chen Tian naturally wanted to save them. However, the fate-reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation was not for show. Edgelink Camp tried to charge down, but was met with a very strong formless force. The Super Gu formation here is not simple. It actually uses Reverse Flow River. Reverse Flow River is actually an old ancestor Shui whose hands, but this Gu formation relies on Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. It is rooted to the Blessed Land. We cannot deal with the Gu formation, but we can destroy Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, thus destroying its roots. This Gu formation would then collapse by itself. Wei Ling Yang and Bai Chen Tian discussed for a moment before deciding on the plan. Boom boom boom. Edgelink Camp let out fierce offense. Giant horn shadows continuously bombarded at various areas of Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, causing extremely huge quakes. Snowy Mountain Blessed Land turned into an apocalyptic scene. Avalanches took place at all the snowy peaks, huge rifts opened on the ground, and countless birds and animals fled in panic. Husband, Lady Wanshou had stopped Gu refinement for the moment. She was standing beside old ancestor Shui who with a worried expression. Dear, if we let this Immortal Gu house continue to attack, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land will be destroyed sooner or later. At that time, this Refinement Path Gu formation will also be destroyed. But you can relax. What can a mere Immortal Gu house do to me? Let me teach these meddlesome Central Continent Gu Immortals and make them have no way back. Old Ancestor Shui who laughed loudly as he boldly charged towards Edgelink Camp. Both sides fought an intense battle in the air. Edgelink Camp, which was being controlled by 2 Central Continents rank 8s, was actually suppressed, unable to obtain an advantage. old ancestor Shui who displayed the power that belonged to the strongest of northern plains. In possession of such vast might that shook heaven and earth. His great power would drive off deities and scare off ghosts. Old ancestor Shui who is indeed worthy of being called the strongest of northern plains. Bai Qintian was not arrogant. These experts were beyond ordinary. With just a few exchanges of moves, Bai Qintian knew he was not Shui Hu's match. Edge-Link camp was shaking continuously and even looked like it could not bear old ancestor Shui Hu's tyrannical offense. Unfortunately, old ancestor Shui Hu, you are only one person, while we have 2 rank 8 Gu immortals. Wei Lingyang sneered and said to Bai Qintian, I will leave the Immortal Gu house to you. Bai Qintian transmitted his voice in reply. You can rest assured, I can hold on. If something is wrong, I will call you back. Wei Lingyang used his methods to quietly fly out of Edge-Link camp. He naturally could not resist the strength of the fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation by himself, but right now, most of the formation's power was being used to protect snowy mountain-blessed land, so the pressure on Wei Lingyang had decreased, and he was confident he could use his methods to go to each snowy peak. Because he was a Rule Path Gu immortal, Rule Path possessed a huge advantage in this aspect. Old ancestor Shui Hu was stronger than Wei Lingyang, but he could not compare in this aspect. However, Wei Lingyang had only sneaked half the distance when he was discovered by old ancestor Shui Hu's powerful investigative killer move. Where are you going? Old ancestor Shui Hu furiously shouted as he waved his hand. Immediately, a boundless blizzard rose up from thin air. Heaven and earth changed colors. All living beings went silent. Wei Lingyang was immediately overwhelmed. Wei Lingyang was not discouraged by being obstructed. He constantly changed his directions to break through old ancestor Shui Hu's obstruction, and with Bai Qintian's cooperation, it was a very good tactic of distraction. Lady Wanshou was breaking out in cold sweat. She did not have any mood to refine currently and was concentrating on this crucial battle. If old ancestor Shui Hu won, everything would be safe. Any danger would also take a turn for the better. If old ancestor Shui Hu lost, then everything was lost. All their efforts would burst like a bubble. Although old ancestor Shui Hu had high battle strength, the other side had 2 rank 8 Gu immortals and an Immortal Gu house, Edge-Link camp. On the contrary, the fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation was of limited help to a rank 8 Gu immortal like old ancestor Shui Hu. Wei Lingyang wanted to pincer attack, which no doubt attracted a lot of old ancestor Shui Hu's attention, causing the latter to find it hard to use his full strength. If one of the rank 8 Gu immortals attacks the snowy peaks, the consequences will be unimaginable. Lady Wanshou was filled with worries. Right now, snowy mountain-blessed land was already in danger that threatened its very existence. Lady Wanshou, I have an idea which can let you resolve this danger. Right at this time, a message arrived in Lady Wanshou's immortal aperture. Lady Wanshou was greatly shocked, because the Gu worm that had transmitted the message was one which Lady Wanshou had all along kept in her immortal aperture and never used. Many years ago, not long after Lady Wanshou had underwent immortal ascension. Inside a cave. Senior, so you were already here. This junior will leave. I don't dare disturb Senior from taking this true inheritance. Lady Wanshou's heart palpitated at the surging aura released by this mysterious Gu immortal. But who knew this mysterious Gu immortal would suddenly say, Little girl, you could become a Gu immortal at such a young age, and also know your own limits. Knowing when to retreat or advance, quite good. I don't have the qualifications to take this. True inheritance. I am willing to give this true inheritance to you. But, after you inherit it, you need to tell its contents to me. You will also owe me a favor. If there is a situation in the future, you must help the person who uses this information path Gu worm. Lady Wanshou considered for just a moment before agreeing. She actually had no other choice. Because if she did not agree, she probably could not leave this place alive with her cultivation level. If so, it was better to take a bet on this. Good. Come, we shall set the agreement. The mysterious Gu immortal smiled brightly while stroking his beard. This scene of the past quickly flashed in Lady Wanshou's mind. She immediately replied, May I ask if you also have interest in fortune rivaling Heaven Gu? That Gu worm quickly transmitted the reply. Ha, Lady Wanshou, it seems you have genuine feelings towards old ancestor Shui Hu. Rest assured, we don't have any ill intention towards you. We only need you to refine a Gu material. If you can do this, we will help you and your husband to force back these Central Continent experts. Then I shall welcome you, honored guests. Lady Wanshou nodded after a bit of pondering. After a while, a group of 4 Gu immortals appeared before Lady Wanshou. They were Ying Wuxie and the others. He Lulan, Tai Bai Yunsheng. Lady Wanshou immediately recognized 2 of them. The destruction of 88 True Yang building had caused the culprits to be hunted everywhere. He Lulan and Tai by Yun Sheng had become famous together with Fang Yuan. Right now, Lady Wanshou was very surprised to see these two great culprits. After all, previously, such a huge super force like He tribe had taken the blame for He Lulan and was besieged by various Huangjin tribes before being annexed by Zhao tribe in the end. As for Bai Ningbing and Ing Wuxia, Lady Wanshou naturally did not recognize them. However, what made her even more surprised was that the leader of these four Gu immortals was the weakest strength path immortal zombie, Ing Wuxia. Distinguished guests, I wonder how you can help us repel the enemies? Lady Wanshou asked. Ing Wuxia smiled brightly and spoke with assurance. Lady Wanshou, I know old ancestor Shui who had invited people to remove the alliance agreement on you from back then. But we indeed came with no ill intent. We both have mutual enemies, these Gu immortals of Central Continent. We are the best allies you can have. At this moment, you let us in. It meant that you still acknowledge the favor from back then and that you realize the dangerous situation you are in. But as long as you help us refine an immortal material first, everything can be solved easily. What immortal material? Take it out. Lady Wanshou extended her hands. However, Ing Wuxia shook his head, giving a bitter smile. This immortal material is inside your immortal aperture, Lady Wanshou. Oh, it is that purple gold rock which old ancestor Shui who took from Northern Plains Zombie Alliance's graveyard in the past. Ing Wuxia replied. Lady Wanshou's pupils shrunk slightly, letting out wisps of sharp light as she took out an immortal material. This? The four immortals looked at it. This rock was only the size of a palm and was shining in purple gold light. Ing Wuxia heaved a sigh. Yes, it is this rock. So you are members of Shadow Sect. Lady Wanshou exposed the identity of Ing Wuxia and the group. Ing Wuxia was not surprised, admitting frankly. Fairy, you have great knowledge. I will trouble you. Lady Wanshou nodded. As such, Central Continent's Gu immortals were indeed enemies of her and these Shadow Sect Gu immortals. As the common saying went, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Also, Lady Wanshou glanced at the battle in the air before turning her gaze to this purple gold rock. What kind of immortal material is this? I was not able to identify it, and even others did not know. I won't hide it from you. I have already tried to refine this purple gold rock, but I had no results. Ing Wuxia smiled brightly, his tone carrying some pride. That is because this is a special method of my Shadow Sect. Lady Wanshou, you don't know the correct procedures and methods. I will teach you. You just need to follow them, and you will succeed. An ancient sword dragon was flying above the clouds as it finally arrived at Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. From the outside world, the scenes inside Snowy Mountain Blessed Land could not be seen. Life and death battles were going on in the Blessed Land. Storms and lightning raised the battlefield, but in the outside world, it was sunny and peaceful. They entered Snowy Mountain Blessed Land? Strange. Fang Yuan could not help but have some doubts. He knew old ancestor Shui who had turned Snowy Mountain Blessed Land into a danger zone, to refine fortune rivaling Heaven Gu. Ing Wuxia and the others actually entered it? Was this true or an illusion? Would it be like that time in Eastern Sea when Ing Wuxia and the others made arrangements in the Gu formation, creating a facade and deceiving Fang Yuan's Qi Luck sensation? But if it was true, it signified too many things. Fang Yuan hesitated. He had the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, but it was not wise to rashly charge in. He decided not to charge in for the moment, and simply wait and see. Chapter 1269. Rank 8 Miniman Shuehu, take this. Wei Lingyang softly pointed his right hand towards old ancestor Shuehu. Immediately, a grand beam of light shot towards old ancestor Shuehu. Old ancestor Shuehu gave a light snort as he waved his hand. A large wall of ice appeared and blocked the beam of light easily. Next, old ancestor Shuehu breathed out cold air which flew towards Wei Lingyang, resembling spiraling hatchets. Wei Lingyang's expression immediately changed. These spiraling ice hatchets were extremely difficult to deal with. He had already suffered from them. The main thing was, he did not have restrictive methods against them. Helplessly, Wei Lingyang could only fly back into Edge Link Camp and use the powerful defensive ability of Edge Link Camp to protect himself. Boom boom boom. A series of soft sounds echoed as the ice hatchets followed Wei Lingyang and smashed into Edge Link Camp. Edge Link Camp shook intensely. Large amounts of cold air spread over it, instantly freezing many of its mortal Gu to death. Quick, repair the Immortal Gu house. Someone is injured. Heal them quickly. Activate the Immortal Gu house. Use offense as defense. The Gu immortals inside the Immortal Gu house were agitated. Wei Lingyang was breathing roughly. His right hand had frozen completely. Who knew when it happened? When was I hit? Even Wei Lingyang himself was surprised at the condition of his right hand. Old ancestor Shui, whose methods were endless. Even when they were not very powerful, they were sinister and insidious, making people unable to defend effectively. Wei Lingyang had been struck by old ancestor Shui, whose move unknowingly, and was injured. He tried several methods, but the condition of his right hand showed no signs of improving. This injury is so troublesome, Bai Chen Tian breathed sharply. It is not a big problem. I only need to seal my right hand for the moment. I am now worried about Myriad Tidal Dragon's end. He is controlling 2 Immortal Gu houses and also has the help of most of the Gu Immortals that came in this expedition, but what he is facing is Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace as well as Longevity Heaven. We must rescue Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lian quickly and join up with Myriad Tidal Dragon, then retreat to Central Continent. Wei Lingyang's gaze flickered continuously. Central Continent's Gu Immortals naturally had come prepared. Although they met with an accident in the spaceless tunnel, Central Continent's accumulation was more than enough. When these Gu Immortals reacted, they quickly and smoothly escaped the danger. But the current situation was extremely unfavorable to them. It was already difficult to deal with Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace. Now that they had split their forces, the decision-maker, Wei Lingyang, was facing great mental pressure. Rumble. Thunderous explosions occurred endlessly. Edgelink Camp was shaking continuously and was losing ground. Central Continent's 2 Rank 8 Gu Immortals were elites among Rank 8s and were qualified to be members of Heavenly Court. They were naturally very powerful. However, Northern Plains excelled in battle strength among the 5 regions, and old ancestor Shui, who was the strongest expert among the Rank 8s of the current Northern Plains. Right now, he displayed such astonishing offense that Central Continent's side was not able to gain the upper hand since the moment they had started fighting him. This won't do. Treat your injuries and control the Immortal Gu house. I will go distract old ancestor Shuehu. Bai Chen Tian said through clenched teeth. You must be careful, Wei Lingyang said to Bai Chen Tian with concern in his voice, as he knew his injuries had yet to recover. Bai Chen Tian flew out of Edgelink Camp and quickly used his Immortal Killer move, turning into a green ray of light and flying down towards the snowy peaks. Bai Chen Tian intended to destroy the fate, reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation. With its destruction, Edgelink Camp would not be obstructed and could dive down without resistance, directly saving Zhao Lian and perhaps Ma Hongyun as well. Old ancestor Shui, who might be powerful, but he would not be able to block Edgelink Camp's charge. Stop daydreaming. Old ancestor Shui, who had already seen through Central Continent's tactics, he activated his Immortal Killer move. Immediately, endless hailstones fell down from the sky. Each of these hailstones was enormous, the size of a mound. They crashed down with loud sounds and started turning into snow monsters. These snow monsters were of at least Desolate Beast level, and among them were ancient Desolate Beast snow monsters as well. They stood on the snowy peaks and roared towards the sky. Old ancestor Shui, who suddenly took in a deep breath, 2 lumps of cold air, so deeply blue that they were to the point of being black, were forming in his breath. The cold air was emitted, giving rise to a powerful blizzard. The snow monsters were like fish in water in the blizzard. They were even able to soar with the help of the blizzard. Bai Chen Tian, however, was greatly restricted. So powerful. Old ancestor Shui, who knows he cannot use battlefield killer moves inside the Gu formation. So he actually disassembled his signature battlefield killer move. His ice and snow path attainment is probably already at great grandmaster level. Whether it be Bai Chen Tian or Wei Lingyang, they were both shocked at this scene. At great grandmaster level, every killer move could be casually disassembled and interchanged at will. Their understanding towards the path was already close to the Tao. But what if you add me? Wei Lingyang sneered. The next moment, he also charged out of Edgelink Camp, towards the Gu formation. The injury on his right had already healed completely. He clearly had very high attainment in the healing aspect. Old ancestor Shui, whose expression slightly changed. Facing 2 Rank 8 Gu Immortals at once, along with an Immortal Gu house, he clearly appeared to be stretched thin and had slightly lost his control over the battle situation. After all, he was unable to destroy the Immortal Gu house for the moment, and the 2 Rank 8 Gu Immortals were also experts. Most importantly, old ancestor Shui, who had to protect the fate-reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation. Rank 6 and Rank 7 Gu Immortals could not break this formation, but Rank 8 Gu Immortals were different. Bai Chen Tian and Wei Lingyang were attacking the enemy's weak points, gradually turning around their situation and gaining slight initiative. Immortal Gu House Edgelink Camp was controlled by a group of Rank 7 Gu Immortals and was like a turtle shell in defense, not seeking glory on the battlefield but content with not showing flaws, not allowing old ancestor Shui, who to make a fatal move for some time. Boom boom boom. Every now and then, the fate-reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation shook and emitted buzzing sounds. This was the result of a small portion of attacks from Bai Chen Tian or Wei Lingyang that had escaped old ancestor Shui, whose obstruction, striking snowy mountain-blessed land. Amazing. Hang in there. lords and our comrades of Central Continent. Zhao, Lian Yun, and the group no longer needed to take a risk. They were standing at the top of their respective snowy peaks and gazing at the battle above. Similarly, the surviving snowy peak lords were also gazing at the sky. Their faces were filled with worry. These the power of rank 8 Gu immortals. It is truly astonishing and terrifying. Because of this formation, the after-effects of the battle have not spread, otherwise we would have died miserably. Lord Shui Hu is strong, but the Central Continent invaders are extremely crafty. If this goes on, the formation will be destroyed sooner or later, and, on the first snowy peak of Snowy Mountain, the refinement of the purple gold rock immortal material had reached its final stage. I didn't expect that I had to use enshrouding fragrance to dissolve the purple gold rock. Lady Wan Shou's horizons had broadened at this moment. Enshrouding fragrance was also an immortal material. Using immortal material to refine immortal material, this method was rarely seen, and Lady Wan Shou also found that the essence of this method was food path. Food path was rare. No wonder Lady Wan Shou had no ideas on how to deal with this purple gold rock. The last layer of the rock's surface was dissolved, and a dazzling purple light soared to the skies, forcing everyone to look away. Lady Wan Shou narrowed her eyes to a slit and was barely able to see a figure in the purple light. This figure was very small, only about the size of an adult's thumb, and it had two thin purple wings on its back. Miniman. Lady Wan Shou was slightly stunned as she recognized this figure's race. Bathed in the purple light, the Miniman slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were a bright and deep purple color. As he opened his eyes, a powerful aura leaked out of him. Rank 8 Gu Immortal. In an instant, this aura caused the fierce battle in the air to slow down. Why is there another rank 8 Gu Immortal? And it is the aura of Northern Plains. Bai Chun Tian and Wei Lingyang looked at each other, both feeling the situation going awry. We pay respects to Lord Purple. Ing Wuxia had already brought the Gu Immortals with him to bow towards this rank 8 Miniman. Only Bai Ning Bing was still standing upright. I have woken up again. The Miniman Gu Immortal blinked his eyes. The expression of confusion quickly disappeared from his face, replaced by a cold and indifferent expression. The Miniman Gu Immortal thought briefly before using an immortal killer move, calling out, "Big, big, big." Thus, his body rapidly expanded like a balloon. Soon, he reached a normal human size. Furthermore, the wings on his back vanished as well. On the outside, he looked just like a normal human. Right now, the Gu Immortals present could finally see the appearance of this mysterious rank 8 Gu Immortal. He was an unimpressive old man, even looking a little disheveled. His only special feature was his purple hair, so messy that he resembled a beggar. Plop. Tai Bai Yunsheng had tears flowing down his face. He knelt down as he shook in excitement, shouting, "Master! Oh, it is you. I remember I gave you a time path true inheritance." The rank 8 Gu Immortal smiled, exposing his uneven yellow teeth. Even though our sex plan succeeded, many unexpected mishaps occurred. This was what happened, fighting against time. Ing Wuxia went forward and transmitted many wills and thoughts to the purple-haired old man. In a moment, the purple-haired old man understood everything. It was a pity, heavens will won by a margin. But all hope is not lost. Ing Wuxia, you did well. It has been hard on you. And Tai Bai Yunsheng, stand up. Now, while I am still conscious, we will join with Shui Hu and take down these Central Continent Gu Immortals. The situation was dire. The purple-haired old man noticed that the rank 8 Gu Immortals were the key to this battle. He did not hesitate. His body turned into a purple light as he flew into the sky. In a moment, he stood beside old ancestor Shui Hu. "Friend, your name is?" Old ancestor Shui Hu was not surprised. Lady Wan Shou had already used a Gu worm to inform him about everything that happened regarding the group from Shadow Sect. With the help of the mysterious expert, old ancestor Shui Hu felt very excited. "I have many names, but..." The purple-haired old man said this and showed a smile with deep meaning. "Shui Hu, you may call me Purple Mountain True Monarch." At this point, old ancestor Shui Hu and Purple Mountain True Monarch collaborated, dealing with the two rank 8s from Central Continent, as well as Edgelink Camp. Purple Mountain True Monarch had incredible strength. Even though he only attacked sparsely, each of his attacks were extremely effective in turning the situation around. Any ordinary rank 8 could already help old ancestor Shui Hu turn this around. Not to mention the mysterious and unfathomable Purple Mountain True Monarch. Wei Lingyang and Bai Chun Tian fought desperately. They exerted all their efforts, but they could not stop the situation from tilting towards Northern Plains' favor. After more than 10 rounds of fighting, they were forced to return to Edgelink Camp. They could not defend against old ancestor Shui Hu and Purple Mountain True Monarch personally. The Peak Lord saw this and cheered loudly. Without Central Continent's Gu Immortals attacking the fate, reversing sacrificial refinement formation. The result of this battle was obvious. Zhao Lian and the other 4 Gu immortals who were trapped in snowy mountain-blessed land had pale expressions. The battle had turned for the worse. Their hopes of survival were dwindling. What should they do? Outside snowy mountain-blessed land, an ancient sword dragon was hiding among the clouds. Shadow Sect actually has connections with Snowy Mountain. Then why did Qin Baixing not request for Snowy Mountain's help when he was fighting against Feng Gu in Luopa Valley? Or perhaps their relationship is not as deep as I think. Qi Luck Sensation was telling Fang Yuan that Wu Xie and the rest were inside snowy mountain-blessed land. They did not leave. Fang Yuan's pursuit was obstructed. He was unwilling to give up. He was waiting outside to see if there was a chance. And at a certain place 1,000 li away, 2 Gu immortals descended from the sky. They were none other than Longevity Heaven's Black Extremity and Flood Extremity. This is the place, Black Extremity said as he used his Gu worms, causing a huge commotion. The small slope that was in front of them started to shine in rainbow light. Flood Extremity realized at once. So you have set up a Gu formation at this place. You need me to control the Gu formation now. Black Extremity shook his head. Wait until we get inside. He took a large step ahead, entering the Gu formation, as Flood Extremity followed behind. Once they were inside the Gu formation, Flood Extremity's expression changed. He said in shock, "This Gu formation has a grand aura, as expected of your personal arrangement, Black Extremity. I can tell that once activated, it will have incredible strength." But, towards the end, Flood Extremity had a hesitant tone. "But what?" Black Extremity looked at him with much interest. Flood Extremity said in a profound tone, "But I feel that this formation is not complete. It is missing something. It is like a lake. There should be something connecting it to the sea." Black Extremity heard this, and his eyebrows rose. He praised and clapped. "As expected of a quasi-great grandmaster of water path, you are already proficient in comprehending other paths through your main path." "That's right. This Gu formation is just a sub-formation. There is a corresponding main formation." "Then where is the main formation?" Flood Extremity frowned. Before Black Extremity answered, he had an inspiration as he said in realization, "I understand. The main formation is the fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation in snowy mountain-blessed land." "Indeed." Black Extremity laughed. "I was tasked earlier to act as Sun Ming Lu and get near Lady Wan Shou. Eventually, I created the fate-reversing sacrificial refinement formation, which used reverse flow river. Even though old ancestor Shui, who is currently the strongest person in Northern Plains, he is not proficient in formation path, he could not tell that I had a backdoor. Right now, as long as I activate this subformation, I can make the main formation in snowy mountain-blessed land break apart and draw the reverse flow river here. Once the Gu formation collapses, everyone and everything in the surrounding 10,000 li of snowy mountain-blessed land would all be swept here." Black Extremity said with an excited gaze. Flood Extremity was shocked. "In this case, wouldn't those 4 rank 8 great experts be sent here too?" Black Extremity shook his head. "Reverse flow river is a secluded domain of heaven and earth. It is not ordinary. It has an incredibly large number of Dao marks. As long as one falls into reverse flow river, even rank 8 great experts cannot use any Gu worms." In The Legends of Renzu, when Renzu traveled up the reverse flow river, he did not use any Gu worms within the river. Then wouldn't they be meat on the chopping block for us? Flood Extremity was excited, but Black Extremity shook his head. "We are outside reverse flow river. If we make any attacks, it will be reversed and reflect back at us. This is reverse flow river. The word reverse naturally has deep meaning." Flood Extremity was confused. "In this case, how can we save Ma Hongyun and capture Zhao Lian?" "Ha ha." Black Extremity laughed. "Did you forget that reverse flow river is still subjected to the influence of both my sub and main fate reversing sacrificial refinement formation? When the main formation collapses, reverse flow river would flow towards us. By then, the order of everyone in snowy mountain-blessed land would be arranged by me. Zhao Lian and Ma Hongyun would be at the front of reverse flow river. Lady Wan Shou and the rest would be behind, while Central Continent's Gu immortals would be even further back. Those rank 8 Gu immortals would be at the end." "Incredible," Flood Extremity said with shining eyes. He clapped. "This way, in order to escape from Lady Wan Shou and the rest, Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lian would desperately struggle and move forward to pull ahead of the rest behind. But as long as they are ahead, we will be able to interact with them here and capture them alive." However, Flood Extremity frowned. "If Zhao Lian and Ma Hongyun are unable to persevere, would they be like Renzu and be washed away by the river? If that happens, they would fall behind the other Gu immortals. Wouldn't it foil our plans?" Black Extremity smiled bitterly. "This is the biggest flaw in the plan. But traveling in reverse flow river has nothing to do with cultivation level or strength. Fang Yuan and Zhao Lian are not at a disadvantage. But this is not an assured result. Flood Extremity was not satisfied with this. Black Extremity shrugged. Then what do you want from a rank 7 Gu immortal like me? This is the best way already. After all, we are not plotting against 2 rank 7 Gu immortals, but the entirety of Snowy Mountain Blessed Land and Central Continent's Gu immortal experts, involving multiple rank 8 great experts, a total of 4 at that. Flood Extremity was speechless. He nodded helplessly. This was their limit indeed. In fact, it was already very impressive that Black Extremity could achieve this much. Don't worry, we are just part of the arrangements. Lord South Desolation has woken up. He definitely has other plans. We just need to do our part. That will suffice. Black Extremity patted Flood Extremity's shoulder in consolation. Boom, boom, boom. The silhouette of the giant horn shot around in the sky, sending out a barrage of attacks. Around old ancestor Shui, frost energy was oozing, turning into blue, icy cold frost that swept at Edge Link Camp in layers. The 2 Central Continent rank 8s in Edge Link Camp were desperately gritting their teeth. The Gu immortals behind them were trying to repair the Immortal Gu houses. They were covered in sweat and had panicked expressions. Meanwhile, beside old ancestor Shui, Purple Mountain True Monarch was covered in dazzling purple light, radiating in the entire Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Central Continent's group was attacking Snowy Mountain. Purple Mountain True Monarch was tasked to defend it. This blessed land was the foundation of the fate-reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation. As long as they defended it, Central Continent would lose. What should we do? Bai Chun Tian had a frantic expression. If this continues, not only will we fail to save Fang Yuan and Zhao Lian, we will also lose this Immortal Gu house and our own lives. Wei Lingyang was the leader of this expedition. He had a grim expression. The situation was very disadvantageous for the Central Continent Gu immortals. It could even be said they were hopeless. According to the plans of Central Continent's Gu immortals, they were split into 2. One group would restrain Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace, while the other would save Fang Yuan and Zhao Lian before they joined up and left Northern Plains together. But now, the group that went to Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was already close to defeat, and the other group was also waiting for their rescue. This was Northern Plains, not Central Continent. 3 rank 8s and 3 Immortal Gu houses, along with a band of Gu immortals, were still a relatively small number of people. Of course, this was also because the Northern Plains Gu immortals were prepared. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's plan was not known to Central Continent. Central Continent struck with a powerful attack. According to the planning of this assault, there was a huge chance of success. But as the situation progressed, the targets of their sneak attack became strong foes, and with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's arrangements, Central Continent's Gu immortals fell into this dangerous situation. Wei Lingyang's thoughts were churning rapidly. A moment later, he gritted his teeth and gave his orders, seemingly exerting his last bit of strength. We will retreat. Forget about Zhao Lian and Fang Yuan. After Purple Mountain True Monarch appeared, the situation went beyond Wei Lingyang's control. If this dragged on, Central Continent would suffer even greater losses. Wei Lingyang decided to retreat back to Black Heaven and join up with the other 2 Immortal Gu houses and escape to Central Continent. Edge Link Camp was directed to leave. Old Ancestor Shui and Purple Mountain True Monarch could not stop it together. After all, they had no Immortal Gu houses. They could not stop it from charging away. However, just when Edge Link Camp was about to charge out of the Gu formation, a change occurred. The entirety of Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was rumbling intensely. A great earthquake. What is going on? The Blessed Land is collapsing. Zhao Lian and the others, as well as the remaining peak lords, were extremely shocked. Rumble. With a loud sound, the snowy peaks started to break apart. What is going on? Old Ancestor Shui showed shock on his face. The entire formation is breaking apart. Purple Mountain True Monarch's eyes shined brightly. Before he corrected himself. No. This formation. Before he finished his words, the Gu immortals present heard the sound of waves. At the next moment, giant rushing waves appeared out of nowhere, sweeping the battlefield. It was the secluded domain of heaven and earth, reverse flow river. Oh no, my wife. Everything happened too quickly. Old Ancestor Shui wanted to charge back to the first peak, but he was engulfed by the river along the way. Within reverse flow river, no Gu worms could be activated. Old Ancestor Shui could not defend himself. He was washed away by the rushing tides. He had the highest battle strength in this place. If this happened to him, there was no need to mention the rest. Immortal Gu House Edge Link Camp broke apart in the river. The Central Continent Gu immortals were washed along the river like falling dumplings. Zhao Lian and the rest, the peak lords of Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, Lady Wan Shou, Ing Wuxie's group, and Fang Yuan, were all inside Reverse Flow River. Snowy Mountain blessed land completely collapsed. Only a framework was left as the winds of assimilation started to blow. They're coming. Far away, Black Extremity's head was bulging with veins. He manipulated the sub-formation with all his strength. He was the culprit behind Snowy Mountain's destruction. And beside him, Flood Extremity was defending him vigilantly. At the final moment, Flood Extremity had to use his water path methods to direct Reverse Flow River. What? Fang Yuan felt his vision turning bright as a huge torrent engulfed him in an instant. Once the fate-reversing Sacrificial Refinement formation broke, everyone and everything within the surrounding 10,000 li of Snowy Mountain blessed land was engulfed by Reverse Flow River. Fang Yuan was within this range. He was not spared. From the raging river water, Fang Yuan's head emerged on the surface. This is Reverse Flow River. He had a wide range of knowledge. After his shock, he realized the origin of the river that he was in. Snowy Mountain blessed land contains Reverse Flow River? No wonder my ancient sword dragon transformation was removed for no apparent reason. This was natural. Inside Reverse Flow River, Gu worms could not be used. Fang Yuan's ancient sword dragon transformation was an immortal killer move. It needed Immortal Gu and Mortal Gu to activate. Thus, the moment Fang Yuan was swept in, all of his Gu worms stopped working. He returned to his original form. Thankfully, I can swim. Fang Yuan moved his limbs, swimming skillfully. He looked ahead. On the surface of the raging river, there were many things floating or swimming. Large numbers of wild beasts, trees and grass, and even rocks. Reverse Flow River's waves were extremely rough. Gushes of currents caused rocks or trees to move around randomly, creating chaos in the river. Fang Yuan's heart sank. In this situation, he could not use Gu worms. His battle strength was at rock bottom. He could only rely on his own body's defense. At this time, Fang Yuan heard something that did not sound right near him. He quickly turned around. He saw that a giant metal tree was flowing along the river. The trunk was as thick as an elephant. It rushed towards him. Danger! Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk. He wanted to dodge. But in the torrential Reverse Flow River, he could not move easily. His speed was very slow. The metal tree crashed into his waist. Fang Yuan was quickly knocked into the depths of the river. Next, he rapidly moved his four limbs before resurfacing above the river. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He breathed raggedly, taking in fresh air as he inspected his body, checking his injuries. He was shocked when he checked it, because he had no injuries. He only had a bruise on his waist. But soon, his bruise vanished. Fang Yuan's eyes shined. He realized, oh right, my body is not normal. I have the sovereign immortal body. Inside Reverse Flow River, Fang Yuan could not use any Gu worms. He could only rely on his own body. However, his sovereign immortal body was not normal at all. After the Battle of Etion Mountain ended, Fang Yuan had tested this body's limits. He did not use any Gu worms, but he was fast like a charging horse. By just leaping gently, he could jump 10 meters of distance. Jumping down from 180 meters while pointing his head downwards, he felt a little dizzy, but it only lasted for 3 breaths of time, and was gone before he knew it. He had great strength and endurance as well. He ran for minutes without feeling any fatigue at all. His 5 senses and visual acuity were beyond amazing. His vision was outstanding. Looking 10,000 steps ahead, everything was clear to him. His heartbeat returned to normal after exercising intensely. Every time it beat, it was very strong and lively. His thinking speed was extremely fast as well. Even if it was under the light of wisdom, he could maintain it for a long time. Even Gu immortals could rarely reach this extent with only their bodies. Not just a metal tree. Even if a metal hill crashed at him, Fang Yuan would be intact. This was the sovereign immortal body's own physique. It had nothing to do with Gu worms. It had to do with his Dao marks. Inside Reverse Flow River, I cannot use Gu worms, but the same goes for others. Meanwhile, my sovereign immortal body is sufficiently strong. My Dao marks are also high in quantity. Fang Yuan thought about it. His mood turned into excitement. Ing Wu Xia. He flung his limbs as he swam forward like a swordfish. The whole Reverse Flow River was running quickly, but the overall flow was affected by the formation. It flowed towards Black Extremity and Flood Extremity. Roar. A striped tiger was climbing onto a plank with its limbs. Fang Yuan swam to the tiger, but it was unmoved. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan panted as he took a little rest on the plank. But this plank could not endure the weight of both the human and tiger. It started sinking. The tiger was anxious. It bore its fangs at Fang Yuan and wanted to bite him, but Fang Yuan snorted and stretched out his arm, crushing the tiger's head as he raised his fist and punched this tiger to death. Thankfully, this is not a desolate beast, but an ordinary beast instead. Against a desolate beast, the sovereign immortal body was not enough. Snowy Mountain blessed land did not lack desolate beasts, but to refine fortune rivaling heaven Immortal Gu. In activating the formation and defending against enemies, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land had already been modified. Gu immortals with desolate beasts had kept them in their immortal apertures. They would not allow enemies to kill the desolate beasts. That would just be stupid. Fang Yuan swam in Reverse Flow River. He wanted to find Ing Wuxia. Snowy Mountain Blessed Land collapsed. Reverse Flow River was pouring out. Fang Yuan did not know that Purple Mountain True Monarch had awakened. He was still thinking of old ancestor Shui, who was the main enemy. He estimated that Ing Wuxia had some relationship with Snowy Mountain, but it was not close. Otherwise, why would old ancestor Shui who not help during the battle of Etion Mountain? Fang Yuan's analysis was not wrong, but his information path methods were too lacking. He did not have enough intel. Right now, even if I meet old ancestor Shui Hu, I can survive. Because in Reverse Flow River, Gu worms cannot be used. It is a special environment. Since Ing Wuxia has some connection with old ancestor Shui Hu, if I miss this chance, they will definitely grow rapidly under his protection. If I miss this chance, I might not have another opportunity to eliminate them again. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan moved ahead after resting shortly, but he met by Qin Tian, a Central Continent rank 8 Gu immortal. Fang Yuan was shocked. What is going on? A rank 8 Gu immortal who is an old ancestor Shui Hu and is from Central Continent. Bai Qin Tian was in a terrible state. He was covered in injuries as he rested on a huge turtle's back. These injuries were not from Reverse Flow River's journey, but were sustained in the battle earlier. He was a rank 8 Gu immortal. His Dao marks conflicted, and it was harder to heal from injuries once he sustained them. But in that battle, he was in a weaker position. How could he have time to heal himself? Thus, after the main formation collapsed, he was swept by Reverse Flow River and could not use his Gu worms to heal himself, all the way until now. But fortunately, while being washed away in the river, he met a floating turtle and managed to get a chance to rest on it. Fang Yuan discovered Bai Qin Tian. Bai Qin Tian also saw Fang Yuan. But Bai Qin Tian did not recognize Fang Yuan, because Fang Yuan was in his sovereign immortal body's appearance. His original appearance was exposed by Heavenly Court and was spread over all 5 regions. Even though Bai Qin Tian did not know Fang Yuan, he frowned and became alert, because Fang Yuan's aura showed that he was a Northern Plains Gu immortal. This was also because of the sovereign immortal body. After passing the regional wall, Fang Yuan could change his aura into that of the region he was in. He was a Gu immortal of the region and could perfectly fuse into it. Who is this? He is not one of the peak lords of Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. However, he could have been recruited by old ancestor Shui, who secretly. Bai Qin Tian stood up on the turtle's shell, looking at Fang Yuan's every movement. Inside Reverse Flow River, even though Bai Qin Tian had rank 8 cultivation level, his Gu worms could not be used. He had limited battle strength. Fang Yuan also looked at him alertly. He did not get close. Even though Fang Yuan had the sovereign immortal body, he would be stupid if he thought he was the strongest person in Reverse Flow River. Reverse Flow River did not allow Gu worms to be used, but his body was intact. His Dao marks were effective. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body was very powerful because of the Dao marks on the immortal body. Similarly, if a Gu master used Black Boar Gu to gain the strength of a boar, he would have the strength path Dao marks carved into his body. If this Gu master falls into Reverse Flow River and is unable to use Gu worms, he would still be able to use his body and attack with the strength of a boar. As for other Gu immortals, over the long course of their cultivation journey, how could they not use any Gu worms like Black Boar Gu to increase the number of Dao marks in their bodies? This was natural. Anyone who was not a fool would know the advantages of such Dao marks. Fang Yuan's body had its advantages, so did other Gu immortals. The extent simply varied from one person to another. For rank 8 Gu immortals, they had deep foundations. Fang Yuan did not want to fight against Bai Qin Tian at the moment. You are a Central Continent Gu immortal? I am a Northern Plains Gu immortal, but I have a grudge with old ancestor Shui Hu. I saw him trying to refine the rank 8 Immortal Gu. I did not want him to succeed, so I went to the outside of the Blessed Land and tried to find a way to break in. Are you a helper for him to refine the Gu? Fang Yuan probed. Bai Qin Tian's frown eased a little. He answered, old ancestor Shui Hu is also my enemy. Not long ago, I was fighting against him in Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, but this unexpected surprise happened. My injuries are all caused by old ancestor Shui Hu. The two talked and exchanged information. Fang Yuan realized now that so many things had happened in Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. But Bai Qin Tian was very vague about many things. Fang Yuan could not get much intel. They did not trust each other after all. This was natural. They only had interacted a little. It was hard to tell what the other person's intentions were. And in this situation where Gu worms could not be used, both sides were at their highest alertness. Fang Yuan knew he could not get more information from Bai Qin Tian and decided to leave. He left that huge wild turtle. Even during the conversation, he did not get closer. while Bai Chen Tian did not invite Fang Yuan to rest on the turtle's back. Bai Chen Tian saw that Fang Yuan was leaving and his expression relaxed a little. But at this moment, an unexpected surprise occurred. Ping! A soft sound echoed. A fist-sized thing was washed down by the river, landing on Fang Yuan's face. This thing was soft and tiny, like a jellyfish. It stuck to Fang Yuan's forehead. What is this? Fang Yuan was stunned. He wanted to pull it away. But at this time, he heard Bai Chen Tian call out. Be gentle, don't crush it. Oh! Fang Yuan was surprised. What was it that made a rank 8 Gu Immortal nervous? Chapter 1273. Affection Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan held this jellyfish-like Gu in his hand, looking at it. At the next moment, his eyes shined. This was an Immortal Gu, but he did not know its rank. Because in Reverse Flow River, no Gu worm could be used. These Gu worms that fell into Reverse Flow River were like fossils. They were sealed, and their auras could not be felt. This made Fang Yuan unaware of the nature of this jellyfish Immortal Gu earlier, when it was on his face. Only when Bai Chen Tian reminded him did Fang Yuan realize. If this were in the outside world, without Reverse Flow River, Immortal Gu aura would leak. Fang Yuan would detect it from far away and determine what its rank was. As for what Immortal Gu it was, that would depend on the Gu Immortal's own knowledge. This Immortal Gu seems to be Affection Gu. Fang Yuan's knowledge was wide. After looking at it, he could guess what this Gu was. Wisdom Path had 3 elements: thoughts, wills, and emotions. Since there was Love Immortal Gu, there was also Affection Immortal Gu, of course one. Fang Yuan's guess was right. Bai Chen Tian could not help but feel anxious. Affection Gu was very important to Central Continent's Gu Immortals. Why? Because this Immortal Gu was temporarily used in Edge Link Camp. There were many Mortal Gu along with it. This Affection Immortal Gu, along with many Mortal Gu, could create a new effect in Edge Link Camp. That was to track the location of Love Gu. Even if Love Gu was in an immortal aperture, it would not be affected. That was how Edge Link Camp managed to find Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. Otherwise, inside the spaceless tunnel, when Love Gu sent Zhao Lian, Yu Yizi, Shizheng Yi, Buzhunzi, and Mu Ling Lan away, who would know where they went? After adding Affection Immortal Gu and other Gu worms, Edge Link Camp could detect Love Immortal Gu and traced it to Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. But afterwards, because they fought with Old Ancestor Shuehu and Purple Mountain True Monarch, Edge Link Camp sustained great pressure and took much damage. Before this, due to the long journey and the collapse of the spaceless tunnel, Edge Link Camp was not complete to begin with. And now, after Flood Extremity and Black Extremity activated the Gu formation, destroying the main formation, Reverse Flow River flowed out and struck the heavily damaged Edge Link Camp. This way, the Immortal Gu house broke apart, and the Immortal Gu and Mortal Gu inside were all swept away by the water. If this were the outside world, these Immortal Gu and Mortal Gu would fly towards the Gu Immortals who had their wills contained. But inside Reverse Flow River, these Gu worms were restricted by the special environment. They were forcefully sealed, hibernating like they were no longer alive. Affection Gu was one of the countless Gu worms that made up the Immortal Gu house. Or rather, it was a very lucky one. Because most of the Gu worms had flowed along the river and were destroyed by the waves or crashed into rocks or trees. Gu worms were very fragile. Reverse Flow River became their grave. Of course, there were different types of Gu worm body types. Most were broken with one squeeze, but some were like jade or rocks, as tough as jade. Affection Gu was different. It had a soft body. It could survive even if there was an impact. Evidently, this was how it survived in Reverse Flow River. But after ending up in Fang Yuan's hands, it was not in good shape. The jellyfish body was very tattered. There was a huge injury that was about a quarter of its size. It was terrifying. Bai Chen Tian's eyes were very sharp. Seeing that Fang Yuan was about to pull away this Affection Gu, he called out in worry. But after reminding him, he felt great regret. If he did not say it, Fang Yuan might have thrown it away without care or concern. But now, Fang Yuan's eyes were shining. He realized the truth. Bai Chen Tian withheld the unease in his heart as he cupped his fists at Fang Yuan. Friend, this Gu belongs to Central Continent. Why don't you give this Immortal Gu to me? You will gain the friendship of Central Continent. Is that all right? Fang Yuan squinted. I can consider that, but what Gu is this? You need to tell me. Bai Chen Tian answered. This is Affection Gu, a Wisdom Path Gu worm. Wisdom Path Gu Immortals were rare. Bai Chen Tian emphasized that this was Affection Immortal Gu because he thought that Fang Yuan was not a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal. Affection Gu was not useful to most Gu Immortals after all. It was a waste to give it away, but it was a burden in one's hands. Why? Gu Immortals needed wills as their assistants. Be it in sect meetings or in Treasure Yellow Heaven, any will Gu could be used widely. But mortal level will Gu could achieve this. There was no need to waste one's effort in raising an Affection Immortal Gu. After all, if one was not a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal, with their conflicting Dao marks, using the Immortal Gu of other paths would have lower effects. At the same time, just Affection Immortal Gu could not form any Immortal Killer moves. Unless it was an Immortal Killer move of other paths that needed Affection Immortal Gu, or any special methods that needed it, then the Gu Immortal would desire it. Not all Immortal Gu were popular with people. Gu Immortals had different paths, so did Immortal Gu. Gu Immortals were of rank 6, 7, and 8, so were Immortal Gu. For Gu Immortals, only suitable Immortal Gu had value to them. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, during the 5 regions chaotic war, Gu Immortals often held trading sessions to exchange their Immortal Gu. But Bai Chen Tian would not think that Fang Yuan was the most special Gu Immortal of all. Firstly, he had Grandmaster Wisdom Path attainment level. Such a person had to be considered a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal. Secondly, Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body did not have conflicting Dao marks. He could cultivate any path. Lastly, Fang Yuan had been fretting over this matter. Even though he had Wisdom Path attainment level and methods, he did not have relevant Wisdom Path Immortal Gu. Thus, this Affection Immortal Gu was very important to Fang Yuan. Thus, he placed Affection Immortal Gu into the pocket of his shirt. Inside Reverse Flow River, the Immortal Aperture's entrance could not be opened. He had to carry it with him. Bai Chen Tian saw this, and his heart sank. His tone was even more anxious. Friend, take out that Immortal Gu. We are not enemies. We can go through a transaction according to what we need. Fang Yuan looked at Bai Chen Tian. We can have a transaction, but not here. If possible, Fang Yuan wanted to use Affection Immortal Gu to trade for Immortal Gu that suited him more. But in Reverse Flow River, transactions were impossible. Because no Gu worms could be used, information path methods that allowed 2 parties to engage in transactions were unusable. Fang Yuan wanted to exchange for Immortal Gu, but Bai Chen Tian could not take out any Immortal Gu, because Gu worms hibernated while inside Reverse Flow River, let alone those in an Immortal Aperture. They would not respond to any of a Gu Immortal's summons even if they were inside their bodies. Thus, Bai Chen Tian did not have any chips to use for trade. Bai Chen Tian knew Fang Yuan's concern, but should he give up this chance and wait for the future? Who knew what would happen in the future? After Black Extremity's action, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was gone. Central Continent's Edge Link Camp was destroyed as well. If Central Continent's group fought again, they would fall into an even deeper disadvantage. Central Continent's Gu Immortals were barely able to defend themselves. Once they escaped Reverse Flow River, wouldn't they flee immediately? Thus, there was no chance to undergo trade with Fang Yuan. If they did not do the transaction now, what about in the future? Fang Yuan was a Northern Plains Gu Immortal, while Bai Chen Tian was a Central Continent Gu Immortal. Both were in different regions. Even in Treasure Yellow Heaven, Central Continent could not dictate Fang Yuan to do a transaction with them later. What if he made a deal with someone else? What if he raised prices to an absurd level without fear? There were worse situations possible. Bai Chen Tian was someone with the foresight to consider bad outcomes in advance. Seeing that he could not coax Fang Yuan to give the Immortal Gu, his killing intent rose. I am a rank 8 Gu Immortal. Even if I cannot use Immortal Gu here, with my Dao Mark Foundation, how can I lose to a rank 7 Gu Immortal? Thinking like this, Bai Chen Tian jumped into the river water and swam towards Fang Yuan. At this moment, his hostility was obvious. Fang Yuan sneered internally, as he charged towards Bai Chen Tian as well. Bai Chen Tian saw this and became joyful, thinking, this Northern Plains Gu Immortal looks like a battle maniac. He's simply brainless. The river water moved rapidly, but both parties had extraordinary bodies. They quickly met in the middle. Boom boom boom. Fang Yuan raised his fist and punched at Bai Chen Tian thrice. Bai Chen Tian was a Wood Path Gu Immortal. He had great stamina and eyesight. He blocked all 3 attacks. He was shocked. This person looks so young. How can he have such strength? Does he cultivate Strength Path? He felt that his arm was numb from blocking. But while he was shocked, Bai Chen Tian still retaliated with his other hand. Both sides exchanged fists. They quickly got into a scuffle. Fang Yuan's entire body was a weapon. His head, knee, elbow, and all sorts of jabs were used. Bai Chen Tian was on the back foot, but soon, he held up evenly against Fang Yuan's attacks. Because he had incredible foundation, and his close combat skills were very deep. Even though he had rarely used these techniques after becoming a Gu Immortal, currently in actual battle, he was recovering his combat skills. As for Fang Yuan, he had become a Gu Immortal more recently. Many years ago, he was a mortal Gu master roaming Northern Plains and Southern Border. He was familiar with close combat. The two fought in the water. At times, they lifted their heads above the water and breathed roughly, temporarily resting. Reverse Flow River moved rapidly. Most of their energy was spent in swimming. They did not actually fight too much. When they fought, the environment was very complex. Because at times, logs or wild beasts would float down the river and force the two to evade them. As a result, after tens of rounds of battle, both sides were breathing roughly, but they could do nothing to the other party. This rank 8 Gu Immortal is truly deep in. Foundation. I wanted to kill a rank 8 in reverse flow river, but now it seems to be wishful thinking. Bai Chen Tian, however, was filled with shock. How can this be? This person is on par with me. I have used Grass Python Immortal Gu previously to gain a huge amount of strength. I have also used Immortal Killer Move Wood Armor to carve down marks in my body. My body has naturally strong defenses. I even turned my heart into a wood heart and turned my blood into green blood, giving me super healing abilities. These Immortal Killer Moves and Immortal Gu, along with my Dao marks as a rank 8 Gu Immortal who has so many calamities and tribulations, I definitely outclass this rank 7. But why am I simply evenly matched with him? Bai Chen Tian stared at Fang Yuan, as if he was looking at a monster. Speaking of which, Fang Yuan did not have as many Dao marks as the rank 8 Bai Chen Tian, but in fact, his Dao mark accumulation surpassed most rank 7 Gu Immortals. Even though he only became a rank 7 Gu Immortal recently. What resisted Bai Chen Tian was the Sovereign Immortal Body. The Sovereign Immortal Body was not a normal human body, it was refined from a Gu worm. Be it Wei Ling Yang or Bai Chen Tian, they were humans. But Fang Yuan's body was made from a Gu worm. It could therefore be said that Fang Yuan being a complete otherworldly demon was one of the reasons. The Sovereign Immortal Body made up for the difference in Dao marks between him and Bai Chen Tian, allowing them to fight evenly. Fang Yuan decided to retreat. Even though he did not lose, his intention was to kill the huge threat Ing Wuxia. Earlier, when fighting with Bai Chen Tian, he wanted to test his strength, to see if he could kill a rank 8 Gu Immortal. But in fact, Fang Yuan was overly optimistic. He could do nothing to Bai Chen Tian. Fang Yuan had to give up. He did not want to stall it out with Bai Chen Tian. His objective had not been met yet. Fang Yuan wanted to leave, but Bai Chen Tian did not allow him to. Even though Bai Chen Tian could not do anything to Fang Yuan, Affection Immortal Gu was still with Fang Yuan. Even if I cannot win, I need to keep him here. If my companions come later, we can encircle him together. I cannot let him escape. Damn it, this guy. Fang Yuan quickly frowned. He wanted to retreat, but Bai Chen Tian's speed and strength were not inferior to his. Even though Fang Yuan wanted to leave, Bai Chen Tian was preventing him from doing so. This gravely affected Fang Yuan's plan. In that case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Fang Yuan's eyes flashed with cold light. Obstructed by the wild beast corpse ahead, Fang Yuan's speed fell, and Bai Chen Tian reached him again. Fang Yuan turned around to fight him. Both were fighting with their fists and legs in reverse flow river. It was a draw. At the crucial moment, Fang Yuan stretched out his arm and placed Affection Immortal Gu in front of himself. Bai Chen Tian wanted to punch at Fang Yuan's torso. If he hit, Fang Yuan would lose his oxygen supply and would need to go to the surface and breathe in fresh air. This was one of the key points of fighting underwater. But Fang Yuan suddenly took out Affection Immortal Gu and put it in front of Bai Chen Tian's fist. Bai Chen Tian turned pale from shock. He quickly pulled back his fist and revealed a flaw. Fang Yuan laughed coldly on the inside. He used this flaw and charged. Bai Chen Tian had made a mistake and could only block and defend himself, preparing to counterattack. But Fang Yuan suddenly raised Affection Immortal Gu in front of himself, causing Bai Chen Tian to be unable to attack and exposing a flaw. With two flaws exposed, Fang Yuan made use of his advantage and kicked at Bai Chen Tian's stomach. Bai Chen Tian was hit and immediately opened his mouth as air bubbles floated up. He did not have enough oxygen now. He changed his tactics and wanted to escape to the surface. But Fang Yuan did not allow this. He stretched out his arms and gripped with them, like pincers, pulling Bai Chen Tian and preventing him from reaching the surface. Bai Chen Tian suddenly twisted his waist and escaped with a difficult maneuver. He moved like a fish, bursting out with strength. Fang Yuan's left arm could not catch him. Fang Yuan praised on the inside towards this response. Bai Chen Tian was a Central Continent Gu Immortal, but his rank 8 foundation really held no weaknesses. In terms of fighting underwater, he even slightly surpassed Fang Yuan. There was a need to mention, Fang Yuan had lived in Eastern Sea for a long time during the 500 years of his previous life. This way, Bai Chen Tian instantly swam until he was on top of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's grasp earlier had failed. He raised his arms and grabbed upwards. His left arm missed, but his right arm grabbed onto Bai Chen Tian's leg. Bai Chen Tian was obstructed. His other leg kicked towards Fang Yuan's head like a fierce dragon. This blow was heavy. If it landed, Fang Yuan would become dizzy and Bai Chen Tian would easily escape. But Fang Yuan took out Affection Immortal Gu and raised it up. Bai Chen Tian wanted to curse. His leg stopped. Fang Yuan managed to obtain some time to react. He moved his head backwards as his entire body went upside down in the water. Originally, he was like Bai Chen Tian, they were floating upright. But now that he grabbed Bai Chun Tian's leg, he became upside down. Bai Chun Tian saw this, and his heart sank. He gasped in his mind. This was because Fang Yuan was grabbing onto his leg with one hand, while the other was holding affection Immortal Gu. He could not attack with strength. But at this moment, in this scene, Fang Yuan had two legs to use. Meanwhile, Bai Chun Tian's leg was held by Fang Yuan. He could only attack with one other leg. Bai Chun Tian was shocked. The leg that was free moved around like a butterfly. It was extremely nimble. After kicking for several times, Fang Yuan could only see many shadows of his moving leg. But Fang Yuan had no fear. He kicked with both legs, as he unleashed a flurry of kicks moving like shadows as well. Both parties were fighting in the water, causing huge spirals to form around the river water. Each time their legs collided, a loud sound was emitted in the river water. Bai Chun Tian could only use one leg. How could he compete with both of Fang Yuan's legs? During the process of fighting, he was often hit by Fang Yuan's legs. Bai Chun Tian mainly defended himself, as he felt downcast. I am a great rank 8 Gu Immortal. To think that this would happen. Scoundrel! As long as I get to the surface and recover my breath, I will deal with you. His arms flailed furiously, dragging Fang Yuan towards the surface as well. But at the next moment, Fang Yuan's eyes shined with brilliance, as he blocked Bai Chun Tian's kick with one leg, while his other leg kicked at a crucial location. Bai Chun Tian was kicked by Fang Yuan. It landed on his crotch. In an instant, his entire face stiffened. He stared with wide-opened eyes. He was about to gasp out his last bit of oxygen left. Bai Chun Tian was a rank 8 great expert after all. He had superhuman endurance. He forcefully endured it and moved his arms, wanting to swim up to the surface. Boom. Fang Yuan kicked again. Bai Chun Tian's body shook. This time, he could not help but breathe out a chain of bubbles. Boom, boom, boom. Sensing his huge weakness, Fang Yuan continued to kick. Bai Chun Tian's face was flushed red. His eyes were bloodshot. He no longer thought of getting to the surface. He wanted to kill Fang Yuan. Who would fight you to the death? Fang Yuan let go, kicking Bai Chun Tian away with another blow. At the same time, he was pushed away by the force, pulling some distance from Bai Chun Tian. After getting free, Bai Chun Tian was dazed for a while before giving up on Fang Yuan. He went to the surface to recover his breath. Fang Yuan turned around and escaped successfully from Bai Chun Tian. Bai Chun Tian's head came up to the surface as he breathed in deeply continuously. His crotch was hurting. Waves of pain was assaulting his nerves. He felt himself getting dizzy. This accursed fellow. If I have a chance, I will tear out your tendons and burn you to ashes. Bai Chun Tian watched at the river surface as Fang Yuan swam away rapidly. Their distance was enlarging. He could not catch up. Fang Yuan successfully escaped from Bai Chun Tian. He slowed down to recover his stamina. His legs were numb. Bai Chun Tian's crotch was not easy to kick. Fang Yuan had immense strength, but his legs still felt numb from kicking it. Evidently, Bai Chun Tian had thought of defending his crotch. There were many wood path down marks there. At the final crucial moment, Fang Yuan did not fight with Bai Chun Tian. He knew that with Bai Chun Tian's methods, even if he killed him, he would have to face a terrifying retaliation and would likely get heavily injured or end up dead. Fang Yuan did not want this outcome. He did not need to fight to the death with a rank 8 Gu Immortal. He had the sovereign immortal body. His future was bright. And his goal to begin with was Ing Wuxia. If he died with Bai Chun Tian, wouldn't Ing Wuxia be laughing his head off? Even if only Bai Chun Tian died, Fang Yuan would still be heavily injured. He would lose the ability to kill Ing Wuxia. Of course, there was something crucial. Even if he killed Bai Chun Tian, Fang Yuan could gain nothing. Immortal apertures could not be opened here. Bai Chun Tian's corpse would be a burden. Fang Yuan could not carry this corpse around with him. Even if he could, what if he met Ing Wuxia? Even if he did not meet Ing Wuxia, what would he do if he met Central Continent's Gu Immortals? Rank 7 Gu Immortal killing rank 8. This would be a grand feat that would grant him unparalleled honor and glory. But this honor was worthless to Fang Yuan. He continued to swim ahead, trying to find Ing Wuxia. Fang Yuan, is that you? Ing Wuxia heard this and turned around, expressing joy on his face. Come closer, I will pull you up, he quickly said. After a moment, Ing Wuxia dragged Tai Bai Yunsheng onto a huge lotus leaf. This is the leaf of the king lotus. It can float on the surface of the water. To think that you are so lucky. Tai Bai Yunsheng sighed deeply. Ing Wuxia laughed, thinking, I am luck connected to Fang Yuan. How can my luck be bad? But soon, his smile faded as worry appeared on his face again. He looked at the flowing river. Reverse flow river state is really strange now. We cannot escape. We have to meet up with Purple Mountain True Monarch now. We might be able to take back Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun, and even kill that ancient sword dragon that was chasing us. At the mention of Purple Mountain True Monarch, Tai Bai Yunsheng showed admiration on his face. Yes, we should meet up with Master. Achoo! Purple Mountain True Monarch sneezed loudly. He had a bitter expression, sighing. Oh, to think that I would end up like this so soon after waking up. Sigh, I am old, my body is weak now. I seem to be getting a cold just because of some water. He was sitting on old ancestor Shuehu's shoulder. Old ancestor Shuehu was swimming. He looked around, trying to find something in Reverse Flow River. Hearing Purple Mountain True Monarch's words, he snorted. You are doing nothing but you are still complaining? Don't you have wings? Why don't you fly out of Reverse Flow River? Purple Mountain True Monarch was in his original form now. Like how Fang Yuan turned back to a human from ancient sword dragon form. Purple Mountain True Monarch was a rank 8 Miniman Gu Immortal. He had turned large earlier using an Immortal method. Now that he was in Reverse Flow River, he became a Miniman again. Precisely because of this, he could sit on old ancestor Shuehu's shoulder. You think I don't want to? But this Reverse Flow River is affected by some power. It is very chaotic. I cannot leave the river. Who created this Gu formation for you? Purple Mountain True Monarch asked. Old ancestor Shuehu had a grim expression. Sun Ming Lu. Purple Mountain True Monarch responded with an oh. It should be him. This was out of my expectations. Old ancestor Shuehu said. He is a member of Longevity Heaven. Old ancestor Shuehu was astute. At this moment, it was not hard to guess where Sun Ming Lu came from. Because Central Continent's Gu Immortals were already in danger, in the entirety of Northern Plains, who could have the ability and guts to deal with old ancestor Shuehu? Other than Longevity Heaven, there was no one else. Purple Mountain True Monarch said, Longevity Heaven is definitely after Ma Hongyun, as well as Zhao Lian. They must be in front. I need to find my wife. Old ancestor Shuehu said. Purple Mountain True Monarch patted his shoulder. Then we need to go ahead. Lady Wan Shou was right beside Ma Hongyun at the time. She was swept away by the river along with them. She should be near them. The fate-reversing refinement subformation was shining with a brilliant white-golden light. The light burst into the sky, like a huge, unconcealable pillar. At this moment, Black Extremity was at the center of the Gu formation, manipulating it and directing the flow of Reverse Flow River. Flood Extremity was outside the Gu formation, preventing any intruders from approaching the pillar of light.